Chapter 3891. Lu Ming was speechless by Ling Yue's question and could only answer honestly, "Yes, in my eyes she is the most beautiful, and the most talented." Lu Ming was referring to Xian Yanqing. In Lu Ming's eyes, Xian Yanqing was naturally the best. Only Autumn Moon could compare to him. No matter how beautiful Ling Yue was or how talented she was, she couldn't compare to Xian Yanqing. Seeing Lu Ming's reply, Ling Yue let out a faint sigh. She knew that Lu Ming really didn't have any feelings for him. In her heart, she really felt that it was a pity. Lu Ming's talent was simply too high. She had encountered countless monstrous geniuses. If she lined them up, she could circle a planet several times. However, she was certain that none of them could compare to Lu Ming. If she had to marry someone, she would definitely choose Lu Ming. Unfortunately, Lu Ming already had a sweetheart. The elf clan had actually looked down on such a genius in the past, completely ignoring him and not interacting with him at all. They were truly blind. After sorting out her emotions, Ling Yue looked at Lu Ming and said, "You already have a sweetheart, so I won't force you. However, I still hope that you can help me once and follow me back to the elf clan." "You still want to marry me?" Lu Ming was shocked. "No, we don't need to get married. I just hope that you and I will pretend to be together and do me a favor. You also know that my father wants to marry a genius of the angel clan, but that's a playboy. I would rather die than marry him, and you are my fiancé. If you and I return to the elf clan and pretend that we are already together, then my father will naturally not force me to marry that genius of the angel clan." Ling Yue said. "Why should I help you? If I help you, I will definitely offend that genius of the angel clan. This is not worth it for me." Lu Ming immediately shook his head. "We've known each other for a while. Can't you help me? Even if we're not fated to be together, we're still friends, aren't we? Are you just going to watch me fall into the fire pit and not care? Do you have the heart to do that?" As she spoke, Ling Yue's tears actually fell down her face with a pitter-patter. The beauty's tears were too lethal. Lu Ming could not withstand it all of a sudden. Lu Ming felt a headache coming on. "Don't worry, I won't let you help me for free. I know you need a lot of energy to cultivate. When we return to the elf clan, I will give you some treasures with pure energy, enough for you to break through to the divine emperor realm. What do you think?" Ling Yue continued. "Alright then, I'll promise you. But first, I really won't marry you," Lu Ming said. Lu Ming dared to swear to the heavens that he really wasn't doing this for the other party's treasure. He was just being kind and wanted to help the other party. "Alright, don't worry." Ling Yue immediately burst into laughter. After agreeing to Ling Yue's request, Lu Ming could only change his route and follow Ling Yue towards the elf clan. The elf clan was ranked 33rd in the great desolate 10,000 races. It was undoubtedly a very powerful and prosperous race. When the elf clan was at its peak, it was close to the top 10. It was extremely glorious, so the territory occupied by the elf clan was also very vast. As for the elf clan, they also had a mother planet called the elf clan's mother planet. It was also born when the heavens and earth first opened. It was similar to the dragon clan's mother planet, but it wasn't as large and vast as the dragon clan's mother planet. Legend had it that the dragon clan's mother planet had given birth to 49 primordial divine dragons, while the elf clan's mother planet had given birth to 12 primordial elves. However, as long as it was a mother planet, it was known as immortality. A month later, Lu Ming and Ling Yue arrived at the elf clan's mother planet. What a prosperous planet. I wonder how many powerful existences there are here. Lu Ming sighed. This was the second time Lu Ming had come to a mother planet level life planet. The elf clan's mother planet and the dragon clan's mother planet gave off a completely different feeling. The dragon clan's mother planet had experienced a tragic battle. In the end, it was sealed by the dragon clan with 10,000 dragon seals. When Lu Ming went there, the dragon clan's mother planet was recovering. However, it was recovering and was far from reaching its peak. Furthermore, it lacked powerhouses. On the other hand, the elf clan's mother planet was different. It was prosperous to the extreme, and the divine energy was extremely dense. With a casual breath, it was as if there was a substantial divine energy being sucked into one's mouth. On the ground, there were countless mountains and rivers that gave birth to countless living beings. Among them, divine medicines were everywhere, and they were lush and verdant. This was a true holy land for cultivation. At the same time, Lu Ming spread out his spiritual sense and felt that the entire dragon clan's mother planet was filled with countless extremely oppressive and terrifying auras. Although these auras were all restrained and dormant, Lu Ming's spiritual sense was very sharp. When he sensed carefully, he could still feel a terrifying pressure. It was unknown how many powerhouses were hibernating in the entire elf clan's mother planet. Is this the foundation of a large clan? It's truly terrifying. This is still a race ranked 33rd. How terrifying would the top 10 races be? And how strong would the heavenly palace be to be able to suppress all the races? Lu Ming sighed in his heart. We're almost at the elf palace. At this moment Ling Yue spoke out, interrupting Lu Ming's thoughts. Lu Ming looked forward. Even though Lu Ming thought that he was experienced and knowledgeable, his eyes were still wide open and his heart trembled. In front of him was a forest. However, this forest was simply too big and boundless. Even with Lu Ming's eyesight, he couldn't see the end of it. The most important thing was that the trees in this forest were too big. Ancient trees rose from the ground, towering into the clouds. The shortest one was 100 miles tall. The tallest one was 1,000 miles, 10,000 miles, and 100,000 miles tall. They pierced through the atmosphere. The diameter of each ancient tree was tens of miles, and the thickest was tens of thousands of miles. In front of Lu Ming's eyes, it was as if countless world trees had appeared. In front of the ancient tree, a person was as small as a speck of dust. On each ancient tree, there were magnificent palaces built. Within the palaces, there were figures flying back and forth. They were all elves. The man was handsome and the woman was beautiful. It's the princess has returned. As soon as the two of them approached, they were discovered. Many surprised voices rang out. Many elves appeared in front of them and bowed respectfully to Ling Yue. No need to be so polite. Ling Yue nodded and flew into the depths of the forest with Lu Ming. On the way many elves greeted Ling Yue. Then they all looked at Lu Ming curiously. Ling Yue had actually brought an unfamiliar man back, which surprised them. One had to know that there were as many geniuses as the stars in the sky who pursued Ling Yue, but they had never seen Ling Yue take the initiative to bring a man back. This was the first time, so the elves were naturally curious. This young man looks so familiar. Alright, he's Mu Yun. I've seen him in the Dream Jade. Suddenly, someone shouted. Chapter 3892. Among the elves there was finally someone who recognized Lu Ming. Back then, because of Ling Yue's matter, the geniuses of the various races had charged to the Iron Sea Star region and engaged in an intense confrontation with Lu Ming. Ling Yue was the elf princess, so she naturally attracted the attention of countless elves. Many people had seen Lu Ming in the Dream Jade. Just now he was surprised and didn't recognize him. Now that he looked at him seriously, he naturally recognized Lu Ming. It's really him, that Mu Yun from the Iron Sea Star region. The princess actually brought him back to the Elven Imperial capital. Could it be that she really wants to marry him? No, I don't believe it. This isn't true. My heart hurts so much. The princess is mine. Many elven men clutched their chests and cried out in grief. Lu Ming's face was full of smiles as he sighed in his heart. The elf princess was indeed very popular. He didn't know if it was right or wrong to come and help Ling Yue this time. The two of them did not stop and continued to fly deeper into the elven palace. The deeper they flew, the larger and more majestic the ancient trees became. On top of every ancient tree there was a palace. From afar it was truly incomparably majestic. Not long after, the two of them arrived in front of an ancient tree that was 30,000 kilometers tall. This elven tree and the palace above it are my private property. You can live up there first and wait for me to arrange it later. How about it? Ling Yue said. Lu Ming nodded. Naturally he had no objections. The two of them flew into the palace in the middle of the branches. The palace was extremely majestic. Inside there were courtyards, pavilions, small bridges and flowing water. There was even a lake on one side. It was magnificent, like a garden in the sky. This is for you. See if it's useful to you. At this time Ling Yue took out something. It was an emerald green thing that looked like a wooden stick. It was as thick as a finger and emitted waves of fragrance. This is... Lu Ming took it and sensed it. His eyes lit up slightly. On this wooden stick, Lu Ming could feel an incomparably strong life essence. This life essence was somewhat similar to the bone pearl he had obtained before. Of course it was only similar. In terms of energy it was still inferior to that bone pearl. What is this? Lu Ming asked. This is called the Elven Wood Heart, and it's the specialty of the Elven race. See if it's useful. I promise to get you some resources, and if it's useful I'll collect a batch of Elven Wood Hearts for you. Ling Yue said. Of course. Lu Ming nodded repeatedly. The more such treasures there were, the better. Alright, you can stay here for now. I'll go and collect some for you. Ling Yue nodded and left. Lu Ming stayed in the palace trying to figure out the secret technique and train himself. Ling Yue and Lu Ming separated and headed deeper into the Elven Palace. However, not long after they were stopped by an old elf with a head full of white hair. Greetings, princess. The old elf bowed slightly, his face full of kindness. Third elder, are you looking for me? Ling Yuwei's eyes flashed. It's not me who's looking for you. It's His Majesty who's looking for you. Right now, His Majesty is waiting for your highness in the fairy palace. The old elf said. Father is looking for me. Ling Yuwei's eyes flashed again, and a trace of panic appeared in the depths of her eyes. The elven race was a very special race. They were both a race and a kingdom, known as the Elven Imperial Court. Therefore this place was known as the Elven Palace, and Ling Yuwei was also known as the Elven Princess. As for the Elven Patriarch, he was naturally known as the Elven Emperor. Princess, please? The old elf waved his hand slightly. Ling Yuwei nodded and stepped into the air, heading towards the Elven Palace. The Elven Palace was the place where the elves usually discussed matters. It was very spacious and majestic, but right now there weren't many people. There was a middle-aged elf sitting at the top. Although he was old, he was still very handsome. Moreover, there was an unparalleled majesty that was emitted from him. He was the current Elven Patriarch and also the Elven Emperor Ling Huashua. Below there were a few figures sitting. A middle-aged man and two young women. This middle-aged man was Ling Yuwei's second uncle. The two young men and women were her second uncle's children. However, they were both older than Ling Yuwei and could be considered Ling Yuwei's cousins. After Ling Yuwei walked in, her gaze swept across the room before she stepped forward with a smile on her face. Yuwei greets Royal Father. It's been a long time since we last met. I miss Royal Father very much. Miss me? Ling Huashua coldly snorted and said with a dark face, I thought you were having fun outside and had already forgotten about me, your Royal Father. How could that be? Your daughter is always thinking about Royal Father outside. It's just that I encountered a fortuitous encounter and went into seclusion to cultivate and break through to the Divine Emperor realm. That's why I didn't come back. As soon as I finished cultivating, I rushed back to see you. Ling Yuwei said with a coquettish tone. You have indeed broken through to the Divine Emperor realm. Not bad. Ling Huashua nodded, revealing a trace of satisfaction, and his expression softened a little. From the Quasi-Emperor to the Divine Emperor, there was a threshold that was very difficult to break through. Many geniuses were stuck at this threshold. They were unable to break through and would regret it for the rest of their lives. Once they crossed this threshold, they would truly be considered the upper echelons of the universe, especially the younger generation. Once they crossed this threshold, they would truly be considered the top geniuses of the universe. Without crossing it, those true big shots wouldn't care at all. For example, the top 100 quasi-emperors, the top 10 races, and the Heavenly Palace wouldn't interfere. They were all arranged by some idle people and couldn't be considered formal. In the quasi-emperor realm, no matter how talented one was, in the eyes of the true big shots, it was just a small matter. In the quasi-emperor realm, no matter how strong one was, if one was stuck there and couldn't break through, everything would be in vain. Therefore, Ling Yuwei's breakthrough was of great significance. Ling Huashua was naturally happy. He broke through to the Divine Emperor realm? At the side, Ling Yuwei's two cousins were stunned. A trace of displeasure appeared in the depths of their eyes. However, it only flashed for a moment before disappearing without a trace. Cousin, I heard that during this period of time, you and that Mu Yun from the Iron Sea Star region are together. This time you even brought that Mu Yun back. I wonder if it's true? Ling Yuwei's cousin Ling Piao said. As soon as she said this, Ling Huashua's face, which had already eased up a little, darkened again. That's right. During this period of time I was indeed together with Mu Yun. However, Mu Yun and I were engaged. It's normal for us to be together, isn't it? Ling Yuwei generously admitted it. The reason she brought Lu Ming back was to let everyone know that she was already together with Mu Yun. Nonsense. Ling Huashua slammed the table and berated. The majesty on his body became even stronger, and Ling Yuwei immediately fell silent. That's right, cousin. It's not that I want to criticize you, but that Mu Yun, although he has some talent, how can he be worthy of you? The genius of the angel race is a good match for you. Ling Piao interrupted again. Chapter 3893. That's right. Moreover, our elf clan has already agreed with the angel clan to form a marriage alliance with the angel clan. This is a great opportunity for our elf clan. Cousin, you can't be too selfish. Ling Yuwei's cousin also spoke up. Piao and the others are right. Yuwei, this matter is not up to you. Ling Yuwei's second uncle continued. I've said it before, I won't marry that playboy from the angel clan. If you want to curry favor with others, go ahead and curry favor with them. Don't pull me in, I'm not interested in currying favor with others. What's more, my engagement with Muyun was set by grandfather. After grandfather passed away, did you ignore the promise he made when he was alive? Is this how filial you are? Ling Yuwei retorted. As soon as these words were spoken, the expressions of Ling Huashua and the others turned even uglier. Ling Yuwei, this was a blatant slap to their faces. Everything has to be done for the greater good. Moreover, your talent is peerless. That Mu Yun is not worthy of you at all. Ling Huashua said, his tone slightly softening. Big brother is right. Back then father was too loyal. Sometimes he would do things in a biased manner. We can't continue to make mistakes. How can that Mu Yun compare to the geniuses of the Angel clan? He probably came back with you to climb up the social ladder and borrow the power of our elf clan, Ling Yuwei's second uncle continued. In any case, they didn't think highly of Lu Ming and suggested various marriage alliances with the Angel clan. While they were chatting, the palace where Lu Ming was staying was bustling with noise and excitement. Not long after Ling Yuwei left, someone came looking for her. Muyun, get the hell out here. Outside the palace, someone roared. Trouble has come knocking so quickly. Lu Ming rubbed his temples, feeling a headache. He had long known that trouble would come knocking, but he didn't expect it to come so quickly. Lu Ming opened the door and walked out. He saw some young people standing in the air outside, all of them youths from the elf clan. Seeing Lu Ming come out, the youths of the elf race stared at Lu Ming. It was as if they were looking at him with swords. If looks could kill, then Lu Ming would have turned into a hornet's nest. Everyone, I've just arrived and you've already come to see me. The enthusiasm of the elves really surprises me. Lu Ming grinned. In terms of shamelessness, Lu Ming believed that he was second only to Dandan. The young elf was stunned. To see him? Passion. Bullshit. Brat, you should know your place. Why don't you take a piss and look at yourself in the mirror? How can you be worthy of our princess? If you know what's good for you, you'd better get out of the elf tribe's territory and never meet our princess again. That's right. Our princess is the pride of the heavens. How could an ordinary man be a match for her? Don't make yourself a laughingstock. The young elves mocked and ridiculed one after another. I'm not worthy, but you guys are? Lu Ming smiled faintly with a hint of sarcasm in his tone. These young elves were obviously Ling Yuwei's admirers. Lu Ming's words made the young elves' faces turn ugly. However, they couldn't refute him for a moment. They more or less knew about Lu Ming's combat strength. Back then, many geniuses from various races had tried to find trouble with Lu Ming, but they had all been defeated by Lu Ming. Even the monstrous geniuses on the Quasi-Emperor Top 100 list, especially 9 Silkworm Prince, who was ranked 49th on the Quasi-Emperor Top 100 list, were no match for Lu Ming. Their abilities were far inferior to 9 Silkworm Princes. They really didn't have the confidence to refute Lu Ming's words. You're not qualified, yet you're talking about me. Get out of here as far as you can. Lu Ming waved his hand casually, as if he was chasing away a group of annoying flies. How dare you? Impudent. You're courting death. Angry roars rang out. Some of the young elves were so provoked that they jumped up, their faces full of anger. Oh, if you guys want to attack, then come. Feel free to attack. I'll take it all, Lu Ming said. Since he had agreed to help Ling Yuwei, he planned to be more high profile and show off his talent. Only then would he be able to attract the attention of the elves and help Ling Yuwei. Moreover, he had already sensed that these young elves were all below the Divine Emperor realm. To be honest, he wasn't afraid of anyone below the Divine Emperor realm in the entire primitive universe. No matter how many came, he would beat them all. Lu Ming's words angered the young elves even more. Arrogant, too arrogant. He's so arrogant just because he has some strength. Let's attack together and teach him a lesson. That's right, let's attack together. Someone roared. Then at least a dozen people stepped out. War bows appeared in their hands and arrows were aimed at Lu Ming. Powerful auras locked onto Lu Ming. These young elves were all quasi-emperors and could be called geniuses. However, there was still a big gap between their combat strength and the geniuses on the quasi-emperor's top 100 list. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. More than a dozen arrows flew through the air toward Lu Ming, aiming at more than a dozen of Lu Ming's vital points. These people were also geniuses. Their combat strength was very strong, and each of them had the strength to challenge a Divine Emperor realm. With more than a dozen of them working together, they believed that even 9 Silkworm Prince would lose without a doubt. However, Lu Ming was no longer the Lu Ming who fought 9 Silkworm Prince. Compared to that time, Lu Ming was many times stronger. Now, facing 9 Silkworm Prince, Lu Ming could crush him with a single finger. Therefore, Lu Ming stood there motionless, allowing the arrows to approach him. It's done. Seeing that the arrows were about to hit Lu Ming, many young elves were overjoyed. It was as if they could already see the scene of Lu Ming being shot into a beehive. At this moment Lu Ming moved. He reached out a hand and grabbed the air. All of a sudden, shadows of palms appeared in the air. It was as if Lu Ming suddenly had more than 10 hands and he caught all the arrows. In the next moment, the palm shadows disappeared, and there were more than a dozen arrows in Lu Ming's hand. How is this possible? The young elves' eyes almost popped out of their sockets. More than 10 top-notch quasi-emperor geniuses joined forces and unleashed their most powerful arrow. However, Lu Ming caught it so easily. How could his combat strength be so strong? Was this the strength of the geniuses on the quasi-emperor's top 100 list? Was the gap between them and the geniuses on the quasi-emperor's top 100 list so big? At this moment they began to doubt their lives. "I'll return them to you." Lu Ming waved his hand, and the dozen arrows in his hand flew back the way they came. But they were faster than when they came and they shot toward their masters. The young elves' expressions changed drastically. They wanted to dodge, but it was too late. Their shoulders were pierced by the arrows. They retreated quickly and spat out mouthfuls of blood. Chapter 38-94. The dozen or so elven prodigies who had attacked just now had their shoulders pierced by their own arrows. Obviously, Lu Ming had already shown mercy. If these arrows had pierced their vital points, it was unimaginable. The scene was silent. "Now, do I have the qualifications to be worthy of the elven princess?" Lu Ming said indifferently. No one said anything. If even Lu Ming wasn't worthy, then didn't that mean that they were even more unworthy? "You do have some strength, but you are too arrogant. How can you be worthy of Princess Yue?" At this moment a cold voice sounded. In the distance a figure stepped on the air. It was also a young elven man. His long hair was tied up high and he was very handsome. He wore a silver robe and looked like an elegant young master. "It's Hua Xing." Some elven youths exclaimed. Not everyone in the elven race had the surname Ling. In fact, only the elven royal family had the surname Ling. The other elves had all kinds of surnames. Hua Xing of the top 100 quasi-emperors. Lu Ming's heart stirred. He had specially learned about the top 100 quasi-emperors before, and he had long memorized the names on it. Above them was Hua Xing, ranked 23rd on the top 100 quasi-emperors list. He was a monstrous genius who was much stronger than 9 Silkworm Prince. There were a total of 2 elves on the top 100 quasi-emperors list. They were Ling Yue and Hua Xing. Therefore, Ling Yue and Hua Xing were also known as the 2 walls below the divine emperor of the elves. Naturally, Hua Xing admired Ling Yue a lot. He wholeheartedly wanted to marry Ling Yue as his wife and rise to the top. With his talent, he might be able to become an overlord in the future. Therefore, he did not allow others to touch Ling Yue. If Ling Yue and the angel race were to marry, he would be helpless. However, he did not put a mere Mu Yun in his eyes. He wanted to suppress Lu Ming and make Ling Yue look at him in a new light. That way Ling Yue might not marry the angel race and be with him instead. Although the hope was not great, as long as there was a glimmer of hope, he would fight for it. Hua Xing's eyes shone as he stared at Lu Ming. Very quickly he stopped 10,000 meters away from Lu Ming. "Mu Yun, I know you defeated 9 Silkworm Prince, but 9 Silkworm Prince is only 49th on the list of quasi-emperors. He's far from being a true genius. Do you understand?" Hua Xing said coldly. "So you're saying that you're the true top genius?" Lu Ming said with a faint smile. "You could say that." Hua Xing nodded confidently. "Oh, then what business does a top genius like you have with me?" Lu Ming said. "Challenge me. Fight me." Hua Xing said as his battle intent soared into the sky. "Challenge me?" The corners of Lu Ming's mouth curled up slightly and he said, "It's the truth. I'm actually not interested in challenging trash like you, because there's no challenge at all. Nest, you're too arrogant. Who does he think he is? Someone in the top 10 of the list of quasi-emperors? How dare he look down on Hua Xing? He's really overestimating himself. I think he said that on purpose because he doesn't dare to accept the challenge." Lu Ming's words caused an uproar. Hua Xing's eyes were also burning with anger. He was actually looked down on by Lu Ming, which made him furious. In his anger, a cold killing intent burst out. Of course. At this moment, Lu Ming's tone changed again and he said, "If you must challenge me, it's not impossible. How about we add some stakes?" "Stakes? What stakes?" Hua Xing narrowed his eyes and asked. "This is it." Lu Ming moved his hand, and the elven wood heart that Ling Yue had given him appeared. "Let's make a bet. I'll bet 100 of these elven wood hearts. If I lose, I'll give you 100. If you lose, you'll give me 100. How about it? Lu Ming said. Ever since he discovered the benefits of this elven wood heart, Lu Ming had a plan. This time he couldn't come to the elf clan for nothing. He had to collect a good batch of this elven wood heart. It would be of great use to his future cultivation. Since Hua Xing wanted to challenge him, how could Lu Ming miss this opportunity to collect the elven wood heart? 100 elven wood hearts. Hua Xing frowned. 100 elven wood hearts was not a small number. Even if he took it out, it would still hurt. What is it? You don't have 100 elven wood hearts? Lu Ming asked. Of course I do. I'm just afraid that you don't. The elven wood heart is a treasure unique to my elf clan. Hua Xing said. Haha, you don't have to worry about that. With my relationship with Yue, how could I not even take out 100 elven wood hearts? Lu Ming grinned and called Ling Yue very intimately, causing the surrounding elf clan youths to almost vomit blood. Of course, the one who was the most angry was Hua Xing. His expression was rather ugly as he immediately agreed, "All right, I promise you. Let's fight. I'll bet 100 elven wood hearts." Just as Lu Ming and Hua Xing were about to fight, someone from the elf palace immediately reported the situation of Lu Ming, Hua Xing and the others to Ling Huashua and the others. They can't fight. When Ling Yue heard the news, she immediately said, "Why can't we fight? Only this way can we test Mu Yun's level. I think it's pretty good. Could it be that you're afraid that Mu Yun will be severely injured by Hua Xing? Then he can only blame himself for not being skilled enough and not having enough talent. He's not worthy of you at all." Ling Yue's second uncle Ling Huafeng said. "No, I'm afraid that Mu Yun will accidentally injure Hua Xing. They aren't Mu Yun's match," Ling Yue explained. She was very clear about Lu Ming's strength. He was simply too strong, and wasn't something that Hua Xing and the others could contend against. The difference was too great. What she said was the truth. Once they made a move, she was really afraid that Lu Ming would make a mistake and heavily injure the geniuses of the elf clan. It would be bad if he attracted even more hostility. However, the others didn't believe him at all. Ling Huafeng, Ling Piao and the others sneered and shook their heads. "Yue, if you're afraid that Mu Yun won't be able to win, then just say it. Why are you finding such an excuse? Seriously, what do you want me to say about you?" Ling Piao kept shaking her head as if she had seen through Ling Yue's thoughts. Ling Huashua's face was also gloomy. It was obvious that he didn't believe Ling Yue's words. He couldn't understand why Ling Yue was usually so proud and arrogant. There weren't many men who could make her look up to him, so why was she protecting Mu Yun now? Could it be that Ling Yue had really fallen in love with Mu Yun? What was so special about Mu Yun? Let's go take a look. Ling Huashua opened his mouth and with a wave of his hand, a mysterious and unfathomable power spread out, causing ripples in the air. Then everyone in the hall disappeared and in the next moment, they appeared above Lu Ming and the others. However, they were enveloped by a mysterious power. Lu Ming and the others below had no idea that someone was spying on them. Chapter 3895. However, just because Lu Ming and the others couldn't detect it didn't mean that no one else could. The battle character art in Lu Ming's sea of consciousness shrunk rapidly, as if it was about to disappear from time to time. The Bone Demon's aura was also extremely restrained, as if it had turned into a skeleton without any aura. Bone Demon, what's wrong? Lu Ming used his spiritual consciousness to detect the abnormality of the Bone Demon and the battle character art. There's a terrifying expert spying on us from above. I can't be discovered. Take care of yourself. The Bone Demon replied and then no longer had any aura. A terrifying expert? Lu Ming's pupils shrank slightly. He knew very well how high the Bone Demon's standards were. For the Bone Demon to call someone terrifying, it had to be extremely terrifying. Could it be a top expert of the elf race? Lu Ming's thoughts were in a whirl, but he pretended that he didn't know anything. He stood in the void because he and Hua Xing were about to fight. Boom. In the void tens of thousands of meters away, Hua Xing's aura soared to the peak. His entire body was shrouded in a bright green light, and a huge warbow appeared. One could clearly see that his entire body's essence, chi and spirit were all injected into the warbow, like small snakes. This is the Sky Splitter Bow technique. Hua Xing actually used the Sky Splitter Bow technique right off the bat. That's normal. Although Mu Yun is arrogant, he's still strong. After all, he defeated 9 Silkworm Prince before. Hua Xing doesn't dare to be careless. However, the Sky Splitter Bow art is extremely overbearing. Once the bow is drawn, it can split the sky. Its destructive power is shocking. Can Mu Yun block it? He should be able to block 1 arrow. The key is how many arrows can he block. He definitely can't block 3 arrows. You have to know that each arrow of the Sky Splitter Bow technique is stronger than the last. More and more youths from the elf race gathered around, and there was a lot of discussion. Many people who understood the power of Hua Xing's Sky Splitter Bow technique thought that Lu Ming wouldn't be able to block 3 arrows. Although Lu Ming had defeated 9 Silkworm Prince, 9 Silkworm Prince was only ranked 49th in the top 100 rankings. Hua Xing, on the other hand, was ranked 23rd. If Hua Xing fought 9 Silkworm Prince, Hua Xing would very likely defeat 9 Silkworm Prince with 1 arrow. Most of the elves used bows and arrows, and the power of bows and arrows was very strong. Once an arrow was shot, it could kill in 1 shot. Hua Xing's aura was getting stronger and stronger, but Lu Ming just stood there and watched quietly. Facing an archery expert, he actually didn't make the first move to interrupt his opponent's momentum. Instead, he just stood there motionless. This kind of behavior shows that he doesn't have the slightest bit of battle awareness. Can he even be considered a genius? High in the sky, Ling Piao sneered. I think it's just brute force. Ling Yuwei's cousin also shook his head and smiled. At this moment, Ling Yuwei didn't say anything. What was there to say? Just wait for Hua Xing to be tortured. Whoosh. Finally, Hua Xing's aura rose to its peak. An emerald green arrow pierced through the air, directly tearing a pitch-black passage in the sky. With astonishing speed, it shot towards Lu Ming. To be honest, its power was really strong. It was only slightly weaker than Ling Yuwei's full strength. In the entire desolate universe, there weren't many people below the Divine Emperor realm who could catch it. Of course, this was only for other quasi-emperors. To Lu Ming, this arrow was very weak. Too weak. Lu Ming only stretched out a hand and grabbed at the air. With a buzz, the arrow shot by Hua Xing was caught by Lu Ming. Then everyone was stunned. Their eyes were wide open and their mouths were even wider than a snake's. Stunned, stunned, stunned. Hua Xing's arrow was actually caught by Lu Ming so casually. What was going on? Could it be that Hua Xing's arrow just now was just a test? He didn't use much strength at all and was seen through by Lu Ming? That couldn't be. The power of that arrow just now was extremely shocking and terrifying. Its power was extraordinary. Many people felt their minds go blank and couldn't react for a moment. High up in the sky, Ling Piao and her brother were also dumbfounded. They were very familiar with Hua Xing and knew how powerful he was. If their cultivation was also at the quasi-emperor level, they definitely wouldn't be able to catch his arrow. However, Lu Ming caught it so casually. How was this possible? Even Ling Huashua and Ling Huafeng's pupils shrank slightly, revealing a trace of surprise. Interesting. Ling Huashua whispered. This caused Ling Huafeng and Ling Piao's faces to darken slightly. At this moment, the most shocked person was Hua Xing himself. He had used almost all his strength in that arrow just now. His original intention was to kill Lu Ming with 1 arrow. However, he never expected that the arrow he shot with all his strength would be caught by Lu Ming so easily. This made him lose face. Damn it, I don't believe it. Sky Splitter arrow, arrow piercing the heavens. Hua Xing shouted loudly and poured all of his divine power into the battle bow as if it was free. Bus, bus. This time, 2 arrows flew out at the same time and shot toward Lu Ming. The 2 arrows, one after the other, broke through the void and went straight between Lu Ming's eyebrows. The power was more terrifying than before. However, Lu Ming's face was still calm. He stretched out his hand and the 2 arrows were caught in Lu Ming's hand like 2 toys. This time, Hua Xing didn't stop and shot out another arrow. This time it was 3 arrows at the same time. As soon as the 3 arrows were shot out, Hua Xing shot out another arrow before they could get close to Lu Ming. This time there were 4 arrows. There were a total of 7 arrows. The 7 arrows actually gathered in the air. When the 7 arrows gathered in one, their power was incredible. The Sky Splitter Bow was really powerful. It was really worthy of its reputation. Even a cultivator of the second godly emperor layer wouldn't dare take that attack head-on. They would be severely injured. Being ranked 23rd in the list of the top 100 quasi-emperors wasn't just a title, it was real. After that, Lu Ming did the same thing as before. He stretched out his hand and grabbed the arrow. Buzz. The arrow was in Lu Ming's hand and it kept vibrating. However, when Lu Ming squeezed it, the arrow exploded with a bang, turning into energy and disappearing. No, that's impossible. Hua Xing couldn't believe it. He had already used all of his divine power. He had used all of his strength, but Lu Ming had still caught the arrow so easily. It was a huge blow to him. He couldn't accept it. Lu Ming wasn't a godly emperor. He was probably just below the godly emperor layer. How could the gap between them be so big? On the side, the other young men were dumbstruck. They couldn't say anything. Ling Piao and her brother were also dumbstruck. They didn't say anything for a long time. Ling Huashua and Ling Huafeng were also astonished. Lu Ming's strength had exceeded their expectations. Only Ling Yuwei's expression remained calm. From the beginning to the end, it hadn't changed at all, because all of this was within her expectations. Chapter 3896. Ling Yuwei's expression remained calm. She had already expected this scene. As a quasi-emperor, how could Hua Xing be a match for Lu Ming? The difference between them was too great. I don't believe it. I don't believe it. Die for me. Being watched by so many people, Hua Xing felt that he had lost all his face. His face flushed red and he went completely berserk. The divine power in his body burned fiercely and then crazily poured into the battle bow. He wanted to condense a powerful arrow and make a final struggle. However, Lu Ming did not plan to give him a chance to continue attacking. Lu Ming took a step forward and activated the Great Divine Wind technique. With a few flashes, his figure appeared in front of Hua Xing and then he struck out with his palm. With a palm strike, the wind and clouds changed. A huge palm was formed and pressed down on Hua Xing. Bang! The arrow that Hua Xing had just condensed directly collapsed. Hua Xing was sent flying tens of thousands of meters away by Lu Ming's slap. He vomited large mouthfuls of blood. If it weren't for the others catching him, he wouldn't even be able to maintain his position in the air. Defeated. Hua Xing had lost and he had lost miserably. In Lu Ming's hands he was like a baby, unable to withstand a single blow. You shouted very loudly. So that's all you have? Lu Ming shook his head and sighed, looking very disappointed. Hua Xing was so angry that he vomited blood again. Earlier on, he was still acting all high and mighty, as if he was invincible, as if he could send Lu Ming flying with one slap. In the end he was the one who was sent flying with one slap. Embarrassing, it was too embarrassing. He wished he could find a hole in the ground and hide in it. Don't worry about vomiting blood. Hurry up and give me the 100 elven wood hearts you owe me. Lu Ming continued. Hua Xing continued to vomit blood. He remembered that not only had he lost, but he also had to give Lu Ming 100 elven wood hearts. Hua Xing felt uncomfortable, incomparably uncomfortable. His heart ached so much that it felt like it was about to split open. If you're a man, then don't be so wishy-washy. If you're willing to bet, then accept your loss. Hurry up and hand over the elven wood heart. Lu Ming urged. Hua Xing was really reluctant and hesitated. However, with so many people watching, if he did not hand it over, it would be even more embarrassing. In the future he would not be able to raise his head in the elven race. After dawdling for a while, Hua Xing finally took out a storage ring and threw it to Lu Ming. His heart ached so much that it was bleeding. Mu Yun, just you wait. After tossing the storage ring to Mu Yun, Hua Xing turned around and left, disappearing without a trace in the blink of an eye. Lu Ming quickly took out the storage ring and scanned it with his spiritual sense. A smile appeared on his face. In the storage ring, there were 100 elven wood cores neatly arranged. All of them were genuine goods. This was a good thing. Lu Ming happily put it away. Is there anyone else who wants to make a bet? It's still the elven tree heart. How about it? Lu Ming looked around and scanned the elves one by one. His eyes were filled with anticipation. It was simply too worth it to be able to obtain so many elven tree hearts just by fighting. Lu Ming suddenly looked forward to someone challenging him. Unfortunately, he was disappointed. All the elves avoided his gaze, not daring to look at him. What a joke. Hua Xing was a monstrous genius ranked 23rd on the Quasi-Emperor Top 100 list. At the Quasi-Emperor level, he was already standing at the peak of the universe. However, he was still defeated so miserably by Lu Ming. Who would dare to go up? Wouldn't that be looking for a beating? Who would be so bored as to seek a beating? Unless it was a genius above the Divine Emperor level. However, it would be embarrassing for a genius above the Divine Emperor level to deal with a Quasi-Emperor. This guy, in the sky. Ling Yue was speechless. She had promised to help Lu Ming collect a batch of elven tree hearts. She hadn't even started yet, but Lu Ming had already started collecting them himself. This greedy guy. Ling Yue secretly despised him in her heart, but her face was full of smiles. She specially looked at Ling Piao and the others and said, I've said it before, Hua Xing isn't a match for Lu Ming. I was afraid that Mu Yun would injure Hua Xing, but you guys didn't believe me. Do you see it now? Ling Piao and her sister had ugly expressions on their faces as they remained silent. His strength is not bad, but unfortunately his cultivation is too low. He's only a quasi-emperor. His future is unknown. Ling Huafeng shook his head slightly. Second uncle, do you think that with Mu Yun's talent, the bottleneck of the Divine Emperor realm can trap him? Ling Yue said. That's hard to say. Without a breakthrough, everything is possible. In history there have been countless geniuses who were astonishingly talented, but in the end, they were still trapped in the quasi-emperor realm and were unable to break through. In the end they died of depression. Moreover, even if he can break through to the divine emperor realm, so what? Can he be compared to the geniuses of the angel race? Ling Huafeng smiled. I believe that Mu Yun won't be weaker than anyone, Ling Yue said. Yue, you're too biased towards Mu Yun. The universe is vast and there are countless geniuses who can claim to be number one. Moreover, no matter how talented he is, what can he do? Can he be compared to the entire angel race? He's just a disciple of a small Fengdu sword sect in the Iron Sea Star Field group. He can't be compared to the angel race at all. Yue, you have to think about the overall situation, Ling Huafeng said. If you want to curry favor with the angel race, go do it yourself. Don't drag me into it, Ling Yue said with a cold face. You little girl, big brother, you have to take care of Yue. Ling Huafeng glared at her and finally looked at Ling Huashua. During this process, Ling Huashua didn't say anything. No one knew what he was thinking. At this moment he waved his hand and said, all right, all of you stop talking. Let's go back first. With a wave of his hand, everyone returned to the fairy palace. Yue, you go back and rest first. Also, all of you can disperse together. I'm going to cultivate. After returning to the fairy palace, Ling Huashua waved his hand. Ling Yue, Ling Huafeng, and the others took their leave one after another. After Ling Yue left, she went straight to the resource temple of the elves, intending to retrieve a batch of elven wood hearts for Lu Ming. As for Ling Huafeng, Ling Piao, and the father and daughter pair, they returned to their residence. No, I definitely can't let Ling Yue and Mu Yun walk together. It wasn't easy for me to get on the angel race's path. I definitely can't let it end like this. As soon as she returned to her residence, Ling Piao immediately cried out. Her expression was extremely sinister and ugly, completely different from before. Others might not know, but they knew very well that the reason why Ling Yue had a marriage alliance with the angel race was because she was the one who pulled the strings. By chance, she got to know that monstrous genius of the angel race. After knowing that he liked beauties, she introduced Ling Yue to him. The monstrous genius of the angel race fell in love with Ling Yue the moment he saw her. He immediately sent someone to the elf race, saying that he wanted to marry Ling Yue and marry her. Originally, Ling Huashua didn't want to agree, but after Ling Huafeng's lobbying and analyzing the pros and cons, Ling Huashua finally agreed. Chapter 3897. The marriage with the angel clan had to succeed. This was because once she succeeded, Ling Piao would be able to connect with the angel clan. The angel clan had a very good relationship with the heavenly palace. Once they were connected, their family would rise to the top in the future. There would be endless benefits. Therefore, Ling Yue had to marry the genius of the angel clan. She absolutely could not be destroyed by others. As for the genius of the angel clan, they couldn't be bothered to care whether Ling Yue would be happy or not if she married him. What did it have to do with them whether Ling Yue was happy or not? As long as they were happy, it was fine. I didn't expect that Mu Yun's talent to be so high. Even Hua Xing was easily defeated. I think Ling Huashua is already hesitating. Ling Huafeng also said with a gloomy face. We can't go on like this. We must suppress that brat Mu Yun and even get rid of him. Ling Piao's eyes flashed with cold killing intent. No one could stop her future. If there was, she would make the other party disappear forever. Oh, this is the elf palace. No one can make a move here without being discovered. As long as Mu Yun lives here, we can't send anyone to make a move, Ling Huafeng said. Then let's just ignore it. When that old fellow Ling Huashua changes his mind, it'll be troublesome, Ling Piao said. She didn't have the slightest respect for Ling Huashua. Don't worry, I already have an idea. Ling Huafeng smiled. Dad, you have an idea. What idea? Ling Piao asked quickly. Didn't Mu Yun defeat Hua Xing? He even humiliated him in public. How could Hua Xing be willing to accept such humiliation? And Hua Xing's big brother, Hua Tian, is a monstrous genius of the divine emperor realm. As long as we encourage him, what do you think Hua Tian will do? Ling Huafeng said with a smile, looking like a cunning old fox. That's right. Why didn't I think of that? Father is wise. Ling Piao's eyes lit up. Of course, we can't put all our hopes on Hua Tian. If Hua Tian is no match for him, I still have a plan. Ling Huafeng said. Hua Tian will be defeated? Hua Tian is a monstrous genius of the first layer of the divine emperor realm. Although he wasn't as strong as the current Hua Xing when he was at the quasi-emperor realm, he wasn't too far away. Ling Piao and her brother both had looks of disbelief on their faces. There was a huge gap between the Divine Emperor realm and the Quasi-Emperor realm. Previously, there was a huge gap between them that was difficult to cross. The primitive universe was extremely vast. There were countless races and races. The number of living beings was like the sand of the Ganges, endless. The number of geniuses was also endless. Among the countless heavenly legends, there were less than 1,000 people in the untainted universe who were able to fight against divine emperors at the level of quasi-emperor. 1,000 might seem like a lot, but in the context of the Your Wilds universe, it was a very small number. There were 10,000 powerful races on the great desolate 10,000 races roll. But he could only fight against ordinary cultivators of the first godly emperor layer. As for Hua Tian, he was already a cultivator of the first godly emperor layer. Now that he had broken through to the first godly emperor layer, his fighting abilities were even more astonishing. Who could defeat a cultivator of the first godly emperor layer? They couldn't believe it. I don't believe that Mu Yun can defeat Hua Tian either. However, you have to remember that you have to be prepared for all eventualities. Ling Huafeng said. What is father's second plan? Ling Piao asked. It's simple. The holy seed test of the fairy clan is about to begin. If Hua Tian can't defeat Mu Yun, I will suggest to Ling Huashua that Mu Yun should participate in the holy seed test to prove his talent. At that time he will not only have to face the geniuses of the fairy clan, but also the dangers of the holy seed test. Ling Huafeng said. Wonderful, wonderful. Father, you're the smartest. Ling Piao and Ling Piao's eyes lit up. After Hua Xing left, no one else challenged Lu Ming. Lu Ming was disappointed. He returned to the palace and the young people of the fairy clan also left. However, news of the recent battle spread like wildfire throughout the elf tribe. When Lu Ming returned to the palace, he took out a piece of spirit wood core and absorbed it. The fairy wood core contained a huge amount of life essence and was very pure. It was easy to absorb and was a rare treasure. If an ordinary person swallowed a fairy wood core, they would immediately be reborn. Not only would they be immune to diseases and poisons, but they would also have a lifespan of 10,000 years. Lu Ming held the fairy wood core in his hand. His cells trembled slightly and a powerful suction force burst out. The life essence in the fairy wood core was quickly absorbed by Lu Ming. It rushed into each of his cells and turned into Lu Ming's potential. After absorbing the fairy wood core, Lu Ming's potential increased by 1%. Don't underestimate this 1% because Lu Ming's cultivation base was much deeper than before. The amount of energy needed to increase one's potential by 1% was already very shocking. An ordinary divine emperor level herb might not even be able to increase one's potential by 1%. Lu Ming was quite satisfied. After absorbing one, he took out another one and started to absorb it. One after another. In a short day, 80 of the 100 fairy wood cores that Lu Ming had won had been absorbed and refined. This way, the potential stored in Lu Ming's cells had reached 100%. Of course, not all of this 100% potential would be able to help Lu Ming break through to the Divine Emperor realm. It was definitely not enough. He would probably need to do it many times before he could break through to the Divine Emperor realm. I need to find a place to help me develop my potential. However, this place is not suitable. I should first cultivate the secret technique. After settling Ling Yue's matter, I'll find a place to cultivate properly. Lu Ming pondered. Just as he was thinking, Ling Yue came to find him. Mu Yun, this is for you. Ling Yue threw a storage ring to Lu Ming. Lu Ming received it and scanned it with his spiritual sense. He discovered that there were 1,000 fairy wood cores neatly arranged inside. There are 1,000 fairy wood cores inside. This is the largest amount of fairy wood cores that I can gather within my power. It should be able to help you break through to the Divine Emperor realm, right? Ling Yue said. Thank you. Lu Ming cupped his fists and put it away. He wasn't sure if 1,000 fairy wood cores could help him break through to the Divine Emperor realm, but without a doubt, this was an astonishing amount of wealth. It would be of great help to Lu Ming. You should cultivate well and break through to the Divine Emperor realm as soon as possible. My second uncle and the others will have nothing to say. My lifelong happiness will all be in your hands. Ling Yue said. Her beautiful eyes stared at Lu Ming with splendor. Lu Ming quickly coughed a few times. Why did Ling Yue's words sound so profound? Then let's put it this way. I'm going into seclusion to cultivate. Lu Ming quickly found a reason to chase Ling Yue away. Chapter 3898. After Ling Yue left, Lu Ming began to comprehend the Great God Wind technique. However, he was interrupted after a few hours of cultivation. This was because an arrow suddenly appeared above the palace. The arrow pierced through the air and shot toward Lu Ming's head at an alarming speed. It was astonishingly fast. This was a sure kill arrow. Someone wanted to kill Lu Ming. There was actually someone so bold in the elf palace that dared to kill him. At the critical moment, Lu Ming shifted his body 10 meters away, avoiding the attack of the arrow. Following which, Lu Ming's figure soared into the sky and into the sky. In the air, there was a young man who looked like he wasn't even 30 years old yet. He looked extraordinarily handsome, and his appearance was somewhat similar to Hua Xing's. "Who is Hua Xing to you?" Lu Ming asked directly. "I'm Hua Xing's elder brother, Hua Tian." The young man said coldly, not hiding anything. Lu Ming knew why the other party was here. Obviously he was here to stand up for Hua Xing. After hitting the small one, the big one came. "Haha, with the cultivation of the Divine Emperor realm, you actually sneak attacked a quasi-emperor." "Ah." Lu Ming laughed contemptuously. "You humiliated my brother in public. You deserve to die. After I kill you, I will naturally go to His Majesty to ask for punishment." Hua Tian said coldly, his killing intent extremely cold. At this moment in Ling Huafeng's palace, Ling Huafeng and his daughter were looking through a mirror. The mirror clearly showed the situation of Lu Ming and Hua Tian. "This time I promised Hua Tian a great reward and promised him that after killing Mu Yun I would protect him. He can attack as much as he wants. Let's see how Mu Yun will survive." Ling Piao sneered. In order to let Hua Tian attack in peace, she had paid a great price. In Lu Ming's residence, a great battle was about to break out. Boom. The aura on Hua Tian's body skyrocketed like smoke, forming a huge pressure that surged towards Lu Ming. Facing Hua Tian, Lu Ming didn't dare to be careless. The battle character secret art instantly increased his battle power by 5 times. At the same time, every single cell in Zhang Shen's body was trembling as the taboo energy coursed through his body. The gravity orb buzzed furiously, ready to strike at any moment. Hua Tian wasn't an ordinary cultivator of the first godly emperor layer. Lu Ming could crush ordinary cultivators of the first godly emperor layer with one finger. Hua Tian was also a monstrous genius. He was very strong. When he was at the quasi-emperor realm, he was able to fight across realms. Although he hadn't made a move yet, he was already giving Lu Ming a lot of pressure. Heaven Splitter Bow. Hua Tian let out a long whistle as he knocked an arrow on his bow. A terrifying arrow condensed and flew towards Lu Ming. This was his source secret technique. It was exactly the same as Hua Xing's, but its power was many times stronger than Hua Xing's. Even Lu Ming felt a sense of crisis. Boom. Lu Ming used the Great Destruction technique and threw a punch. A terrifying fist energy streaked across the sky and collided with the arrow. The sky shook violently as a ferocious fissure appeared. A terrifying chi swept in all directions. Some of the chi moved towards the ancient trees on the ground. However, the ancient trees were releasing a green light. When the chi landed on the green light, it disappeared without a trace. It didn't cause the slightest ripple. A violent explosion sounded. Lu Ming's silhouette floated backwards. The arrow also broke apart and turned into energy. What? Surprisingly, he blocked it. Ling Piao and the others, who were watching secretly, frowned. They couldn't believe it. Lu Ming had surprisingly blocked Hua Tian's arrow. What kind of fighting strength was that? How could he be so strong? They were astonished. Hua Tian himself was also deeply shocked. He was very confident in his own strength. He had never thought that a quasi-emperor could block his arrow. How was that possible? "I don't believe it. Kill." Hua Tian shouted as he continued to draw his bow. His divine power surged and turned into a divine arrow that shot towards Lu Ming. However, Lu Ming wouldn't just stand there and let Hua Tian beat him. Closing the distance between them was the best way to deal with a long-range attacker. Swoosh. Lu Ming used the Great Godly Wind technique and closed the distance between him and Hua Tian in a flash. Hua Tian quickly retreated, trying to open the distance between him and Lu Ming. Unfortunately, after using the Great Godly Wind technique, Lu Ming's speed was completely above Hua Tian's. In just a few flashes, Lu Ming appeared not far from Hua Tian and punched out continuously. The terrifying fist energy contained the power of the Great Godly Wind technique and the Great Destruction technique. It pierced through the sky and swept towards Hua Tian. At such a close distance, Hua Tian's arrow couldn't be used to its fullest potential. "Do you think that you can fight me by closing the distance? Naive. Kill." Hua Tian shouted as he pulled his longbow back. Buzz buzz buzz. A series of buzzing sounds could be heard. Every time there was a buzzing sound, an arrow would shoot out. In an instant, dozens of buzzing sounds could be heard as dozens of arrows shot towards Lu Ming. More importantly, these arrows could turn and were extremely agile. They were like flying swords that Hua Tian used his mind to brush past and shoot towards Lu Ming. Boom boom boom. Some of these arrows collided with Lu Ming's fist energy and blocked Lu Ming's attack, while others continued to shoot towards Lu Ming. Lu Ming continued to use the great godly wind technique to dodge the arrows. He continued to close the distance between him and Hua Tian. His fist energy was like a rainbow that crushed the void. Everything in its path was destroyed. Violent energy surged toward Hua Tian with the force of toppling mountains and seas. Hua Tian continued to draw his bow and barely blocked Lu Ming's fist energy, but he was forced to retreat. Buzz. At this moment, a sword gleam suddenly appeared in Hua Tian's hand. The sword gleam expanded and slashed toward Lu Ming, forcefully slicing Lu Ming's fist force apart. Other people think that I'm the best at archery, but I'll tell you now that my sword skills are even better than archery, shouted Hua Tian coldly. His sword light was like a rainbow as it slashed towards Lu Ming. At the same time, he flicked his fingers continuously and several arrows were shot toward Lu Ming. It was a two-pronged attack. To be honest, Hua Tian was really strong. Ordinary cultivators of the first godly emperor layer couldn't withstand a single blow from him. However, there was still a gap between him and Ling Yue at the same level. Therefore, even in the face of such a situation, Lu Ming's expression remained calm. 6 times, Lu Ming muttered to himself. The battle incantation had finally been successfully triggered and he threw a punch. That punch was unprecedentedly powerful. Everything in its path turned into nothingness. The arrows collapsed one after another. The dazzling sword light exploded like tofu and a violent energy crashed onto Hua Tian's body. Hua Tian gave a horrible shriek and was pushed back, coughing up blood. Swoosh. Lu Ming's figure appeared above Hua Tian's head and he stepped on him. Hua Tian gave a horrible shriek as his body fell down like a meteor. He crashed into an ancient tree. The ancient tree only shook a little but nothing happened to it. As for Hua Tian, he coughed up mouthfuls of blood. He didn't know how many of his bones were broken, but his qi was extremely weak. Chapter 3899. Hua Tian was severely injured by Lu Ming. He was defeated and his aura was weak. His expression was very ugly, and his eyes were still filled with disbelief. He had never thought that he would be defeated by a quasi-emperor so thoroughly. Moreover, this quasi-emperor was only from an ordinary universe-level force. He was not from the top 10 races or the Heavenly Palace. If they were from the top 10 clans or geniuses of the Heavenly Palace, he would feel better. But at this moment he had suffered a huge blow. At this moment, Ling Piao and the others who were watching in the dark were also dumbfounded. They were completely speechless. Get lost. Lu Ming stood high in the sky, looking down at Hua Tian with a hint of disdain. He had no intention of killing Hua Tian. If they were outside, he would definitely get rid of someone like Hua Tian who wanted to kill him. However, this was the elf race after all. Moreover, it was in the elf palace. He dared to bet that there were many powerful existences watching from the dark. He could defeat Hua Tian, but if he really wanted to kill Hua Tian, there would probably be an expert who would immediately save Hua Tian. He couldn't kill Hua Tian at all. Hua Tian glared at Lu Ming hatefully, then turned around and left. I wonder if everyone is satisfied with my strength? Lu Ming smiled faintly at the void. He knew that many people would hear his words. This was indeed the case. Not only did Ling Huafeng and his daughter hear it, but Ling Huashua also heard it. He also used a special method to see the scene just now. It's really rare for a quasi-emperor to have such combat strength. Could it be that father is right and I'm wrong? Ling Huashua whispered. With Lu Ming's talent, he was completely worthy of Ling Yue. It was completely enough to be his son-in-law. And just as Ling Yue said, with Lu Ming's talent, would he be trapped by the bottleneck of the Divine Emperor realm? Ordinary monstrous geniuses might be trapped by such a bottleneck, but a genius like Lu Ming who could no longer be measured by common sense would be trapped? He himself didn't believe it. Lu Ming's future was limitless. The Divine Emperor realm was definitely not his final destination. Stepping into a higher realm was something that was set in stone. However, the temptation of the angels was too great. Once he married the angels, he would have a much greater say in the primitive universe. It would also play a huge role in the future development of the elves. On one side was his daughter's happiness, and on the other was the future development of the elven race. How should he choose? Ling Huashua frowned deeply. At this moment, a figure floated in. It was Ling Yue. As soon as the battle between Lu Ming and Hua Tian ended, Ling Yue received the news and immediately rushed over to meet Ling Huashua. Father, I believe you've seen Mu Yun's strength. It's rare. Few people in the entire primitive universe can match him. Such a genius is worthy of your daughter. When he grows up in the future, he'll bring great benefits to the elf clan. Therefore, father, please cancel the marriage with the angel clan. Ling Yue said. Hua Tian's challenge came at the perfect time to prove Lu Ming's strength. This. Ling Huashua's frown deepened. For a moment, it was hard for him to make a decision. Big brother, at this moment, a voice rang out as Ling Huafeng floated in. For people like Ling Yue and Ling Huafeng, if they wanted to meet Ling Huashua, they naturally didn't need to report and could directly enter. Big brother, I also know about the situation just now. I feel that although Mu Yun's talent is astonishing, and in terms of talent he is indeed worthy of Yue, but he is still far from being as useful as the angel clan to our clan. If he wants to marry Yue, he has to prove that he is even more valuable. Ling Huafeng said. Second uncle, is this not enough? How else do you want to prove it? Don't go too far. Ling Yue was a little angry as she glared at Ling Huafeng. Impudent! How dare you talk to your second uncle like that? Ling Huashua shouted softly, then stared at Ling Huafeng and said, Second brother, what do you suggest? The Holy Seed assessment is about to begin. Let Mu Yun participate in the Holy Seed assessment. As long as he can bring out 12 high-level elven tree seeds, it will prove that his talent is indeed unparalleled. Only then will we risk offending the angel clan and let him marry Yue. Ling Huafeng said. What? To participate in the Holy Seed assessment and bring out 12 high-level elven tree seeds? That's impossible. Even the top geniuses of our elf clan can't do it with the protection of the elf bloodline. Mu Yun is an outsider. Without the protection of the elf bloodline, he will be in even more danger in the ancestral land. How can he obtain 12 high-level elven tree seeds? I don't agree to this. Ling Yue immediately cried out, her face full of anger. She knew that Lu Ming's talent was unparalleled, his combat strength was powerful, he had many trump cards, and he even controlled several great killing weapons. However, in the elf clan's holy land, one couldn't rely on external objects. In other words, those great killing weapons couldn't be used. Not only that, everyone who entered the elf clan's ancestral land would be suppressed, and their strength would be greatly reduced. Moreover, the elf clan's ancestral land contained a large number of evil spirits. These evil spirits were all experts of various races who had been killed by the elf clan when they were alive. They were all extremely vicious and evil people. After these creatures died, they turned into evil spirits and would attack other creatures who entered the elf clan's ancestral land. However, because these evil spirits were very feared by the elf clan, as long as they had the bloodline of the elf clan, not many evil spirits would dare to attack them. Only some particularly ferocious evil spirits would attack the elf clan. However, if non-elves entered, they would be attacked crazily by these evil spirits. At that time, there would be a large number of elf clan geniuses entering the ancestral land. Among them, there was no lack of geniuses who had already broken through to the Divine Emperor realm. Moreover, it was obvious that these elf clan geniuses would most likely attack Lu Ming because of Ling Yue. Those were all Divine Emperor realm geniuses. With so many unfavorable factors added together, if Lu Ming were to enter the ancestral land, it would be extremely dangerous. Not to mention he still had to obtain 12 high-level elf tree species. That would be even more difficult, countless times more difficult. Ling Huafeng's intentions were sinister, and his heart was punishable. She naturally had to oppose it. Yue Muyun has no background or backing. If he wants to compare with the Angel clan, he can only rely on himself. If he can't display talent, strength, and potential that far surpasses the other geniuses, how can we choose him? Ling Huafeng advised earnestly. But this is too much. Ling Yue still wanted to fight, but was stopped by Ling Huashua. Your second uncle is right. Unless Mu Yun can display extraordinary abilities, only then can I truly make a decision. Ling Huashua said. But, alright, don't say any more. This matter is settled. If Mu Yun doesn't agree, then we can only let him leave the elf clan. Ling Huashua pressed down with his hand, leaving no room for doubt. Chapter 3900. Ling Huashua said to Ling Yue in an unquestionable tone, causing Ling Yue's expression to turn ugly. She understood her royal father. Once he made a decision, no one could change it, including her. Alright, the Holy Seed examination will begin in 3 months. Go and inform Mu Yun so that he can prepare early. If he doesn't agree, then he can leave the elf race. Your engagement with him can also be completely annulled. Ling Huashua said. Ling Yue left the elf palace with an ugly expression and found Lu Ming. Holy Seed examination? Lu Ming was slightly stunned. He thought to himself that it was true that this matter would not be resolved so easily. There was another Holy Seed assessment. Mu Yun, Thank you for coming to the elf race to help me. However, let's forget about this matter. You can leave the elf race. From now on, the two of us will have nothing to do with each other. Ling Yue gritted her teeth, her eyes slightly red. Originally, Lu Ming should have been happy when he heard this news, but at this moment he didn't want to leave. Is the Holy Seed examination very dangerous? Lu Ming asked, guessing Ling Yue's thoughts. Yes, it's very dangerous. The Holy Seed examination requires one to enter one of the ancestral lands of the elf race. In the distant past, that ancestral land was a place that suppressed the great enemies of the elf race and killed countless evil existences. However, that place is also a place that nurtures the elf tree species. The elf tree is the key to the development of the elf race. The more elf tree species there are, the more elf trees they can grow, and the more powerful the elf race will be. Originally, in the distant past, there were quite a few places where the elf race nurtured the elf tree species. However, after countless years of turmoil, many of the places that nurtured the elf tree species were destroyed. Currently, there are only 2 places where the elf race still retains the elf tree species. One of them is in this ancestral land. This ancestral land is also the most important place. Legend has it that it contains the Holy Seed. The Holy Seed can grow the legendary elven sacred tree. It's the ultimate treasure of the elven tribe. Now the elven sacred tree no longer exists in the elven tribe. The only elven sacred tree was destroyed in the last turmoil. Therefore, the goal of every test is to enter the ancestral land and obtain the elven tree seed. However, the ancestral land is very dangerous. Ling Yue explained in detail as well as how dangerous the ancestral land was. Why do we have to let young people go in? Can't the elves just send their experts in? Lu Ming asked curiously. Ling Yue shook her head and said, a long time ago this ancestral land was set up with layers of restrictions by the ancestors of the elves. Only the younger generation can enter. Because it contains evil spirits, the purpose of the fairy race's ancestor was to use it to train the younger generation of the fairy race. But now the fairy race's powerhouses can't even go in. They can only send a group of young geniuses in to search for fairy tree seeds every once in a while. I see. Lu Ming nodded. It was likely that in the distant past, when the elves were at their peak, there was no lack of fairy tree seeds. Therefore, that ancestral land was built as a place to train young people, and the older ones were not allowed to enter. Who would have thought that now the elves were in a serious shortage of fairy tree seeds? They couldn't even enter the ancestral land to search for fairy tree seeds, so they could only send young people in. It could be considered a test for the younger generation. I want to know, is there a reward for obtaining the fairy tree seed? Lu Ming asked. At this time you're still thinking about rewards? Do you really want to participate? Ling Yue glared at him. Is there anything impossible about it? Let's see if the benefits are enough. Lu Ming said with a smile. There will definitely be a reward. The fairy tree seed is divided into low level, middle level, and high level. Of course, at the top there is also the holy seed. Obtained a low-level fairy tree seed as a reward, obtained a mid-level fairy tree seed as a reward, obtained 100 fairy tree hearts as a reward, obtained a high-level fairy tree seed as a reward, obtained 1,000 fairy tree hearts, Ling Yue explained. Lu Ming's eyes became incomparably bright. The reward was simply too generous. Moreover, he was too tempted by the fairy tree heart. It was only the first step for him to step into the divine emperor realm, but the amount of resources he had consumed was already terrifying. After stepping into the divine emperor realm, the amount of resources he would consume would be even more terrifying. The spirit wood heart was a treasure with very pure life essence. It was easy to absorb and refine it. Lu Ming liked it very much. Naturally, the more such treasures there were, the better. The mission your royal father gave me was to obtain 12 high-level fairy tree seeds. As long as I complete it, wouldn't I be rewarded with 12,000 fairy tree hearts? The more Lu Ming spoke, the brighter his eyes became. One had to know that Ling Yue had only managed to get him 1,000 fairy tree hearts. As long as he obtained a high-level fairy tree seed, he would be able to obtain 1,000 fairy tree hearts. How could this not move Lu Ming's heart? Yes, the fairy tree seed is much more valuable than the fairy tree heart. Every fairy tree can nurture a lot of fairy tree hearts, but in the ancestral land, it's very difficult to obtain the fairy tree seed. The ancestral land is divided into a total of 9 levels. The first 3 levels can only nurture low-level fairy tree seeds. Of course, the danger is relatively small. The middle 3 levels have low-level fairy tree seeds and mid-level fairy tree seeds, but relatively speaking they are much more dangerous. As for the high-level fairy tree seeds, they can only be found after the 7th level. There are fewer on the 7th level, and the further one goes the more there are, but the more dangerous it is. The 7th level of the ancestral land is extremely dangerous. Every time, there will be powerful geniuses of the fairy clan falling. As for you, you are a human. Without the protection of the fairy clan's bloodline, you will be in even more danger. Not to mention obtaining 12 high-level fairy tree seeds, I'm afraid you won't even be able to enter the 7th level. This is an impossible mission, so you should leave. Ling Yue said, shaking her head and sighing. Leave? Why should I leave? With such a generous reward, wouldn't it be a pity if I didn't participate? Lu Ming laughed. Now, even if the fairy clan chased him away, he wouldn't leave. Even if the fairy clan's ancestral land was dangerous, Lu Ming was still somewhat confident. At the very least, he was still confident in protecting himself. Faced with such an opportunity, how could he be willing to give it a try? You really want to participate? Ling Yue stared at him, but there was still some joy in the depths of her eyes. Could it be that Lu Ming was doing this for her? Of course, for the fairy tree heart, I'll go all out. Lu Ming clenched his fists, his eyes shining. Humph, Ling Yue snorted coldly. The matter was settled. Lu Ming accepted the mission and agreed to enter the fairy clan's ancestral land for the examination. There were still 3 months left. Although 3 months was short, it couldn't be wasted. Lu Ming asked Ling Yue about a good place and planned to cultivate there. Chapter 3901. The Absolute Wind Cultivation Ground was a famous cultivation ground in the elf tribe. This place was filled with violent astral winds that had destructive power. Many of the elf tribe's geniuses liked to come here to cultivate their archery skills. The astral winds here were violent. Being able to hit the target 100% of the time and penetrate the astral winds with great power showed that one's archery skills were very good. Using the astral winds to cultivate one's archery skills was very effective. Lu Ming came here to cultivate the Great Divine Wind technique. After such a long time of cultivation, Lu Ming felt that the Great Divine Wind technique had reached a bottleneck. If he took another step, he would reach the minor accomplishment realm and its power would increase tremendously. Once the Great Divine Wind technique reached the minor accomplishment realm, Lu Ming's strength would increase again and he would be more confident in his trip to the elf tribe's ancestral land. After all, with only 3 months, it was almost impossible for him to make a breakthrough in his cultivation. Hoo! In front of him, the wind whistled and was extremely terrifying. Even the space was shattered and torn apart by the wind. The space fragments were mixed with the wind and its power was even more terrifying. Lu Ming rushed in without hesitation. As soon as he rushed into the range of the astral winds, the terrifying astral winds swept towards Lu Ming. Lu Ming used the Great Divine Wind technique. The astral winds parted on both sides of Lu Ming before they could touch him. Lu Ming was not affected at all. The astral winds here are still too weak. Lu Ming shook his head. The astral winds were too weak and had no effect on Lu Ming's cultivation. Lu Ming continued to step forward and went deeper. The deeper he went, the stronger the astral winds were. Lu Ming kept moving forward and soon he was hundreds of thousands of miles away. At this point, the astral winds were extremely terrifying. It carried with it spatial fragments and whistled as if it could tear everything apart. Hoo! Here, Lu Ming saw a few arrow lights whizzing past, breaking through the astral winds and flying into the distance. 2 geniuses of the elf clan were cultivating. They had both reached the Divine Emperor realm. The 2 elven prodigies also saw Lu Ming and were curious. This was the elves' place of cultivation. Very few outsiders would come here, unless they were from a race that was on good terms with the elves. They curiously sized up Lu Ming, but Lu Ming ignored them and continued to walk forward, quickly leaving this place. Next, Lu Ming encountered several groups of elites from the elf clan. Almost all of them were at the Divine Emperor realm. Lu Ming sighed inwardly. The elf clan was indeed a powerful clan. They had a strong foundation and many elites. There were even quite a number of elites at the Divine Emperor realm. No wonder not many people really cared about the top 100 quasi-emperors list. After all, only those who had reached the God Emperor realm could be considered as outstanding talents in the primitive universe. After a short time, Lu Ming traveled 1,000,000 li. Finally, Lu Ming was satisfied with the strength of the astral winds. Lu Ming was cultivating there, but after a short time, Lu Ming suddenly opened his eyes and looked in a certain direction. 2 people were coming from that direction. They were 2 young geniuses of the elf clan, a man and a woman. The man was handsome and the woman was beautiful. They both released a terrifying chi. Surprisingly, the astral winds around them couldn't do anything to them. 3rd Godly Emperor Layer. Lu Ming's pupils shrank slightly. At such a young age, they had already broken through to the 3rd Godly Emperor Layer. Those two were probably the strongest young geniuses of the elf clan. As soon as the two of them appeared, their powerful auras locked onto Lu Ming. "You must be Mu Yun, the one who defeated Hua Xing and Hua Tian?" asked the woman first. "That's me." Lu Ming nodded. "Very well, I heard that you are very arrogant and don't put us elves in your eyes. I originally planned to go back and meet you after I finished my cultivation, but I didn't expect you to deliver yourself to me. Very well, make your move. I'll give you 3 chances to make your move." This time the one who spoke was a male elf. His voice was cold and haughty, and he looked as if he was the #1 elf in the world. Lu Ming was speechless. That guy had the strength of the 3rd godly emperor layer, and on top of that he was challenging a quasi-emperor. However, Lu Ming was not afraid of him. Whoosh! Lu Ming immediately made his move, activating the Great Divine Wind technique. In this place, by using the Great Godly Wind technique, one would be able to unleash its full power. The terrifying astral wind was drawn by the Great God Wind technique and turned into a terrifying storm that swept towards the male elf. "Humph, insignificant tricks, open for me." The male elf coldly shouted, and a war bow appeared and an arrow was shot. The arrow whistled and tore through the void. It directly tore through all the astral winds and created a passage. Unable to withstand a single blow, the male elf wanted to act cool, but before he could finish he screamed in horror. This was because behind the astral winds, there was an even more terrifying gale that was sweeping towards him. Lu Ming didn't want to waste any more time with his opponent, so he immediately used the gale bead. His opponent was a genius of the 3rd godly emperor layer. Even if he wasn't as strong as Hua Xing and Hua Tian, his cultivation level was too high. Lu Ming couldn't compete with him. After all, he was a genius. He had broken through to the 3rd godly emperor layer at such a young age. Therefore, Lu Ming directly used his trump card. The male and female elves were directly swept into the terrifying gale. They constantly screamed and tried their best to resist. After a while, they were sent flying and vomited large mouthfuls of blood. Tragic, too tragic. His entire body was in tatters, and the clothes on his body had been cut into strips by the strong wind. They were even worse than those of a beggar. There were cuts all over his body. Compared to the handsome and beautiful image he had before, he was a world away from being a million miles away. Of course, Lu Ming had been merciful, otherwise he would have died. "That's all you've got and you still want to act cool? Piss off," said Lu Ming, waving his hand casually. You, the male and female elves were staring at Lu Ming, their eyes were filled with flames of fury and murder. They were going to explode from anger. "You're relying on external strength and treasures. What kind of strength is that? If you're strong enough, use your real strength to fight against me," shouted the male elf furiously. "You have the strength of the 3rd godly emperor layer and you want to challenge me, a quasi-emperor layer. If you're strong enough, let's fight at the same level. I can crush you with one finger," shouted Lu Ming icily. The male elf's face turned red and he was speechless. "Little boy, I've heard that you're going to participate in the Holy Seed exam. Wait and see. In the ancestral land, external strength is useless. You better not meet me in the ancestral land," shouted the male elf furiously. His eyes were ice cold. He had already received Ling Piao's message. She had told him to take good care of Lu Ming in the ancestral land. Chapter 3902. The male elf had received a message from Ling Piao before, telling him to take good care of Lu Ming in the ancestral land. Therefore, when he saw Lu Ming, he couldn't help but attack. After the male elf said that, he left with the female elf with his tail between his legs. "You knew I was going to participate in the Holy Seed examination? So fast." Lu Ming's eyes flickered a few times. He felt that someone had deliberately leaked the news. "Is it Ling Yue's cousin?" Lu Ming whispered. He had also heard Ling Yue mention Ling Piao and her brother. He knew that these two siblings wanted Ling Yue to marry the genius of the Angel clan. It's a bit troublesome to meet such a person in the ancestral land. The Great Divine Wind technique must break through. Lu Ming whispered. In the ancestral land of the Elf clan, the strong wind pearl and the mysterious ice rod could not be used. Even Qiu could not be brought in. He could only rely on his own cultivation. Moreover, there was a strong suppressive effect inside. Facing a genius of the 3rd layer of the Divine Emperor realm, Lu Ming was really not a match. He had to increase his strength as soon as possible. Continue to go deeper. Lu Ming continued to fly deeper, wanting to use the stronger astral winds to cultivate. After flying for hundreds of thousands of miles, the astral winds here had reached an extremely terrifying place. Even if Lu Ming used the Great Divine Wind technique, he still felt a huge pressure. It was very dangerous. At this point, it was almost impossible to see the geniuses of the elf clan cultivating. Lu Ming cultivated the great divine wind technique here. As he circulated it, he drew out a violent astral wind. In the astral wind, he comprehended the mysteries of the great divine wind technique. Time flew by. In the blink of an eye, 3 months had passed. "I've finally broken through." A surprised voice came out from the endless astral wind. Then the astral wind quickly wriggled and turned into all kinds of shapes. There were sabers, swords, tigers, lions. Then with a bang, the astral wind that had turned into all kinds of shapes collapsed, revealing a young figure inside. This young figure was naturally Lu Ming, who had been cultivating here for 3 months. After cultivating bitterly for 3 months, his great divine wind art had finally broken through and reached the small success stage. One had to know that before this, it was only at the entry stage. The greater divine wind technique had reached the minor completion realm, and its might had increased explosively. It was at least on par with a secret origin technique. Having severed 5 shackles was already quite terrifying. Among the younger generation, there were very, very few who could sever 5 shackles of an origin secret art. It's almost time. The Holy Seed assessment is about to begin. Lu Ming smiled and left, returning to his residence. Just as he returned, he saw that Ling Yue was already waiting here. "Muyun, how's your cultivation going?" Seeing Lu Ming, Ling Yue quickly asked. "Not bad, I've made a breakthrough." Lu Ming smiled faintly. He made a breakthrough in just 3 months? Ling Yue was very surprised. At their level, 3 months' time was really too short. In order to achieve a breakthrough, be it in terms of God Force, Origin Secret Arts, or cultivation, it was not something that could be achieved in just 3 months. The breakthrough that Lu Ming spoke of was naturally not a simple one. She didn't expect that Lu Ming would really be able to achieve a breakthrough in 3 months. "Muyun, are you really confident?" "I'm not joking. It's really dangerous in the ancestral land. If you leave now, it's not too late." After thinking for a while, Ling Yue couldn't help but advise him. She wasn't being courteous. She was really worried about Lu Ming. "Let's go. The Holy Seed assessment should be starting soon." Lu Ming smiled and took the lead to leave. Ling Yue had no choice but to follow. "Then remember, after entering the ancestral land, it's best if you stay by my side. After all, I'm from the Elven royal family." On the way, Ling Yue's nagging voice could be heard. On a tree stump. Yes, at this moment, Lu Ming and the others were standing on a tree stump. This was an ancient tree stump that had been cut off, leaving behind a tree stump. However, this tree stump was too big. Its diameter was a terrifying 100,000 miles, comparable to a continent. It was said that this was the stump left behind by the Elven race's holy tree. The tree stump was as smooth as a mirror. When the sun shone on it, it could even reflect light. Legend had it that the holy tree was cut off by a sword during the last chaos. The Elven holy tree itself was an indestructible sacred object. An attack that could destroy a planet could not leave a single trace on the Elven holy tree. However, the Elven holy tree was cut off by a single sword strike. From this, it could be seen how terrifying the strength of the person who attacked was. On the mirror-like ground, there were already many young elves, both men and women, standing there. When Lu Ming and Ling Yue arrived, pairs of eyes pierced towards Lu Ming like sharp swords. "Mu Yun. Is this Mu Yun? A mere quasi-emperor, humph?" Surprised or cold voices rang out. Among them, there were a few gazes that contained strong murderous intent. Lu Ming could easily sense the gazes that contained murderous intent. Following the gazes, Lu Ming saw a few familiar figures. The 2 brothers, Hua Xing and Hua Tian, looked at Lu Ming coldly. However, there was a trace of fear in their cold eyes. There was also a young man and a young woman. They were the 2 people who had been ruthlessly beaten up by Lu Ming with the Gale Pearl. Their gazes were filled with killing intent that was not concealed at all. Lu Ming was not afraid at all. He grinned. Whoosh, whoosh. Suddenly 2 figures appeared in the sky. They were 2 old elves, a man and a woman. Their hair was snow white, but the aura they emitted was unfathomable. They were definitely above the Divine Emperor level. When these 2 people appeared, the scene immediately quieted down. Because these 2 people were very powerful elders of the Elven race. "Greetings, elders." Everyone bowed. The elders of the Elven race had a very high status in the Elven race. This was because those who could sit in the position of elders had very powerful cultivation and strength. Even a princess like Ling Yue couldn't be presumptuous in front of an elder. I don't need to say more about the specific content of the Holy Seed examination. You should all know. As for the reward, it's still the same as before. Obtain a low-level Elven tree seed and 10 Elven wood cores. Obtain a mid-level elven tree seed and 100 elven wood cores. As for obtaining the holy seed, then as long as the conditions are not excessive, we will definitely try our best to satisfy them. The white-haired male elder said. These words caused the eyes of many young geniuses to burst with a blazing light. This kind of reward was truly tempting. Especially the reward of obtaining the holy seed, it was simply too shocking. Some young geniuses, such as Hua Xing, who had feelings for Ling Yue, roared in their hearts that they must obtain the holy seed. This way they could propose marriage to the elven patriarch and marry Ling Yue. He believed that the elven patriarch would not disagree with this condition. Chapter 3903. I won't say much else, I only have one thing to say. The elven tree seed is extremely important to the elven race, and it concerns the development of the elven race. Therefore you must do your best on this trip, for yourselves and for the elven race. Do you understand? The female elder shouted loudly, her voice high. Understood. Many people roared, clenching their fists tightly. Very good, come with us now. The female elder said. After saying that, the two elders turned around and left. Everyone followed the two elders and left the elven palace. Then they stepped into a wormhole. After a full day and night, they arrived at a remote planet. On this planet there was a grand palace built. Lu Ming could vaguely feel that there were many terrifying auras around the palace. Obviously, this was the entrance to the elven ancestral land. There were many terrifying experts hidden in the dark, guarding this place. They walked into the hall and saw a huge door. It was a spatial door. Go in, you only have 3 months. In these 3 months, the evil spirits inside belong to the sleeping period, and only a few have woken up. After 3 months, when all the evil spirits have woken up, it will be very dangerous. You must come out within 3 months, do you understand? The male elder warned. Everyone nodded. Then they all charged into the spatial gate and disappeared into it. Lu Ming and Ling Yue also rushed towards the stone door and disappeared. In the next moment, Lu Ming discovered that he had appeared in the sky above a forest. The forest was lush and verdant, and it was a scene full of vitality. What a dense life essence. Lu Ming carefully sensed and discovered that the life essence in the air was extremely dense. With just a casual breath, he could inhale a large amount of life essence. Lu Ming saw that in the middle of the lush forest, there were many towering stone pagodas. They seemed very lofty. These stone towers are where the evil spirits are suppressed. The evil spirits reside in these stone towers. Of course, some of them will wander around, especially at night. Ling Yue appeared beside Lu Ming and introduced him. So that's how it is. Then how do we find the elven tree seed? Lu Ming asked. The nurturing process of the sprite tree is very strange. It is not nurtured out of thin air. Instead, it is nurtured from a certain plant. For example, in this forest there are a large number of sycamore trees. Most of them are ordinary trees, but maybe one of them will mutate and become very strange. It can condense a special fruit, and that fruit will be the sprite seed. Of course, it's also because of the unique environment here that it's able to breed sprite seeds. Outside, the chances of ordinary plants growing sprite seeds are millions of times lower. Ling Yue introduced. Lu Ming was secretly amazed. This was completely different from what he had imagined. He originally thought that the sprite tree was naturally born from the environment of heaven and earth. He didn't expect that it was actually born from the mutation of ordinary plants. The Great Thousand Worlds was truly filled with all sorts of strange things. Let's start searching, Lu Ming said. Immediately he spread out his spiritual sense and swept through the forest. Plants mutated and gave birth to sprite seeds. The energy fluctuations contained were definitely different and could be easily sensed. The first 3 levels can only nurture low-level sprite seeds. Moreover, every time the holy seed assessment is conducted, it will be the cleanest. It's more difficult to find sprite seeds. Let's go to the middle 3 levels to look for them. Ling Yue said. How do we get to the middle 3 levels? Lu Ming asked. There are a total of 9 entrances from the first level to the second level. They are scattered all over the first level. You can find them if you look for them. Ling Yue said. Lu Ming nodded. Immediately, the two of them searched for the entrance while searching for the sprite seeds. The range of each level was extremely large. The two of them flew for 2 hours, but they still hadn't found an entrance. Suddenly Lu Ming's eyes lit up as he looked to the left. With a flash, he appeared 3,000 miles away, standing above a forest. Below there was a sycamore tree. It was especially tall, 1/3 taller than the other sycamore trees. Furthermore, the life essence it emitted was especially exuberant. On the branch there was a bulge that looked like a fruit. Sprite seed, I didn't expect that we would encounter a sprite seed so quickly. Looks like our luck is not bad. Ling Yue appeared beside Lu Ming and said in surprise. Is this the sprite seed? Lu Ming revealed a look of curiosity. He flew down and landed in front of the fruit. With a stroke of his finger, a beam of divine light flashed and the fruit was cut open. Immediately, a gush of majestic life essence permeated the air. In the middle of the fruit there was a green seed. It was sparkling and translucent, like a piece of beautiful jade. Lu Ming reached out and grabbed it in his hands. What a dense life essence. Is this still a low-level sprite seed? Lu Ming looked at Ling Yue and asked. It is indeed a low-level sprite seed. Ling Yue nodded. Let's find a few more and split them evenly. Lu Ming said. No need, you can keep it. Your mission requires 12 high-level sprite seed. Even if it's a low-level sprite seed, when you gather 100 of them, you can exchange them for high-level sprite seed with others. When the time comes, there should be people exchanging them for me. After all, there's no loss and the rewards are the same. Ling Yue said, wholeheartedly wanting to help Lu Ming complete the mission. Lu Ming smiled and didn't say anything. He took out a jade box and put away the low-level sprite seed. However, their goal was not a low-level sprite seed, so even if they found one, they didn't continue to search carefully. Instead, they continued to search for the entrance. However, before the two of them could fly far, they suddenly felt a sense of danger. The two of them couldn't help but stop. The sky in front of them suddenly darkened, and a large amount of dark clouds flew over. No, it wasn't a dark cloud, but a strange creature. It was huge and extremely evil. It let out a roar, and a bloody light appeared in its eyes. It was filled with a baleful aura as it flew towards Lu Ming and Ling Yue. Evil spirit. A word immediately appeared in Lu Ming's mind. At the same time, he instinctively wanted to circulate his taboo energy and prepare to attack. However, when he circulated his taboo energy, he suddenly felt a powerful force surging towards him from the heavens and earth, wanting to suppress his power. He already knew that after entering the elven ancestral land, his cultivation would be suppressed and he wouldn't be able to display his full strength. He didn't feel it before, but now that he was circulating his energy, he finally felt it. Open for me. All the cells in Lu Ming's body trembled as taboo energy burst out to resist the pressure. Chapter 3904. Lu Ming unleashed all of his taboo energy to resist the pressure. Strangely enough, when the pressure was struck by the taboo energy, it was like a deflated balloon, disappearing without a trace. It disappeared. What's going on? The power of the suppression is so weak? Lu Ming was extremely surprised. It's not that the suppression power is weak, but that your taboo energy is too high. This kind of suppression power can suppress other powers, but it can't suppress taboo energy. The Bone Demon's voice rang out as it gave an explanation. Lu Ming was overjoyed. The suppression power here couldn't suppress his taboo energy. Didn't that mean that he could still unleash his peak strength? However, the others would be suppressed. Lu Ming couldn't help but sneer in his heart. It said that one can't rely on external objects. Look at the Gale Pearl and the Ice Shen Rod. Lu Ming's heart stirred as he tried to control the Gale Pearl and the Ice Shen Rod. However, he discovered that there was no movement at all, as if he had lost contact with the two divine weapons. Then Lu Ming tried to communicate with the ordinary divine weapons, but there was no response. Indeed, he couldn't rely on external forces here. No divine weapon could be used, and he could only rely on his own strength and secret techniques. It's fine. If I can't use the divine weapon, then so be it. My strength isn't suppressed. That's good. Lu Ming's face was full of smiles. Originally, 12 high-level elven tree species were extremely difficult, but now Lu Ming was full of confidence. Evil spirits? Good, let me test your strength. Lu Ming's eyes flashed and he was about to make a move. Let me do it. A delicate shout rang out as Ling Yue stepped forward, her body filled with a powerful aura. However, Lu Ming felt that Ling Yue's aura was much weaker than when she was at her peak. It was obvious that she had been suppressed. Even so, when the evil spirits sensed Ling Yue's aura, they all stopped moving and stopped roaring. The baleful aura in their eyes was gone, and instead, they revealed looks of fear. With a scream, they turned around and ran, disappearing without a trace in the blink of an eye. These evil spirits were scared away. It settled so easily. Lu Ming was tongue-tied and dumbfounded. Our elven bloodline has a deterrent effect on these evil spirits. Moreover, I have the royal bloodline, so the deterrent effect is even greater. Ling Yue explained. Then wouldn't this place be yours to roam freely? Lu Ming said. How could it be that simple? This is only the first level of the world. The evil spirits are the weakest. The further you go, the stronger the evil spirits will become. The deterrence of the elven bloodline towards the evil spirits will become weaker and weaker. Later on, even the elves themselves will be in danger. Ling Yue explained. Lu Ming nodded. This made sense. Otherwise, wouldn't the elven tree seed be harvested by the elves? This was just a small interlude. The two of them continued on their way, searching for the entrance to the next level. Finally, an hour later they saw a spatial vortex. This spatial vortex was the gate to the second level. There was no one else near the gate. Either they hadn't found the whirlpool yet, or the person who found it had already entered the next world through the whirlpool. The two of them stepped into the whirlpool, and in the next moment, they had already arrived in another world. However, they still appeared in the sky above a forest. The ancestral land of the elves was filled with plants and forests. The trees in this forest were all fiery red and emitted traces of heat. Moreover, the life essence emitted by these trees was even denser than on the first level. This way it would be easier to nurture the elven tree seed. At the same time, Lu Ming sensed that the suppressive force here was stronger than that on the first level. However, it was still unable to suppress the taboo force. Once the taboo force propped it up, it would be pushed away. The second level still only has low-level elven tree seeds. Let's continue to the next level. There are 8 entrances to the next level from the second level. Ling Yue explained. The further they went, the fewer entrances to the next level. The two of them turned into 2 streaks of light and left this place. They continued to search for the entrance to the next level while searching for the elven tree seed. This time they had only flown for half an hour when Lu Ming sensed something. He discovered that there was something abnormal about 1,000 miles in front of him to the left. The two of them flashed and arrived at this place. They discovered a particularly tall tree with a fruit on its branch. Another elven tree seed. That's right. Lu Ming smiled. Even a low-level elven tree seed could be exchanged for 10 elven wood cores. Its value was extremely high. Lu Ming was about to put it away when suddenly, a terrifying force pierced towards Lu Ming from high up in the sky. Its speed was shockingly fast. Lu Ming hurriedly retreated. Then an arrow broke through the ground where Lu Ming was standing. With a loud boom, a deep pit was blasted open on the ground. Lu Ming's gaze turned cold as he raised his head to look at the sky. A few figures appeared in the sky. Lu Ming even recognized 2 of them. They were the 2 elves who had been ruthlessly beaten up by Lu Ming in the astral wind field. Previously, Lu Ming had secretly asked Ling Yue and knew that these 2 were famous geniuses of the elf clan. They were a couple. One was called Ling Fei, and the other was called Hua Min. Ling Fei was the male elf, and Hua Min was the female elf. Other than the 2 of them, there were 2 other people who were weaker than Ling Fei and Hua Min. They were at the second layer of the Divine Emperor realm. The one who had attacked just now was Ling Fei. Haha, looks like our luck is not bad. Kid, I've finally met you. Here you can't rely on external forces. Let's see how you can be so arrogant. Ling Fei sneered, his eyes incomparably ferocious. When he thought of how miserably he had been beaten up by Lu Ming, the anger in his heart burned fiercely. He wanted nothing more than to tear Lu Ming into pieces. Moreover, if he killed Lu Ming, Ling Piao would still have a huge reward. What do you want? Ling Yue shouted and stepped forward, blocking Lu Ming behind her. From Ling Yue's point of view, she couldn't rely on external forces here. No matter how strong Lu Ming was, he wouldn't be a match for Ling Fei and the others. Princess, get out of the way. This person is extremely daring. Previously, he relied on external forces to heavily injure me. I must take revenge for this. Ling Fei shouted loudly, his cold killing intent undisguised. How could Ling Yue move aside? She frowned and scolded, with me here, who dares to make a move? All of you scram. Princess Yu, Ling Fei looked at Ling Yue with an ugly expression. Ling Yue was, after all, the elf princess. Her status was revered and was not something they could compare to. If Ling Yue insisted on protecting Lu Ming, it would be difficult for them to make a move. Unless they dealt with Ling Yue first. However, did they dare to make a move against Ling Yue? If they really did make a move against Ling Yue, they would be in a miserable state after they left. Chapter 3905. Therefore Ling Fei and the others hesitated. Princess, you can protect him for a while, but you can't protect him for a lifetime. Unless you stay with him forever, Ling Fei shouted. Seeing Ling Yue protecting Lu Ming so much, he was simply envious and jealous of Lu Ming. Scram. If you don't scram, I'll have to personally send you off. Ling Yue shouted coldly as she used her divine power to condense a battle bow. An arrow was condensed and aimed at Ling Fei before launching an attack. Damn it. Ling Fei, Hua Min and the others roared in their hearts, but they really didn't dare to fight with Ling Yue. Ling Yue, not only was her status far higher than theirs, her talent was also far higher than theirs. Ling Yue was only a little younger than them, so her cultivation was lower than theirs. As long as Ling Yue was given some time, her cultivation would catch up to them sooner or later and surpass them. Brat, hiding behind a woman is truly pitiful. Let's see how long you can hide. Just you wait. Ling Fei hatefully left behind these words, then turned around and left with Hua Min and the others, disappearing without a trace in the blink of an eye. Lu Ming did not make a move. This was because now was not a good time to make a move. He was not an impulsive person who would immediately make a move just because of a few words from the other party. In this place, the further one went into the world, the stronger the suppression would be. To be honest, Lu Ming was not completely confident in making a move here. After all, the other party's cultivation was at the 3rd level of the Divine Emperor realm, and not just one person, they were all geniuses. Lu Ming did not have the confidence to rely on his own strength. As for Chiu Chiu, he could not enter. He had long been left behind by Lu Ming in his residence. However, the further one went into the world, the stronger the suppression would be. The suppression on others would be stronger, but it did not affect Lu Ming at all. It wouldn't be too late to make a move when they reached the later world. Let's go, Ling Yue said. Lu Ming nodded and did not say anything else. The two of them continued to search for the entrance to the next world. In the distance, tens of thousands of miles away. Damn it, damn it. Ling Fei roared furiously, his face filled with killing intent and anger. Brother Fei, what should we do? Are we going to let that Mu Yun do as he pleases? Hua Min asked. Of course not. Ling Fei roared a few times and slowly regained his composure. His eyes turned and he began to think of a countermeasure. Killing Mu Yun is as easy as crushing an ant. It's rare that Ling Yue has always been by his side. If you want to kill Mu Yun, you have to separate Mu Yun and Ling Yue. Ling Fei said. How can we separate them? It's obvious that Ling Yue won't leave Mu Yun so easily. Hua Min said. I can only rely on external forces. Ling Fei said. Using external forces? Hua Min and the other two looked puzzled. That's right, use the power of the evil spirits to separate the two of them. Ling Fei said, his eyes flashing with ruthlessness. Borrowed the power of an evil spirit? How do I operate it? Hua Min asked. It's very simple. In the first 3 levels, the evil spirit's power isn't very strong. It will definitely be intimidated by Ling Yue's bloodline power and won't have any effect. If you want to make a move, you have to do it after the 4th level. First, we have to find a few more helpers and secretly send people to watch them. We have to figure out their route. When they are about to pass by an evil spirit tower, we will open that evil spirit tower in advance. Open the evil spirit tower and alarm the evil spirits inside. Those evil spirits will need a certain amount of time to react. This time is just enough for us to escape. When Mu Yun and the others pass by, they will be attacked by these evil spirits. Ling Fei told him his plan. The evil spirits in the evil spirit tower are very terrifying. If they are released, will the princess be in danger? Another young elf's expression changed as he spoke. Don't worry, the princess has the elf royal bloodline to intimidate those evil spirits. Those evil spirits will only attack Mu Yun crazily, and we will find an opportunity to save the princess. It's best if Mu Yun dies at the hands of the evil spirits. Even if he doesn't die, he will be separated from the princess. Ling Fei said, looking as if he had the pearl of wisdom in his hands. What a good plan. Brother Fei, I really admire you. Hua Min looked at Ling Fei with admiration. Ah. Ling Fei laughed heartily and then began to move. Lu Ming and Ling Yue naturally didn't know that they had been schemed against. They continued to search for the elven tree species as they searched for the entrance to the 3rd floor. Not long after, they really found 3 low-level elven tree species. Ling Yue didn't want them and let Lu Ming put them away. After that, they successfully found the entrance to the 3rd floor and successfully arrived at the 3rd floor. The life essence on the 3rd floor was naturally purer than the 2nd floor, so it was naturally easier to nurture elven tree species than the 2nd floor. On the 3rd floor, they successfully found 12 elven tree species. Of course, they were all low-level elven tree species. On this floor, they also met some other elven geniuses. Many of them were hostile to Lu Ming and wanted to attack him. However, with Ling Yue around, they naturally couldn't succeed. Similarly, they also encountered some evil spirits, but they were all intimidated by Ling Yue's royal elf bloodline. In the first 3 floors, Lu Ming was very comfortable. He didn't even make a move and had already obtained more than 10 elven tree species. There were 7 entrances from the 3rd floor to the 4th floor. They successfully found one and arrived at the 4th floor. The life essence on the 4th floor was more than 10 times denser than the 3rd floor. After arriving here, Ling Yue's expression became serious and her actions became much more cautious. This was because the evil spirits on the 4th floor were much stronger than the first 3 floors. Even with the royal elf bloodline, they couldn't be completely intimidated and would be attacked by the evil spirits. The two of them slowed down a lot. However, their focus was still not on finding the elven tree species, but on finding the entrance to the next world. Lu Ming's mission was to find 12 high-level elven tree species. As for high-level elven tree species, they could only be found after the 7th floor. Therefore, their goal was to head straight for the 7th floor. If they could encounter some elven tree species on the way, that would be great. The two of them chose a direction and continued to fly forward. However, they did not discover that there were some formations in the distance. These formations could monitor their whereabouts. Their whereabouts were already under the control of Ling Fei and the others. In the distance, in a canyon, Ling Fei and the others clearly saw Lu Ming and Ling Yue through a mirror. Very good. According to their direction, there is a huge evil spirit tower about 300,000 miles ahead. Let's go open that evil spirit tower. Ling Fei's eyes flashed with a fierce light. After that, they set off and arrived at the bottom of an evil spirit tower a while earlier than Lu Ming and the others. According to the direction Lu Ming and Ling Yue were flying, it wouldn't be long before they passed by this evil spirit tower. Chapter 3906. When they arrived at the bottom of the evil spirit tower, Ling Fei and the others became nervous. Although this was only the 4th floor, no one could say for sure what kind of terrifying evil spirits there would be in the evil spirit tower. They carefully approached the door of the evil spirit tower, then circulated their divine power and pushed the door open. Immediately, a gust of cold wind blew out from the evil spirit tower, causing them to shiver. Attack! Ling Fei shouted and then attacked together. Several attacks flew into the evil spirit tower, causing it to tremble violently. An ear-piercing sound came from the evil spirit tower. It was incomparably terrifying. Let's go. Ling Fei and the others had grave expressions. They didn't dare to stay any longer. They raised their speed to the limit and flew in a certain direction, disappearing in the blink of an eye. Lu Ming and Ling Yue didn't know about all of this. They continued to fly in the direction they had chosen. But suddenly, the hairs on their bodies stood on end as they felt a terrifying sense of danger surging towards them. Following that, a terrifying roar rang out as a cold aura rushed over from the front. Not good, it's an evil spirit. What a terrifying aura. Ling Yue's expression changed drastically. The evil spirits came very quickly. As soon as the roar was heard, they were already in front of them. There were hundreds of evil spirits, formed from various races after their deaths. Their eyes were blood-red and filled with terrifying killing intent as they pounced towards Lu Ming and Ling Yue. Why are there so many of them? Let's go. Ling Yue's expression was extremely ugly. With a loud shout, she pulled Lu Ming and fled. However, some of the evil spirits were formed from bird-type creatures. With a flap of their wings, their speed was extremely fast, even faster than Lu Ming and Ling Yue. In a few breaths of time, they had caught up to the two of them. A cold and gloomy aura completely enveloped the two of them. Streams of evil energy whistled towards them. Break for me! Ling Yue shouted as she used her origin source secret technique. Her origin source secret technique was a bow and arrow. A few arrows were shot out in succession, fiercely colliding with a few evil forces. A violent explosion sounded out, and Ling Yue's body trembled as she coughed out blood and retreated. In the 4th level of the world, the pressure Ling Yue was under was already extremely great. She was afraid that she could only display 30% of her strength. Get out of my way! Ling Yue shouted loudly. The power of her bloodline was pushed to the limit, wanting to intimidate these evil spirits. More or less, it had some effect. These evil spirits could not help but stiffen, and a trace of fear appeared in their eyes. However, a terrifying roar rang out, causing heaven and earth to shake violently. Those evil spirits' eyes once again revealed a fiendish aura as they continued to charge at the two of them. Not good, let's go. Ling Yue's face was snow white. She couldn't block it. Even the bloodline of the elven royal family couldn't intimidate it. Let me. At this moment, Lu Ming's calm voice sounded. He took a step forward, and his forbidden power erupted as he threw out a few punches. A few streams of fist force pierced through the void and collided with the evil forces, shattering them. At the side, Ling Yue was stunned. How could Lu Ming block these evil forces? One must know that even someone like her had been injured while resisting those monstrous powers. And her strength was slightly stronger than Lu Ming's. Under the same suppression, she still had the power of her bloodline to intimidate the evil spirits and was injured. However, Lu Ming was able to block the evil spirits' attacks. What was going on? You're not suppressed? Ling Yuwei opened her eyes wide in disbelief as she stared at Lu Ming. Yes. Lu Ming smiled and continued to step forward. His fist force was like an avalanche as it crushed towards a few bird-type evil spirits. These bird-type evil spirits were directly submerged by Lu Ming's fist force, and their bodies collapsed. At this moment, that terrifying roar came again, shaking the heavens and the earth. The owner of this roar was a creature with a lizard-like body and 3 heads. It was 100 meters long and had an extremely terrifying aura. The other evil spirits all obeyed the orders of this evil spirit. The moment this evil spirit roared, the other evil spirits rushed towards Lu Ming and Ling Yuwei even more crazily. As for the 3-headed lizard-shaped evil spirit, it was neither fast nor slow as it flew behind them. However, its terrifying aura was firmly locked onto Lu Ming and Ling Yuwei. Hundreds of evil spirits rushed over, their might extremely terrifying. In the distance, Ling Fei and the rest heard the roar of the evil spirit. Their faces turned pale and they didn't dare to approach. That evil spirit is too terrifying. I never thought that there would be such a terrifying evil spirit on the 4th floor. What should we do? The princess is in danger. Should we go and save her? One of the young male elves said. Save? Oh. Are you confident in dealing with that evil spirit? Ling Fei asked with a cold face. Then what should we do? The person from before asked. There's nothing we can do about it. It all depends on the princess's own fortune. Remember, it was the princess and the others who were unlucky and encountered evil spirits. We didn't see anything, understand? Ling Fei swept his gaze across the entire audience. Originally, they had planned to save Ling Yuwei, but now that a terrifying evil spirit had appeared, they didn't dare to save her. Understood. The others could only nod their heads. They knew very well that this matter could not be leaked out. Once it was leaked out and the Elven Patriarch found out that they were the ones who did it, they would definitely die. On the other side, Lu Ming and the evil spirits were already fighting. Although these evil spirits were powerful, fortunately, Lu Ming's strength was not suppressed. Otherwise he really wouldn't be a match for them. Without being suppressed, Lu Ming could still contend against these evil spirits. Furthermore, Lu Ming relied on his powerful recovery ability to forcefully block the attacks of these evil spirits. Hurry up and leave, I'll carry it first. Lu Ming sent a sound transmission to Ling Yuwei. No, if I leave, what will you do? Ling Yuwei said. As you can see, my strength has not been suppressed. In this place, my strength has already far surpassed yours. If you stay here, not only will you not be of any help to me, you will even get in my way and hinder my performance. If you escape, I will be able to perform better. Only then will I be able to find a chance to escape. Do you understand? Lu Ming shouted. You. Ling Yuwei still wanted to say something. Hurry up and leave, don't be so wishy-washy. If we don't leave now, neither of us will be able to leave. Do you want to kill me? Lu Ming shouted. All right, be careful. Ling Yuwei finally bit her lips, turned into a streak of rainbow light and flew away. Ling Yuwei had the royal bloodline of the Elven clan, which could intimidate those evil spirits. Therefore, not many evil spirits chased after Ling Yuwei, and most of the evil spirits stared fixedly at Lu Ming. All sorts of terrifying evil powers continuously bombarded Lu Ming. Lu Ming was fighting against hundreds of evil spirits by himself. It was also very difficult for him to do so, and his body would be hit from time to time. Chapter 3907. Bang. Lu Ming continuously punched out, defeating a few evil spirits. However, there were also 2 evil forces that struck Lu Ming. Lu Ming coughed up blood and retreated. This kind of evil power was extremely strange. It could corrode a person's divine power and body. Fortunately, Lu Ming cultivated a taboo power that could erase this evil power. Every cell in his body was constantly bursting with powerful energy. Lu Ming's injuries were quickly recovering. Come, let's stimulate my potential. Lu Ming's eyes lit up. He let out a long roar and continued to fight with these evil spirits. Boom, boom, boom. Lu Ming was bathed in blood as he fought. His battle intent was wild. He was like an immortal god of war. One by one, the evil spirits were killed by him. Of course, in the process of killing the evil spirits, he also paid a price. He was constantly injured. Fortunately, his recovery speed was shocking enough. He could completely withstand it. Just like that, in a short period of time hundreds of evil spirits were killed by Lu Ming. Brr, brr, brr. At this time, the three-headed lizard-like evil spirit let out a series of loud roars and pounced towards Lu Ming. Its sharp claws were wrapped in an evil power. Its power was extremely terrifying. Dong. Lu Ming waved his fist and punched the three-headed evil spirit. His body shook violently and he couldn't help but retreat. He felt that the bones in his fist were about to shatter. What a powerful evil spirit. Didn't they say that the evil spirits in the first 6 floors wouldn't be too strong and would be affected by the royal bloodline? There's something wrong with this evil spirit. Lu Ming's pupils shrank. His heart was filled with doubts. Ling Yue told him that the evil spirits in the first 6 floors weren't particularly terrifying. They would be intimidated by the royal bloodline of the elf clan, and their strength wouldn't be particularly strong. Even if a genius of the 2nd or 3rd layer of the Divine Emperor realm or above was suppressed, as long as they were careful, they could still save their lives. Even if they were no match for them, they could still escape. However, not only was this evil spirit not intimidated by Ling Yue's elven royal bloodline, its strength was also shockingly strong. Lu Ming dared to bet that even the geniuses of the fairy clan with the 3rd level of the godly emperor realm would not be a match for this evil spirit. They would be torn apart. This did not match the news he had heard. Lu Ming naturally didn't know that this evil spirit was the strongest evil spirit guarding an evil spirit tower. Under normal circumstances, it would be in a dormant state during these 3 months and would not come out. It had only come out because it had been disturbed by Ling Fei and the others. Could be said that he was the evil spirit king of the 4th level. He was naturally terrifying. Roar. The 3 heads of the 3-headed lizard evil spirit continued to roar, and continued to rush towards Lu Ming. His body was huge but its speed was very fast. Its attacks were like lightning, so fast that it was difficult to dodge. Lu Ming could only fight back with all his might. 6 times combat power. Lu Ming roared and the chi on his body rose again. He had finally triggered the battle character formula to increase his combat power by 6 times. The battle character formula was not an external force. Although it came from the origin ancient character battle, the cultivation of the battle character formula was all based on Lu Ming's own comprehension. How could something that he comprehended by himself be considered an external force? Therefore, the battle character formula could naturally be used. After triggering the 6-fold combat power, Lu Ming's strength was even stronger, and the battle between him and the 3-headed lizard became even more intense. However, the 3-headed lizard evil spirit was indeed very strong. Even if Lu Ming used all his strength, he was still no match for it. He was completely suppressed. With a final roar, the 3-headed lizard evil spirit's body suddenly grew rapidly. It was bigger than a mountain and it shrouded the void. Its 3 mouths erupted with a terrifying devouring power, and it bit towards Lu Ming, wanting to devour Lu Ming. Lu Ming resisted with all his strength. His fist energy pierced through the void, erupting with destructive power. But in the end he could only resist 2 of the heads and 2 mouths, and was swallowed by the 3rd mouth. Whoosh! Lu Ming felt that there was a violent devouring power around him, and it kept pulling Lu Ming's body into the 3-headed lizard evil spirit's stomach. Then from all directions, a terrifying evil force surged towards Lu Ming. This force was very terrifying and it had a terrifying corrosive power. It wanted to corrode Lu Ming. Lu Ming's fist energy was like a stone sinking into the sea. It was corroded by this force. Lu Ming was surrounded by this force. "Break for me!" Lu Ming shouted. Every cell in his body was filled with taboo power. Lu Ming's taboo power swept out like a wave. Rumble. There was a violent collision and an explosion. Then the evil force was penetrated by the taboo power and was defeated. Haha, this evil spirit actually swallowed you into its stomach? It's really seeking its own death. Outside you're still not its opponent. Inside its stomach, its life and death are at your mercy. This kind of evil energy is no match for the taboo energy. Guomo laughed. Lu Ming also smiled. He found that the taboo power had completely restrained this evil force. It was not that this evil force was not terrifying. In fact, this evil force was very terrifying. It could corrode everything. If others were swallowed, they would definitely die. They would be continuously corroded by the evil force. But for Lu Ming it was useless. His taboo power could completely defeat this evil force. From the west, the endless evil force surged again, vowing to corrode Lu Ming. Boom. Lu Ming made his move. He was shrouded in the taboo power and flew out. He punched continuously. The taboo power burst out and directly punched a passage through the evil force. Lu Ming broke through and kept moving forward. Then he saw the body of the three-headed lizard evil spirit. Boom, boom. Lu Ming brandished his fists and bombarded the body of the three-headed lizard evil spirit, blasting a huge pit in its body. Asterisk roar. Asterisk the three-headed lizard evil spirit let out an earth-shattering roar. Its huge body struggled wildly, crushing countless trees and razing the ground to the ground. In the distance, Ling Fei and the others were hiding, waiting for the situation. At this moment, when they heard the three-headed lizard evil spirit's roar, their faces changed drastically. That's terrifying. That terrifying evil spirit has gone crazy. We can't stay here for long. Let's go, let's get out of here. Ling Fei and the others said in fear. Then they left the place and flew far away. In the stomach of the three-headed lizard evil spirit, Lu Ming was still attacking. The three-headed lizard evil spirit roared even louder. Its body was constantly struggling and roaring. It was struggling on the ground, crushing a large number of trees. Then, it was struggling in the air and flying far away. In just a short while, the three-headed lizard evil spirit had flown far away. Its struggle was getting weaker and weaker. The light in its eyes was also getting weaker. Chapter 3908. After being continuously bombarded in the stomach by Lu Ming, the aura of life of the three-headed lizard evil spirit was getting weaker and weaker. Its roars were getting weaker and weaker. In the end, it fell into a forest with a thud and could not get up again. After roaring a few times, the three-headed lizard evil spirit completely lost its aura. After the three-headed lizard evil spirit died, its body also emitted explosive sounds. Finally, with a bang, it turned into energy and disappeared. On the ground, Lu Ming's figure appeared. At this moment, Lu Ming was holding a bowl-sized bead in his hand, which contained a strong evil power. This bead was obtained by Lu Ming from the three-headed lizard evil spirit. Dark spirit bead. Ha, Lu Ming, you're in luck. Bone Demon laughed. Dark spirit bead? What's the use of it? Lu Ming asked curiously. It's naturally useless in the hands of others, but in my hands it's very useful. Aren't there many evil spirits in the ancestral land of the elves? These evil spirits will be deterred by the bloodline of the elves, but they will madly attack non-elves such as you. However, I can use the dark spirit bead to refine a formation. With the dark spirit bead as the foundation, it can also deter those evil spirits, and the effect is stronger than the deterrent power of the elven royal bloodline. Bone Demon said with a hint of pride in his voice. What? It can actually do that? Lu Ming was taken aback at first and then he was ecstatic. In this way, wouldn't the ancestral land of the elves be at his mercy? What was the most dangerous thing about the ancestral land of the elves? One was that one's own strength would be suppressed. However, he had a forbidden body and would not be suppressed at all. This suppression was a disadvantage for others, but it became his advantage. Those geniuses who were stronger than him would not be his opponent if they were surpassed by him here. The second danger was the evil spirits. But now, if Bone Demon really used the dark spirit bead to refine such a formation that could deter the evil spirits, and the deterrent power was greater than the elven royal bloodline, then the evil spirits would not be a threat to him. Wouldn't this place become Lu Ming's back garden, where he could plunder the elven trees? Thinking of this, Lu Ming couldn't help but get excited. Senior Bone Demon, how long will it take for you to succeed? Lu Ming asked. This is just a small formation. A few hours is enough. Guillemot said. A pitch-black body flew out of Lu Ming's sea of consciousness. A gust of energy rolled up and swept the dark spirit bead over. Subsequently, streaks of black array patterns flew into the dark spirit bead. Strangely enough, Chiochio could not follow Lu Ming into this place, but Bone Devil could. Bone Devil simply had no taboos. Until now, Lu Ming was already accustomed to the wonders of Bone Devils. A few hours passed in the blink of an eye. Done. With a wave of his hand, the dark spirit bead flew toward Lu Ming. Lu Ming waved his hand and grabbed the dark spirit bead. Now the dark spirit bead had changed greatly, from the size of a bowl to the size of a fist, with fine lines on it. Lu Ming held it in his hand and injected forbidden power. The dark spirit bead immediately flew into the air, and an invisible ripple spread out, covering at least 1,000 miles in radius. I wonder how effective it is? Lu Ming wanted to find some evil spirits to test it out. This is just a dark spirit bead, so its deterrent power is naturally limited. You can find more dark spirit beads to add later. The more dark spirit beads you add, the stronger the deterrent power of the formation to the evil spirits, said Bone Demon. Good. Lu Ming was overjoyed and put away the dark spirit bead. Bone Demon turned into a ray of light, flew into Lu Ming's sea of consciousness and disappeared. Lu Ming randomly chose a direction and flew forward. 10 minutes later, Roar. Ka. A roar came from the front, followed by a cold breath. A group of evil spirits appeared. When they saw Lu Ming, their eyes flashed with murderous intent, and they charged at Lu Ming. I've encountered evil spirits so soon. Well, I can use them to test the power of the dark spirit bead formation. Lu Ming smiled and waved his hand. The dark spirit bead flew out and he injected forbidden power. Immediately, a mysterious force spread out and shrouded these evil spirits. Originally, those evil spirits were all ferocious and filled with killing intent. However, when they were enveloped by this power, their bodies immediately stiffened and they stopped moving. Their eyes were filled with terror. Then they turned around and fled for their lives as if they had seen something terrifying. In the blink of an eye, all the evil spirits disappeared without a trace. Lu Ming grinned. Great, this thing is so useful and its effect is indeed better than the elven bloodline. It's a pity that these evil spirits ran away. Otherwise, after killing them I could get some dark spirit beads to increase the power of the formation. Lu Ming suddenly regretted it. He didn't know how long it would be before he would encounter an evil spirit again. In fact, Lu Ming's worries were completely unnecessary. Because 10 minutes later he encountered another group of evil spirits. This group of evil spirits roared and pounced at him. We met again so soon? Lu Ming was a little confused. Previously when he was with Ling Yue, it wasn't so easy to meet evil spirits. Lu Ming guessed that it was because of the aura of Ling Yue's elven royal bloodline. Perhaps many evil spirits had sensed it from afar and fled. And now that Ling Yue wasn't by his side and he hadn't activated the formation, it was naturally easy to attract evil spirits. No wonder Ling Yue didn't want Lu Ming to enter. It was indeed very dangerous for people of other races to enter. This time, Lu Ming didn't take out the dark spirit bead to intimidate these evil spirits. He wanted to kill them and obtain the dark spirit bead. Boom. Lu Ming activated the battle character art, which increased his battle strength by 5 times, and directly charged over. After a while, all of these evil spirits were killed by Lu Ming. So weak. Lu Ming frowned. The strength of these evil spirits was far inferior to the evil spirits that had attacked him in Ling Yue. They couldn't harm Lu Ming at all and were easily killed by Lu Ming. They were both on the 4th floor, but why was the difference so great? If I'm not wrong, those evil spirits from before were deliberately released from those stone towers. At this time those evil spirits should be sleeping, so they are very powerful. The Bone Devil's voice sounded. The Bone Devil was experienced and knowledgeable. Based on this little bit of information, it was almost able to understand the entire situation. Someone let it out? Could it be that they are targeting me on purpose? Lu Ming's eyes flashed with a cold light. He carefully recalled what had happened and felt that it was very possible. Those elves? Lu Ming's eyes flashed with killing intent. In his mind, the figures of Ling Fei Huatian and the others flashed. Of course, Lu Ming wasn't sure if it was Ling Fei Huatian and the others who did it. Due to his relationship with Ling Yue, there were probably a lot of people in the elf clan who wanted him dead. Chapter 3909. Lu Ming shook his head slightly and put these thoughts aside for the time being. Why are there no dark spirit beads? Lu Ming was a little frustrated. He had just killed at least 100 dark spirits, and he had searched each one carefully, but he did not find a single dark spirit bead. Obviously, only powerful dark spirits can have dark spirit beads. Skeletal Demon said. Only powerful dark spirits can have dark spirit beads. Where can I find powerful dark spirits? Do I have to attack those stone towers? Lu Ming muttered, and then a ruthless look flashed in his eyes. It was not impossible to do that. If the 3-headed lizard dark spirit had come out of the stone tower, then it was not completely impossible to deal with, and now he had an array of dark spirit beads in his hand. Lu Ming made up his mind. That was what he would do. Then he began to look for the stone towers. Lu Ming's eyes suddenly flashed as he felt something strange ahead. He flew over and immediately found a tree. It was very tall and majestic, and a burst of vigorous life essence emanated from it. There was a fruit hanging on the branch, and the life essence was even more vigorous, as if it was about to overflow. It's a sprite tree and the life essence is very rich. Could it be a mid-level sprite tree? Lu Ming's eyes lit up. He immediately stepped down, waved his hand and cut the fruit open, revealing a seed inside. The rich life essence immediately burst out, and it was so rich that it could not be dispersed. The life essence was at least 10 times richer than the sprite tree he had obtained before. It's definitely a mid-level sprite tree. Lu Ming smiled and put it in a jade box. A mid-level sprite tree could be rewarded with 100 sprite wood hearts, which was a big fortune. His luck was really good. In theory, the 4th to 6th floors could breed mid-level sprite trees. But in fact, there were more low-level sprite trees on the 4th floor, and very few mid-level sprite trees. Lu Ming could only say that he was lucky to have found one so quickly. After putting it away, Lu Ming continued to look for the Dark Spirit Tower. There were many Dark Spirit Towers in the ancestral land of the elves. Not long after, Lu Ming found a Dark Spirit Tower. The Evil Spirit Tower was 1,000 meters tall, and among the trees, it stood out like a crane amongst chickens. Landing at the bottom of the Evil Spirit Tower, Lu Ming concealed his aura and moved cautiously. With a strong push, the door of the Evil Spirit Tower was pushed open. Immediately, waves of cold air came out from the tower. Boom! Lu Ming punched out, and a fist energy slammed into the Evil Spirit Tower. Lu Ming immediately retreated tens of thousands of meters away, holding the Evil Spirit bead in his hand just in case. Roar, roar, roar! Roars came from the Evil Spirit Tower, and the entire Evil Spirit Tower shook. A terrifying aura came from the Evil Spirit Tower. The terrifying evil spirit that was sleeping inside was startled and was waking up. The roaring grew louder and louder, and in the next moment hordes of evil spirits rushed out from the Evil Spirit Tower. Among them was an evil spirit with a pair of fiendish wings. It was the most terrifying of all, and its roar was like thunder. The other evil spirits seemed to obey its orders, and roared as they charged toward Lu Ming. Kill! Lu Ming was fearless as he charged forward and fought with the evil spirits. He did not activate the power of the Evil Spirit Bead. If he could not win, it would not be too late to activate the power of the Evil Spirit Bead. These evil spirits were indeed much stronger, and Lu Ming was facing a lot of pressure. In the process of killing the evil spirits, he would be injured by the evil spirits. However, Lu Ming used this kind of battle as his training to stimulate his potential. One by one, the evil spirits were killed by Lu Ming. In the end, the evil spirit with a pair of fiendish wings could not stand it anymore. It roared and charged toward Lu Ming. Lu Ming found that the power of this evil spirit was very strong, but it was slightly weaker than the three-headed lizard evil spirit from before. Lu Ming activated the Evil Spirit Bead in his hand. The evil spirit immediately showed a look of fear, and its strength was greatly reduced. How could Lu Ming miss such an opportunity? Naturally, he launched a storm of attacks. Not long after, he successfully killed the evil spirit and finally obtained a Evil Spirit Bead. This Evil Spirit Bead was not the size of a bowl, but it was not much smaller. It was also refined into the array by the Bone Demon. With the addition of a Evil Spirit Bead, once the array was activated, the suppression effect on the evil spirits would be stronger. Not bad, continue? Lu Ming smiled and continued to look for the stone towers. One day later, Lu Ming opened a total of 5 stone towers, annihilated the evil spirits inside, and obtained 5 Evil Spirit Beads. Together with the first one, there were a total of 6 Evil Spirit Beads which were very powerful. In the process, Lu Ming also found 5 low-level elven trees, which was an unexpected gain. At this time, Lu Ming found a vortex, which was the entrance to the 5th level. There were a total of 6 entrances from the 4th level to the 5th level. Now Lu Ming had finally found Lu Ming. Since he had found the entrance, Lu Ming did not stay any longer and intended to enter the 5th level. After all, they could only stay here for 3 months. Time was limited and they could not waste time in the low-level world. In the high-level world, finding a high-level elven tree was a reward of 1,000 elven wood cores. But at this time, a cold voice sounded. "Kid, you're not dead yet. You're really lucky." Before the voice trailed off, several figures had surrounded Lu Ming. "It's you guys." Lu Ming's eyes moved. Among these people, 2 were Ling Fei and Hua Min. At this moment, Ling Fei, Hua Min, and the others were a little surprised at first, as if they were surprised that Lu Ming was not dead. Then cold murderous intent filled their eyes. They had been looking for elven trees and entrances for the entire day. They had just found an entrance and they did not expect to meet Lu Ming. "Mu Yun, I have to say that you're very lucky. Under the attacks of those evil spirits, you were actually able to preserve your life. Unfortunately, your luck is not too good. We actually met you here. Alright, then let me personally send you on your way. You're destined to die in my hands." Ling Fei revealed a sinister smile. "You know that I was attacked by evil spirits? It seems that those evil spirits were released by you guys from the Evil Spirit Tower?" Lu Ming's eyes flashed as he coldly shouted. "What nonsense are you talking about?" Ling Fei's gaze was slightly chaotic. He did not dare to admit this point. After all, it was something that would endanger Ling Yue, so he could not leak it out. Although in his opinion, Lu Ming was dead for sure and it didn't matter if he admitted it, he still did not intend to admit it due to his cautious nature. However, from his expression, Lu Ming was 100% sure that those evil spirits were released by Ling Fei and the others. In order to deal with me, you don't even care about the safety of your own princess. Very well, I will tell the elf patriarch the truth about this matter. Lu Ming said coldly, his eyes filled with killing intent. Chapter 39:10. When Ling Fei heard Lu Ming, he looked even more furious. He shouted furiously, "Little bastard, you dare slander me? Kill him." As soon as he finished speaking, a battle bow appeared in Ling Fei's hand. An arrow was condensed and shot out. There were 4 of them in total. Apart from Ling Fei and Hua Min, who had the strength of the 3rd godly emperor layer, the other 2 had the strength of the 2nd godly emperor layer. At that moment, the 3 of them were aiming their arrows at Lu Ming. They wanted to kill Lu Ming in one strike. They wanted to kill Lu Ming in one strike. "You want to die," shouted Lu Ming coldly. He used the great godly wind technique and attacked first. His silhouette flickered as he threw himself at the 2 cultivators of the 2nd godly emperor layer. Lu Ming was extremely fast. His silhouette flickered and he appeared in front of the 2 cultivators of the 2nd godly emperor layer. The 2 cultivators were astonished. Their arrows hadn't condensed enough strength yet. They had no choice but to release their arrows. 2 arrows flew towards Lu Ming. However, in the world of the 4th level, they were greatly suppressed and could not unleash much of their abilities. Moreover, the power of the arrows had not been condensed to the maximum. Lu Ming struck out 2 consecutive palms and destroyed the 2 arrows. Following that, he struck out 2 more palms and blasted the 2 of them. The 2 young elves couldn't resist at all and were hit directly. After 2 cries of agony, the bodies of the 2 cultivators exploded and died on the spot. This time Lu Ming wouldn't be merciful. All of this might seem slow, but it all happened in an instant. After Lu Ming killed the 2 young elves, the power of Ling Fei's and Hua Min's arrows had been condensed to the peak and were shot toward Lu Ming. Boom boom. Lu Ming's hand was like a blade as fast as lightning. His hand was filled with forbidden strength, the great godly wind technique and the great godly wind technique. After 2 explosions, the 2 arrows exploded. Lu Ming had destroyed them. Lu Ming didn't move. He was floating in the air. Ling Fei's and Hua Min's eyes widened in disbelief. "You! How could you block my attack? How could you have killed them?" Ling Fei roared madly. Those 2 young men had the strength of the 2nd godly emperor layer, but Lu Ming had killed them in one move. He and Hua Min had the strength of the 3rd godly emperor layer, but Lu Ming had easily blocked their attacks. Lu Ming himself was unharmed. Yes, they were greatly suppressed here. However, was Lu Ming not suppressed? Thinking of this, Ling Fei's heart shook violently. "You aren't being suppressed?" Ling Fei roared, feeling even more incredulous. Historically, all the elven prodigies who entered would be greatly suppressed. Moreover, in the past, the big shots of the elf race had tried to let the geniuses of other races enter, but without exception they were all suppressed. How could Lu Ming not be suppressed? "I'll send you on your way," Lu Ming said coldly. In a flash he charged towards Ling Fei. "You want to kill me? Even if you're not being suppressed, you won't be able to kill me," shouted Ling Fei furiously. He released his full strength and retreated at the same time. While retreating, he kept pulling his bowstring. In a flash, dozens of arrows were shot towards Lu Ming. At the same time, Hua Min also attacked. Dozens of arrows were also shot towards Lu Ming. The arrows whistled through the air and pierced through the air. They were terrifying and they surrounded Lu Ming's body. "Die!" shouted Lu Ming furiously. He also released his full strength and attacked the arrows. Explosions sounded everywhere. In a flash there was a huge explosion. The trees on the ground turned into dust. To be honest, Ling Fei and Hua Min's combat power was really very strong. They had the strength of the 3rd godly emperor layer, and they were geniuses. If they weren't being suppressed, Lu Ming wouldn't have been able to defeat them. The difference between them was too great. Even though they were being suppressed, they were still extremely strong. They put a lot of pressure on Lu Ming. However, it was only pressure, it wasn't enough to threaten Lu Ming's life. Lu Ming destroyed an arrow with one attack. He continued to attack until all the arrows were destroyed. Swoosh! Lu Ming moved towards Ling Fei and used his great godly wind technique. He quickly approached Ling Fei and punched him with the strength of a mountain. Under the attack of the great godly wind technique and the great godly wind technique, the air was crushed like tofu. "Oh no!" Ling Fei's expression changed drastically as he retreated frantically. At the critical moment, his entire body bent and his body was like a war bow. Suddenly he shot out and a terrifying arrow shot toward Lu Ming. It collided with Lu Ming's attack and there was a deafening explosion. Lu Ming's body was shaking. His speed was hindered. Interesting attack. Lu Ming's eyes narrowed slightly. With such a delay, Hua Min had already reached Ling Fei's side and met up with him. The two of them drew their bows and arrow lights soared into the sky. Then 2 terrifying arrows were shot toward Lu Ming again. Deflect. Lu Ming grabbed the air with his palm. Suddenly a strong wind blew in the air. Several tornadoes swept out and rolled towards the arrows. The arrows were caught in the tornadoes. Their speed was greatly reduced and they deviated from their course. Lu Ming's body flashed and easily avoided the 2 arrows. He charged towards Ling Fei and Hua Min. Ling Fei and Hua Min used the same move again. They continuously shot out many arrows. They controlled the arrows like flying swords and stabbed towards Lu Ming. Unfortunately, they were greatly suppressed here. Although their attacks were launched, their power was greatly reduced. They were no longer as powerful as Lu Ming's. They were defeated by Lu Ming's continuous punches. In the sky, a strong wind blew. Tornadoes appeared out of nowhere and rolled towards Ling Fei and Hua Min. Damn it! The 2 of them couldn't retreat. They were caught in the tornadoes. They could only draw their bows continuously to resist the tornadoes. Swoosh! Lu Ming rushed past them. He rode the tornadoes and approached Ling Fei in an instant. He struck out with his palm. Ling Fei's expression changed drastically. He could only use his war bow to block in front of him. Dong! Lu Ming's palm landed on Ling Fei's war bow. The war bow hit Ling Fei's body. Ling Fei screamed and flew backwards. Blood spurted out from his mouth. Lu Ming had used the great fragmentation skill for this move. Cracks appeared on Ling Fei's body. He was like a broken porcelain that was about to shatter. He was tattered. Brother Fei! Hua Min screamed. He was going all out. His divine power was burning desperately. The side effect of burning with all his might was huge. He was afraid that his cultivation would stagnate or even regress in the future. However, under his desperate efforts, he was able to break through the suppression of heaven and earth. It allowed him to recover part of his strength. With a swoosh, a terrifying arrow was shot towards Lu Ming. This arrow was shot by Hua Min after he had recovered some of his strength. It was extremely terrifying. Lu Ming revealed a grave expression. His figure flashed continuously. At the same time, his palms slashed continuously. In an instant he had unleashed 108 palms. Chapter 39:11. Lu Ming instantly slashed out 108 palms. The 108 palms were like saber lights as they continuously slashed at the arrows. Boom boom boom, the palm energy bombarded the arrows one after another, causing the sound of explosions to ring out. When the 108 palm energies were all used up, the arrow was finally blocked. However, at this time Hua Min rushed in front of Ling Fei, hugged Ling Fei and rushed towards the whirlpool. They knew that they were no match for Lu Ming, so they rushed towards the whirlpool. Leaving was the best plan. This place was not far from the whirlpool. At this time Lu Ming wanted to stop them, but it was already too late. Hua Min and Ling Fei both charged into the whirlpool and disappeared. Lu Ming's eyes were cold as he rushed into the whirlpool. The next moment he appeared in the sky above a new forest. He immediately spread out his spiritual sense, but unfortunately he did not find any traces of Ling Fei and Hua Min entering the next world from the same entrance would not completely appear in the same place. There would be some deviations. Obviously, the place where they appeared in the 5th level was somewhat deviated, allowing Ling Fei and Hua Min to escape. What a pity. Lu Ming shook his head. If possible, he would definitely not let the other party go. However, the place where they fought was too close to the entrance to the 5th level. In the end, he was unable to stop the other party. The suppression of the 5th level is indeed a little stronger. If I were here, I would most likely be able to kill Ling Fei and Hua Min. Lu Ming pondered, then randomly chose a direction and flew forward. The matter of Ling Fei and Hua Min could only be put aside for now. In any case, when they left the elf ancestral land, the 2 of them would not be able to escape death. The upper echelons of the elf race would not let them off if they deliberately let the evil spirits out to harm Ling Yue. Lu Ming still followed his previous plan. He searched for the entrance to the 6th level while looking for the elf tree species. As for the evil spirit bead, it was enough for the time being. Lu Ming did not plan to provoke the evil spirits in the evil spirit tower. Tens of thousands of miles away from Lu Ming, Ling Fei and Hua Min appeared. Damn it, damn Mu Yun, I will kill you, I will kill you. Ling Fei roared. As he roared, he spat out a mouthful of blood. Hua Min hurriedly took out a healing pill and fed it to Ling Fei. After a while, Ling Fei's complexion became better. Brother Fei, what should we do now? Once that Mu Yun finds out that we were the ones who released the evil spirit, the patriarch will definitely not let us off. Hua Min said somewhat anxiously. We must kill Mu Yun. A dead man will not leak any information, Ling Fei said through gritted teeth. His face was filled with ferocious killing intent. Kill. How could he kill them? That Mu Yun doesn't seem to be affected by the suppression of the world. We weren't his match on the 4th level, so the suppression on the 5th level is even greater. I'm afraid we won't be Mu Yun's match, Hua Min said. If we aren't a match for him, the others can take action. There are many elites from the elf tribe who are stronger than us. There are also many who want to kill Mu Yun. Let's find the others, Ling Fei said. The two of them left to look for other geniuses. Unfortunately, they didn't see any other geniuses, so they had to go to the 6th level. Finally, they met a genius from the elf clan who was stronger than them. That genius from the elf clan had the strength of the 4th godly emperor layer. His name was Hua Ding. He was terrifyingly strong. At the same level, he could compete with Hua Tian. He had the strength of the 4th godly emperor layer, but his fighting abilities were incredible. If I meet Mu Yun, I'll kill him. I don't need you to tell me, said Hua Ding indifferently. No, Mu Yun doesn't seem to be affected by the suppression of the world. If we don't go to the lower levels and kill him when he comes up, said Ling Fei hastily. What did you say? Hua Ding looked at him coldly and said, he doesn't seem affected by the suppression of the world? Do you think I'm a 3-year-old child? Do you think I'm that easy to fool? Our ancestors in history have done countless experiments, and no one can escape the restrictions of the pressure here. No, he's really not affected, said Ling Fei hastily. Alright, I have to go to the 7th level. If I'm late, someone else will get the tree. If Mu Yun dares come up, I'll kill him, said Hua Ding indifferently. Then his silhouette flickered and he left. Damn it, that idiot wants to die, shouted Ling Fei furiously. Brother Fei, what should we do? Nobody will believe us, said Hua Min. Ling Fei's gaze was also extremely gloomy. If they hadn't seen it with their own eyes, they wouldn't have believed that Lu Ming wasn't affected by the suppression of the world. Continue looking for others. If Mu Yun isn't affected by the suppression of the world, he'll be valuable. Someone will be interested in him, said Ling Fei coldly. After that, they continued looking for stronger geniuses. They were lucky this time. After a short time, they met another terrifying genius. It was Lin Xie, a genius from another big clan of the elf clan. He had the strength of the 4th godly emperor layer and his chi was evil. He didn't fit in with the other elves. However, those who knew him knew how terrifying he was. Not only was he powerful, but he was also scheming and ruthless. You're saying that Mu Yun isn't affected by the ancestors' land? Lin Xie's narrow eyes shone with an evil light after hearing what Ling Fei and Hua Min said. Ling Fei and Hua Min couldn't help but feel nervous. If they had a choice, they would not have wanted to work with Lin Xie. However, their lives were at stake now, so they had to work with Lin Xie. Yes, it's true. That guy isn't affected at all on the 4th level. Otherwise, we wouldn't have been defeated by him, said Ling Fei. I hope you're not lying to me otherwise. Ling Fei and Hua Min shuddered when they heard Lin Xie's words. It's true. We can swear, said Ling Fei immediately. Not affected by the ancestors' land? Lin Xie laughed evilly. His narrow eyes were filled with greed. No matter what, he had to get the secret of why Lu Ming wasn't affected by the ancestors' land. If that was the case, he would be invincible in the ancestors' land. If he was caught off guard, he would kill all of his competitors. Moreover, he could take the elf tree in the ancestors' land. It was unimaginable. Where is he now? Asked Lin Xie. He should still be on the 5th level. If he's lucky enough to find the entrance, he might be on the 6th level, said Ling Fei. He was uncertain. Let's go to the 5th level, said Lin Xie. Chapter 39:12. At this moment, Lu Ming was indeed still in the 5th level world. The world on each level was very large and vast, but the entrances to the next level were constantly decreasing. There were only 5 entrances to the 5th level and the 6th level, so it was naturally more difficult to find them. However, in the process of searching, Lu Ming was not without gains. He obtained 9 low-level elven tree species and 1 mid-level elven tree species. It was not a small gain. Roar! At this moment, a group of evil spirits rushed towards Lu Ming. Lu Ming did not take out the evil spirit bead and directly charged over. The evil spirits on the 5th level were slightly stronger than those on the 4th level, but they did not give birth to evil spirit beads. After Lu Ming killed all of them, he stepped forward and left. 2 hours later, Lu Ming still could not find the entrance to the 6th level. During this period, he did not meet Ling Yue. However, Lu Ming was not worried about Ling Yue. As the elven royal bloodline, Ling Yue had a great deterrent effect on the evil spirits. As long as she did not go to a high-level world, she would be a great threat to her. Moreover, the other elven prodigies did not dare to make a move against her. Suddenly, Lu Ming narrowed his eyes and looked to the left. In that direction there were a few rainbow lights flying over. "It's these two again, Ling Fei Hua Min," Lu Ming whispered. There were a total of 3 people. 2 of them were Ling Fei and Hua Min. The third was a young elf with evil eyes. This person was Lin Xie. The 3 of them were very fast. In the next moment they appeared not far from Lu Ming. A powerful aura locked onto Lu Ming. "Muyun, I finally found you." Ling Fei stared at Lu Ming. The hatred in his eyes seemed to be about to materialize and rush out. "It's the 2 of you again. Last time the 2 of you escaped. You were lucky. Now are you here to die again?" Lu Ming smiled faintly, killing intent rising in his heart. He had originally wanted to kill Ling Fei and the other man, but he couldn't find them. Now that they had delivered themselves to him, he made up his mind that this time, he couldn't let them escape. "Now the one who will die is you," Ling Fei shouted loudly. His aura burst forth, and his divine power condensed into a battle bow, aiming at Lu Ming. "So you are Mu Yun. Very good. I heard that you are not suppressed by the ancestral land and can still maintain your strength at its peak. I'm very interested in this. I don't care if you used a treasure or some secret technique. Hand it over to me and I will spare your life," Lin Xie said. Hearing this, Ling Fei and Hua Min revealed a trace of anxiety. They wanted to kill Lu Ming, not let him go. However, they dared not question Lin Xie at all. "Who the hell are you?" Lu Ming glared at Lin Xie and said coldly. Of course, he looked like that on the surface, but he was ready to fight because Lin Xie was giving him a lot of pressure. He understood that since this person dared to come with Ling Fei and Hua Min, he was absolutely terrifying and had enough confidence. "It seems like you have a death wish." Lin Xie's face turned completely grim, and his killing intent exploded. However, he did not plan to let Lu Ming go. If he could obtain Lu Ming's method of resisting the suppression, the others could do so as well. Naturally, he had to have the method alone for it to be effective. Lu Ming was dead. The method belonged to him alone. He did not plan to let Lu Ming go. He even planned to kill Ling Fei and Hua Min after obtaining Lu Ming's method. Then he would be the only one who knew the secret. Naturally, Ling Fei and Hua Min did not know Lin Xie's plan. Otherwise, who knew what they would think? Whoosh. At that moment, Lu Ming suddenly attacked. The one who struck first had the upper hand. Before Lin Xie attacked, he attacked first. Moreover, he unleashed his most powerful combat strength as soon as he attacked. The 6-fold combat strength of the battle tactic was successfully triggered. After Lin Xie and the other 2 arrived, Lu Ming had already started trying to trigger the battle tactic to increase his combat strength by 6 times. Using the Greater God Wind, Lu Ming's speed was extremely fast. In a flash he approached Lin Xie and the other 2. When fighting against the elves, one must shorten the distance between both parties so that the enemy's arrows could not be fully unleashed. Boom. As soon as he got closer, Lu Ming threw a punch. The ferocious fist force swept toward Lin Xie and the other 2 like an avalanche. "You're asking for death." Lin Xie let out a long howl and the energy in his body burst out like a volcanic eruption. The energy turned into an arrow and collided with Lu Ming's fist force. There was an earth-shattering boom. Lu Ming's fist force was completely blocked. With the help of this force, Lin Xie's body retreated rapidly. In the process of retreating, he had already formed a battle bow in his hand. Buzz buzz buzz, the sound of the bowstring vibrating could be heard continuously. Following that, terrifying arrows flew through the air and shot towards Lu Ming. In an instant, at least 100 arrows were shot towards Lu Ming. Lu Ming cast the Great Divine Wind skill and kept flashing, trying to avoid these arrows. However, these arrows seemed to have eyes and were chasing after Lu Ming relentlessly. Even with the Great Divine Wind skill, he could not shake off these arrows. In the end, he could only take them head-on. Lu Ming waved his fists continuously and threw a series of white punches, colliding with these arrows. A series of explosions could be heard. Lu Ming's body retreated rapidly. His hands were trembling non-stop. Bloody holes appeared on his fists. Blood flowed out and his bones were shattered. Lu Ming's body was also pierced by 2 arrows. In the end, he did not manage to dodge all the arrows and was hit by 2 of them. Boom. Lu Ming's body shook violently, causing the 2 arrows on his body to fall apart. As a result, he vomited a few mouthfuls of blood. "How strong? 4th Godly Emperor Layer?" Lu Ming said in a low voice, his expression grave. He knew Lin Xie was a cultivator of the 4th Godly Emperor Layer. He was terrifyingly strong. Even though they were on the 5th floor and the oppressive strength was stronger than on the 4th floor, Lin Xie was still stronger than Lu Ming. The fourth godly emperor layer was much stronger than the third godly emperor layer. He could easily kill cultivators of the third godly emperor layer. Otherwise, Ling Fei and Hua Min would not have been so afraid of Lin Xie. As expected, he's not oppressed. Lin Xie's eyes were glowing with greed as if it was about to burst out of his eyes. Once they exchanged blows, he knew that Lu Ming was definitely not suppressed. A quasi-emperor would definitely not be able to block a single strike from him when he was being suppressed. Lu Ming could block his attack, so he was not oppressed. Mu Yun, hurry up and give me your method, then I will let you die quickly. Otherwise, I will make you beg for death, shouted Lin Xie. You want my method? Let's see if you're strong enough. Lu Ming smiled faintly. In his mind, he was rapidly thinking of countermeasures. Chapter 39:13. You want to see what I'm capable of? I'll show you. Lin Xie roared and drew his bow again. The arrow was like a meteor chasing after the moon as it shot towards Lu Ming. We'll help you. At the same time, Ling Fei and Hua Min attacked as well. Both of their arrows shot towards Lu Ming from both sides. However, Ling Fei and Hua Min were obviously more suppressed on the 5th level. Their power was not as strong as when they were on the 4th level. Lu Ming did not take it to heart. His attention was focused on Lin Xie's attack. His body was glowing. In his cells, all the secret skills were unleashed. They turned into layers of light and covered Lu Ming's body. At the same time, Lin Xie used Grand God Wind and Grand Shatter as his main attack. Both sides exchanged blows intensely. However, even if Lu Ming used all his strength, he was still no match for Lin Xie. Unfortunately, this was only the 5th level. If they were on the 6th or even the 7th level, Lu Ming would definitely not be so passive. In the blink of an eye, both sides exchanged more than 10 blows. Lu Ming was hit by arrows again. 3 arrows. One hit his thigh, one in his dantian, and one in his chest. His dantian and chest could be said to be his vital points. However, Lu Ming was only injured. His combat strength was not weakened at all. Lu Ming used all his strength to shatter the arrows on his body and retreated quickly. You want to leave? Do you think you can? Lin Xie shouted coldly. His body was like a bolt of lightning as he chased after Lu Ming. Ling Fei and Hua Min quickly followed behind. Lu Ming's expression was calm. Seeing Lin Xie and the other two chasing after him, Lu Ming smirked. His opponents had been tricked. That was his plan. Lu Ming used Grand God Wind. His speed was so fast that Lin Xie could not catch up to him. In the blink of an eye, they were tens of thousands of miles away. Lu Ming finally stopped under a tall dark spirit tower. In the next moment, Lin Xie arrived, followed by Ling Fei and Hua Min. When the 3 of them arrived, Lu Ming's body flashed and landed at the door of the evil spirit tower, his palm pressed against the door. Lin Xie and the other 2 were stunned when they saw that. They stopped in their tracks. Kid, you want to use the evil spirits in the evil spirit tower to threaten us? What a joke. Lin Xie smirked. I don't believe that you would dare to release the evil spirits from the evil spirit tower. We have the blood of the elves to deter the evil spirits, but you are not of the elves. Once the evil spirits appear, they will definitely attack you. With you attracting their firepower, we can escape unscathed. Ling Fei sneered. Really? The smile on Lu Ming's face widened. Yes, I bet you don't dare. Ling Fei sneered and stepped forward. Lin Xie and Hua Min also did not believe that Lu Ming would dare to open the door of the evil spirit tower and stepped forward as well. Just as Ling Fei said, if Lu Ming opened the door and released the evil spirits, the first thing these evil spirits would attack was Lu Ming. With the blood of the elves, they could easily retreat. Opening the door of the evil spirit tower was a dead end for Lu Ming. He could not even drag them down with him. Lu Ming did not make a move. It was as if he did not dare to. Of course, Lu Ming did this on purpose. He wanted Ling Fei, Lin Xie and the rest to get closer. Sure enough, seeing that Lu Ming did not make a move, they were even more certain that Lu Ming did not dare to open the door of the evil spirit tower. They became even more unscrupulous and continued to step forward, closing in on Lu Ming like a few cats surrounding a mouse. It's about time. At that moment, Lu Ming suddenly pushed the door of the evil spirit tower open. With a shake of his palm, a powerful force blasted into the evil spirit tower. This kid, Lin Xie and the rest pupils shrank and could not help but retreat a distance. However, they did not retreat too far. If they retreated too far, they were afraid that Lu Ming would seize the opportunity to escape. At this distance, even if the evil spirits in the evil spirit tower rushed out, they would first deal with Lu Ming. They had enough time to escape. Roar, 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 furious roars came from the evil spirit tower. A terrifying aura came out of the evil spirit tower. Then, one by one, the terrifying evil spirits rushed out of the evil spirit tower. This kid is dead for sure. He's really lucky. Seeing this scene, Ling Fei and Hua Min let out a long sigh of relief, a smile appearing on their faces. From their point of view, with these evil spirits rushing out, Lu Ming was dead for sure. There was no way he could survive. Lu Ming was not an elf and did not have the blood of an elf. He could not intimidate the evil spirits. He would definitely be attacked by the evil spirits and die. Only Lin Xie's face was gloomy. Once Lu Ming died in the hands of the evil spirits, he would not be able to get the method of not being suppressed. Seeing that the large group of evil spirits were about to drown Lu Ming's face did not show any signs of panic. A few round beads appeared in his hand. They were all evil spirit beads. Then the array on the evil spirit beads was activated. A mysterious aura spread out. Of course, Lu Ming controlled it very well. He controlled the mysterious aura into a small ball. It was only a 10-meter radius. This way the evil spirits would only be afraid of this 10-meter radius. When the evil spirit rushed into the 10-meter range, it automatically bypassed the 10-meter range. In an instant, at least hundreds of terrifying evil spirits rushed past Lu Ming. These evil spirits did not dare to attack Lu Ming. Naturally, they rushed toward Lin Xie, Ling Fei and Hua Min. How is this possible? Lin Xie, Ling Fei and Hua Min widened their eyes in disbelief. Why did these evil spirits not attack Lu Ming? Lu Ming was not an elf and did not have the blood of an elf. How could this be? They were stunned for a moment. They originally thought that these evil spirits would definitely attack Lu Ming first, so they did not panic. Now that they wanted to retreat, it was too late. A large group of evil spirits rushed toward them. Activate the blood of an elf. Intimidate the evil spirits. Lin Xie roared. The blood in his body boiled. The powerful aura of an elf's blood burst out. Ling Fei and Hua Min did the same. They exploded with all their strength. A powerful aura pressed toward the evil spirits. The three of them were top geniuses of the elf tribe. Their elf blood was naturally very rich. Although it was not as good as Ling Yue's royal blood, it was not much worse. The evil spirits could not help but stiffen. A trace of fear appeared in their eyes. However, at this moment, Lu Ming activated the array on the evil spirit beads with all his strength. The mysterious aura suddenly expanded and rushed toward the evil spirits. The array formed by the 6 evil spirit beads was much more intimidating to the evil spirits than Lin Xie and the other two's elf blood. Being hit by this aura, the evil spirits were shocked and revealed a look of fear. They were afraid of the aura on both sides. However, they were more afraid of Lu Ming's aura. Therefore they could only rush toward Lin Xie and the rest. Chapter 39:14. A large number of evil spirits rushed toward Lin Xie, Ling Fei and Hua Min, causing them to turn pale with fright. Attack. Facing so many evil spirits, Lin Xie and the other two could only attack. Being attacked by the 3 of them, all the evil spirits roared angrily. These evil spirits were from the evil spirit tower on the 5th level. They were very powerful and had a deterrent effect on the elf tribe's bloodline. Otherwise, the elf tribe would not have chosen to enter during the 3-month period when the evil spirits were in hibernation. In addition, after being chased away by Lu Ming's dark spirit bead array, these evil spirits dashed toward Lin Xie and the other two in a frenzy. They began to kill them in a frenzy. Streaks of terrifying evil energy swept toward Lin Xie and the other two. The evil spirits in the 5th level of the evil spirit tower were even more terrifying than the evil spirits in the 4th level. Ling Fei and Hua Min were no match for so many attacks. They were instantly injured by the evil energy. Their bodies were covered in wounds and they were dripping with blood. Moreover, there was a powerful corrosive energy that was corroding their divine power and flesh. Ah, help, help! Ling Fei screamed in agony, begging Lin Xie for help. However, it was impossible for Lin Xie to save him at this moment because Lin Xie could not even protect himself. A group of evil spirits surrounded him and attacked him like a storm. Even if Lin Xie used all his strength, he could only protect himself. Damn it, how could this be? Lin Xie roared in his heart. Everything was different from what he had expected. Lu Ming was completely fine and all the evil spirits were attacking them instead. At this moment, a scream was heard. Hua Min was clawed by a few terrifying evil spirits and his body was torn apart. He was then devoured by a few evil spirits. Seeing this scene, Ling Fei was almost scared to death. Help, Muyun, help me. I beg you, save me, save me. After we get out, I will definitely support you and the princess being together. Ling Fei desperately shouted for help, pinning his hopes on Lu Ming. Swoosh. Lu Ming moved and charged toward Ling Fei. A glimmer of hope appeared in Ling Fei's eyes. He thought that Lu Ming was going to save him. Lu Ming shrunk the area of the dark spirit bead formation, covering only a few meters around him. When he passed by the dark spirits, they all moved aside. The next moment, Lu Ming appeared not far from Ling Fei. Ling Fei revealed a look of ecstasy and laughed wildly in his heart. He secretly cursed Lu Ming for being an idiot for actually saving him. He had already come up with more than 10 plans in his heart. After Lu Ming saved him, he would come up with a plan to get rid of Lu Ming. But in the next moment, Ling Fei suddenly widened his eyes. This was because a spear ray had already pierced through his dantian, piercing through the star within his dantian. "Ah, you!" Ling Fei let out a shrill scream, his eyes wide open. "The reason why I rushed over is not to save you, but to kill you with my own hands. Do you understand?" Lu Ming's cold voice rang out. The spear ray formed by the taboo energy suddenly vibrated, and a violent energy burst out, instantly tearing Ling Fei's body apart. Ling Fei's body and soul were destroyed. Damn it! Lin Xie was a little flustered. He madly charged in one direction, wanting to break out of the encirclement. But there were too many dark spirits. How could he rush out in such a short time? And Lu Ming had already charged toward Lin Xie. Wherever Lu Ming passed, the dark spirits avoided him. Lu Ming was like a ghost approaching Lin Xie. Both of his fists blasted out, and the violent fist energy pressed down on Lin Xie. "Mu Yun, you are courting death," Lin Xie roared. His body kept trembling like a bowstring vibrating. Then arrows burst out, blocking Lu Ming's fist energy. However, just as he was about to attack Lu Ming's body flashed, and he was already hiding behind many dark spirits. More dark spirits continued to attack Lin Xie. Lin Xie's hair stood on end as he roared like a madman. Terrifying arrows were shot out, and a few dark spirits exploded from the arrows. After one of the dark spirits exploded, a dark spirit bead appeared. A dark spirit bead actually appeared. As expected of the 5th level. It's not just a dark spirit from the evil spirit tower. Lu Ming's eyes lit up. His body flashed and he caught the dark spirit in his hand. Afterward, Lu Ming took the time to launch an attack on Lin Xie. Being attacked by Lu Ming and the dark spirits, Lin Xie finally could not hold on. A bird-type dark spirit grabbed his body and tore off a piece of flesh from his body. With a piece of flesh torn off, Lin Xie's wound was constantly corroded by the dark energy, causing Lin Xie to roar in pain. "Take his life while he's down." Lu Ming immediately attacked. His fist almost hit Lin Xie's chest, but Lin Xie dodged it by a hair's breadth. Lin Xie went berserk and continued to use his ultimate move. He blew up a few more dark spirits and a few more dark spirit beads appeared. These dark spirit beads were only the size of a fist, but to Lu Ming they were very useful. Naturally he kept them all. At that moment, a terrifying roar came from the evil spirit tower. It was as if a terrifying existence was awakening. Obviously, the most powerful dark spirit in the evil spirit tower was about to awaken. A violent aura rushed out of the evil spirit tower's door. Lin Xie's expression changed drastically. He could deal with other dark spirits, but if the most powerful dark spirit in the evil spirit tower came out, he would not be able to handle it. "Kid, let me go, let me go," Lin Xie roared. "Let you go? Do you think that's possible?" Lu Ming sneered. "If you don't let me go when that terrifying dark spirit comes out, we'll all die." Lin Xie roared. "We'll all die? I think you're thinking too much." Lu Ming smiled faintly and moved the dark spirit bead in his hand. Lin Xie's pupils shrank rapidly and he roared in a frenzy, "Kid, do you know who I am? I'm warning you, let me go, or when we get out of this world, I'll make sure you die a horrible death." "When you're eaten by the dark spirit, how are you going to get out of this world?" Lu Ming chuckled. As he spoke, he continued to attack Lin Xie so that Lin Xie could not escape. In the evil spirit tower, a terrifying roar came again. The terrifying aura was getting stronger and stronger. Finally, a maggot-like dark spirit rushed out of the evil spirit tower. Immediately, a terrifying aura spread toward Lu Ming and Lin Xie. Lin Xie's face turned pale. The divine power in his body burned fiercely. He gave it his all, trying to rush out. "Stay here." Lu Ming also gave it his all, attacking Lin Xie without fear of death. In the end, Lu Ming's body was pierced by a terrifying arrow, and he was sent flying tens of thousands of meters away. But after being blocked, Lin Xie lost the chance to escape because the maggot-like dark spirit swallowed him whole. Chapter 39:15. Lin Xie screamed as he was swallowed by the maggot evil spirit. He resisted with all his might, burning his divine power. He desperately wanted to escape regardless of the consequences. Unfortunately, his fate was already sealed. He was not Lu Ming and did not have the forbidden power. Once he was swallowed by this terrifying evil spirit, he could not resist the corrosive power at all. At first he was still struggling, roaring like thunder. Later his voice became softer and finally there was no sound at all. After the maggot evil spirit swallowed Lin Xie, it opened its mouth full of fangs and faced Lu Ming. Lu Ming was shocked and quickly activated the array of the dark spirit bead. A powerful and mysterious aura spread out. The maggot evil spirit showed a trace of fear and turned to leave. Lu Ming looked hesitant, wondering if he should make a move to kill the maggot evil spirit. This maggot evil spirit was more powerful than the three-headed lizard evil spirit on the fourth floor. The dark spirit bead it contained was definitely stronger. If he could get it, the power of the dark spirit bead array would definitely be stronger. However, Lu Ming was not confident. In the end, Lu Ming chose to give up. The maggot evil spirit flew back into the dark spirit tower and disappeared. However, there were still some ordinary evil spirits that did not return. You can't leave. Lu Ming stared at the ordinary evil spirits and killed them. Although they were ordinary evil spirits, they were still very powerful. They were just not as terrifying as the maggot evil spirit. However, Lu Ming used the dark spirit bead array to deter these evil spirits, so it was not too difficult to kill them. Soon, more than half of the hundreds of evil spirits were killed by Lu Ming, and he obtained 12 fist-sized dark spirit beads. Senior Bone Demon, I'll leave these dark spirit beads to you. Lu Ming handed the dark spirit beads to Bone Demon and let Bone Demon integrate them into the dark spirit bead array. He left and continued to look for the entrance to the 6th floor. As he searched, he took out a few storage rings and counted them. Naturally, the storage rings belonged to Lin Xie, Ling Fei and Hua Min. After checking, Lu Ming's face was full of smiles. Putting everything else aside, just the elvenwood hearts alone, the three of them had plundered a bunch of them from their storage rings. In total, there were over 1,000 of them. Over 1,000 elvenwood cores were already a huge fortune. Apart from these, there were also 10 or so intermediate elven tree seeds and low elven tree seeds. Altogether, they were worth 600 to 700 elvenwood cores, which was a great harvest. This time Lu Ming was in luck. After Skeletal Fiend integrated the fist-sized dark spirit beads into the array, Lu Ming found the entrance to the 6th floor and entered it. After entering the 6th floor, Lu Ming continued to search for the entrance to the 7th floor. This time there were no major accidents. Other than finding a few elven trees, they encountered a few groups of evil spirits. The evil spirits wandering on the 6th floor were stronger than those on the 5th floor, but they were easily defeated by Lu Ming. Lu Ming smoothly arrived on the 7th floor. What a strong suppressive force. After arriving on the 7th floor, Lu Ming's first feeling was that the suppressive force was very strong, far above that of the 6th floor. Of course, Lu Ming unleashed his forbidden power and rushed out, breaking through the suppressive force. The second feeling was that the life essence was too rich, far above the previous worlds. The trees here were particularly thick and tall, full of exuberant vitality. The 7th floor could not only nurture low elven tree seeds and intermediate elven tree seeds, but it could also nurture high elven tree seeds. Of course, the evil spirits here were also particularly powerful. Even if the most terrifying evil spirits were asleep, the evil spirits wandering outside were not to be underestimated. Their strength was very terrifying. The 7th floor was very dangerous. Even the top prodigies of the elf tribe would be in danger here. Throughout history, many fallen elf tribe prodigies were concentrated on this floor. This was because very few people dared to go to the 8th floor. Many people wanted to go to the 7th floor to look for elven tree seeds. Lu Ming's original goal was also the 7th floor. That is, not long after Lu Ming arrived on the 7th floor, he found an unusual tree. When he walked closer, he found that it was a low-level elven tree seed. As expected of the 7th floor. I just arrived and found a low-level elven tree seed. This place is really extraordinary. Lu Ming smiled and put away the low-level elven tree seed. Then Lu Ming spread out his spiritual sense and began to search carefully. After arriving on the 7th floor, Lu Ming was not in a hurry to go to the 8th floor. He planned to search on the 7th floor. The 7th floor was no small matter. In just half a day, Lu Ming found 15 low-level elven tree seeds and 3 mid-level elven tree seeds. Unfortunately, he did not find any high-level elven tree seeds. Asterisk roar. Asterisk a group of evil spirits roared and rushed toward Lu Ming. The cold evil power kept surging toward Lu Ming. Go. Lu Ming brought out the array of dark spirit beads and shrouded these evil spirits. These evil spirits showed fear and could not fight with half of their combat power. Lu Ming rushed over and killed them. After a round of killing, Lu Ming annihilated all these evil spirits. Surprisingly, these evil spirits also had dark spirit beads. On average, 1 in 10 evil spirits had a dark spirit bead, but the size was relatively small, only the size of an egg. But Lu Ming was very satisfied. These were just ordinary evil spirits and they had dark spirit beads. After a fight, Lu Ming got a dozen dark spirit beads. Although these dark spirit beads are relatively small, as long as there are enough of them, the deterrent force will be strong enough. I wonder if I can enter the 8th and 9th floor with this array? Lu Ming was looking forward to it. The evil spirits on the 8th and 9th floor would be even more terrifying. Even the ordinary evil spirits that wandered outside were absolutely terrifying. Moreover, it was said that no one of the elves had been to the 9th floor for at least 100 stellar years. They knew very little about the 9th floor. Who knew if those terrifying evil spirits were sleeping on the 9th floor? So, the more dark spirit beads, the better. Lu Ming threw the dark spirit beads to Skeletal Demon for refining and continued his search. Later, whenever he encountered an evil spirit, Lu Ming would not let them go. He killed them all, and the number of dark spirit beads he collected increased. Naturally, the power of the array of dark spirit beads was getting stronger and stronger. And he collected more and more elven trees. Unfortunately, he still did not collect any high-grade elven trees. In the blink of an eye, Lu Ming had been on the 7th floor for 3 days. On the evening of the 3rd day, Lu Ming suddenly sensed something. He suddenly sped up and flew to the right. After thousands of miles, Lu Ming found a towering ancient tree that towered into the clouds. It was at least 1,000 meters tall, the same height as many evil spirit towers. Chapter 39:16. The canopy of the 1,000-meter-tall ancient tree opened up like a large umbrella, covering the sky and the sun. In the middle of the canopy there was a fruit. It was golden in color and about the size of a fist, but it emitted terrifying fluctuations. The rich life essence was like water ripples that spread out in all directions. No wonder Lu Ming could feel it from so far away. What rich life essence, this is a high-grade elven tree. Lu Ming's eyes lit up. The life essence of this fruit was too rich. Before the fruit was even broken, the life essence was already far above that of a mid-grade elven tree. This was definitely a high-grade elven tree. In the entire elven race it was the top tree. If the elves nurtured a high-grade elven tree well, it could grow into a towering tree that could provide a huge amount of cultivation resources for the elves. Moreover, when the elves cultivated on the elven tree, they could also purify their bloodline and speed up their cultivation. If they had enough time, they could even subtly increase their cultivation. It could be said that the elven tree was the foundation of the elves' strength. High-grade elven tree was even more important. It was said that in the entire elven race, there were only 100 or so mature high-grade elven trees, not even 200. From this, it could be seen how precious high-grade elven trees were. Ling Huafeng wanted Lu Ming to collect 12 high-grade elven trees to make things difficult for him. However, Lu Ming had finally encountered his first high-grade elven tree. Just as Lu Ming was about to take action and take down the high-grade elven tree, an arrow suddenly shot towards Lu Ming from the left at an astonishing speed. The arrow whistled and broke through the void. Its power was extremely terrifying. Lu Ming's figure flashed and he retreated continuously. That arrow flew past him and passed by him. Then Lu Ming looked to the left. Swoosh. In that direction, a light flashed and a figure appeared. This was an elven woman. She was very beautiful. Although she couldn't compare to Ling Yue, she was definitely top-notch. She held a battle bow in her hand and stepped through the air. An arrow was already aimed at Lu Ming. Mu Yun? I didn't expect that with your cultivation, you would actually be able to reach the 7th floor. What a miracle. Her voice was very pleasant to the ears, like silver pearls falling on a jade plate. A young genius of the 4th godly emperor layer dares to attack a young man at the 1st emperor layer by surprise, hee. Lu Ming sneered. He could already sense that the woman was terrifying. She had the strength of the 4th godly emperor layer, the same as Lin Xie. If I don't do it, the high elven tree seed will be taken by you. Alright, this high elven tree seed belongs to me now. You can leave. The female elf said in a domineering manner. It belongs to you? This sprite tree was discovered by me first. Lu Ming said. You were the one who discovered it first, but you don't have the strength to protect it, so it's mine now. You're Ling Yue's fiancé, and I have a good relationship with Ling Yue. I don't want to hurt you, so you can leave. The female elf said. Whether or not I have the strength to protect you is not up to you. Lu Ming smiled faintly as a powerful aura emanated from his body. Indeed, on the 5th floor, Lu Ming wasn't a match for Lin Xie, and he probably wasn't a match for the female elf either. But this was the 7th floor. The oppressive strength was much stronger than on the 5th floor. Lu Ming wasn't affected, but the others were. Lu Ming was confident that on the 7th floor, Lu Ming wasn't afraid of Lin Xie. He could even defeat him. The female elf was surprised. She looked at Lu Ming curiously. She knew that Lu Ming was extremely strong. At the same level, there weren't many people in the entire universe who could compete with him. It could be seen from how he had defeated Hua Xing. However, the difference between a cultivator of the 4th godly emperor layer and a cultivator of the 4th godly emperor layer was too great. She wasn't an ordinary cultivator of the 4th godly emperor layer, she was a genius. Lu Ming surprisingly wanted to fight with her. She was very surprised. Even if I don't kill you for Ling Yue's sake, I'll teach you a lesson. I believe she won't have anything to say. Let's fight. The female elf shouted. Her aura surged as she aimed an arrow at Lu Ming. Lu Ming immediately felt a sharp intent lock onto him. Whoosh! An arrow shot toward Lu Ming like a ray of light. Great. Lu Ming's lips curled into a smile. His aura also surged. The battle formula increased his combat strength by 6 times. When the female elf appeared, Lu Ming had already tried to trigger the battle formula to increase his combat strength by 6 times. At this moment he finally succeeded. Boom! Lu Ming's palm slashed out like a knife. His palm contained the power of great god wind and great shattering. It was even sharper than a real heavenly sword. Clang! Lu Ming's palm collided with the arrow, causing an earth-shattering explosion. Then, with a loud bang, circles of light spread out in all directions. The arrow shot by the female elf exploded. As for Lu Ming's figure, he did not move at all. How is this possible? The female elf's beautiful eyes were wide open. Her small mouth was slightly agape, and her face was filled with disbelief. She had already used 70% of her strength in that arrow. She was certain that Lu Ming would definitely not be able to block it and would be seriously injured. By then, he would naturally retreat in the face of difficulties and would not compete with her for the high-level spirit tree species. She never expected that Lu Ming would be able to block her attack. How could a quasi-emperor block her attack? It seems that your strength isn't that great? Now it's my turn. Lu Ming's indifferent voice rang out. He took a step forward and quickly approached the female elf. I was merciful just now. Now take this. The female elf cried out. She retreated quickly and knocked an arrow on her bow. Another arrow flew towards Lu Ming. This time, the female elf used 90% of her strength. Lu Ming struck out with his palm again and hit the arrow. With a loud bang, the arrow was still destroyed by Lu Ming. Lu Ming's figure did not stop at all. He continued to rush towards the female elf. The two figures were rapidly closing in. When the distance between the two was completely closed, Lu Ming made a strong move. His palm was like a knife and he struck out more than 10 times in a row. More than 10 rays of light slashed towards the female elf. Your cultivation isn't being suppressed. At this time, the female elf finally realized that something was wrong. Her beautiful eyes widened and she exclaimed. At this critical moment, a long spear suddenly appeared in her hand. The long spear swept out and a huge mountain-like spear light collided with the divine light slashed by Lu Ming. There was a big explosion in the void, and a terrifying force swept out in all directions. In the roar, the female elf's figure retreated rapidly. In a head-on confrontation, she was no match for Lu Ming. Whoosh! Lu Ming continued to approach the female elf and launched a fierce attack. As Lu Ming closed the distance between them, the female elf abandoned her bow and used her long spear to fight him. Chapter 39:17. The elven woman was indeed very powerful. She was definitely not weaker than Lin Xie. In fact, she was even stronger than Lin Xie. She had abandoned her bow and arrow and used her spear to fight her enemy. Her combat strength was also extremely shocking. Although she was suppressed by Lu Ming and kept retreating, it was not possible for Lu Ming to defeat her in a few moves. Boom! The two of them exchanged another blow. Amidst the violent rumbling, the elven woman's figure retreated rapidly. I'm not fighting anymore, I'm not fighting anymore. The elven woman cried out. Lu Ming stopped and did not continue to attack. It was not because the other party was a woman and was beautiful, but because the other party did not have any killing intent towards him just now. The other party only wanted to seize the elven tree seed and did not have any killing intent towards him. Moreover, she seemed to be Ling Yue's friend, so Lu Ming would not kill her because of this. I'm not fighting anymore, you pervert. I'm not fighting with you anymore. This elven tree seed is yours. The elven woman took a few deep breaths and slowly calmed down the boiling divine power in her body. Her gaze towards Lu Ming was filled with resentment and curiosity. She had actually lost to a quasi-emperor, which made her extremely unhappy. However, a quasi-emperor actually had such powerful strength which made her very curious. "You should retreat a little," Lu Ming said. He was afraid that he would be ambushed while he was picking the elven tree seed. The elven woman nodded and retreated to a certain distance. In this distance, her bow and arrow could not unleash too much power. At this moment, Lu Ming's figure flashed and appeared beside the elven tree seed. With a wave of his hand, a divine light flashed and cut open the fruit. Immediately, an extremely rich life essence rushed out. What pure life essence! It really is a high-grade elven tree seed. Lu Ming was overjoyed. This elven tree seed was actually golden, but it was even more resplendent and beautiful than gold. It was like the incarnation of life essence. This was a high-grade elven tree seed. If he gave it to the elves, he would be rewarded with 1,000 elven wood cores. Lu Ming took out a jade box and carefully put it into the jade box, keeping it in his storage ring. In the distance, the elven woman revealed an envious expression. "Mu Yun, let's work together," the female elf said. Lu Ming was very strong, which made her want to cooperate with him. Not interested. Lu Ming rejected him directly. He had no intention to consider it at all. "Mu Yun, there are many elf tribe prodigies on the 7th level. It won't be easy to get the elf seed. There will be a lot of competition. If we work together, we'll have a better chance." The female elf still wanted to persuade him. Not interested. Lu Ming continued to shake his head with a cold face. "You," the female elf's face turned red. She was very unhappy. He rejected her so straightforwardly. Was she that unattractive? Although she knew that she couldn't compare to Ling Yue, she shouldn't be that far off. Sometimes a woman's thoughts were just that wild. In the end, the elf woman coldly harumphed, turned around and left. After the fairy left, Lu Ming chose another direction and stepped into the air. However, not long after, Lu Ming stopped. Because in front of him, a figure was rushing towards him. In the next moment, that figure stopped in front of Lu Ming. Mu Yun. This figure's gaze fell on Lu Ming, and a cold killing intent flashed across his eyes. This young man was Hua Ding, who Ling Fei and Hua Min had been looking for. Previously, Hua Ding didn't believe that Lu Ming wouldn't be suppressed here. Lu Ming frowned. The other party's killing intent towards him was very strong. In an instant he felt it. "Mu Yun, very good. Give me your storage ring," Hua Ding said indifferently in a commanding tone. "Why should I give my storage ring to you?" Lu Ming sneered. He naturally wouldn't give his storage ring to the other party. "Just now, I clearly felt a strong life essence being emitted nearby. If I'm not wrong, it was emitted by the high-grade elf tree. But in the next moment, it disappeared and I only saw you in the vicinity. Tell me, did you obtain the high-grade elf tree?" Hua Ding said lightly. He was still in a superior position, commanding Lu Ming in a commanding tone. "Yes or no, what does it have to do with you?" Lu Ming said. "Hehe, Mu Yun, you're very arrogant. Originally, if you obediently hand over your storage ring, I could have left your corpse intact. But now, I've decided that I will feed you to the evil spirits." Hua Ding sneered, and the killing intent emanating from his body became even stronger. "You really know how to act cool. I'll send you on your way first." Lu Ming directly made his move. This Hua Ding, as soon as he saw him, emitted a strong killing intent. Lu Ming didn't hold back at all against such a person. He made the first move to gain the upper hand. Boom. His palm was like a knife, piercing through the air and slashing at Hua Ding's vital points. Hua Ding's expression changed. The power of Lu Ming's attack made him feel a terrifying sense of danger. Arrow cauldron technique. Hua Ding roared and the divine power in his body boiled. Very small arrows rushed out from every pore of his body. These arrows gathered together, forming a large cauldron that floated in front of him. Clang. Lu Ming's palm landed on the large cauldron. The large cauldron let out a violent roar and then exploded. Hua Ding's body shook violently, and he retreated violently, almost spitting out a mouthful of blood. You're really not suppressed?" Hua Ding roared in shock, and then a greedy look appeared in his eyes. He immediately thought of the value of not being suppressed. "Really not suppressed? What do you mean by that? You seem to have heard it before?" Lu Ming frowned. The first thing he thought of was Ling Fei and Hua Min. This was because the only people who knew that he wasn't suppressed were Ling Fei, Hua Min, and the others. However, the female elf had just left, and naturally she could not have revealed it to Hua Ding. There was only one possibility, which was that Ling Fei and the others had asked Hua Ding to deal with him, and that was why he knew. Swoosh. At this moment, Hua Ding's body retreated frantically, trying to distance himself from Lu Ming. Then, a battle bow formed in his hand. Arrow cauldron technique, suppressing heaven and earth. Hua Ding roared and he continued to shoot. His arrows were not aimed at Lu Ming but at the sky. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. Arrows flew into the sky, and then those arrows turned into large cauldrons and pressed down on Lu Ming. There were a total of 12 large cauldrons, and they emitted a terrifying wave of energy that could suppress heaven and earth. Lu Ming was surprised. This kind of archery technique was rare. However, Lu Ming was not afraid. He rushed up and his body glowed. The Great God Wind technique and Great Shattering technique burst out, and combined with Lu Ming's palm they attacked continuously. Boom, boom, boom. Terrifying collisions erupted, and violent energy waves swept in all directions. The countless ancient trees below were destroyed by the energy waves and turned into ashes. Chapter 39:18. Lu Ming struck out 12 consecutive palms, colliding with the 12 cauldrons. With 12 consecutive explosions, the 12 cauldrons were all destroyed by Lu Ming. Kill. After destroying the 12 cauldrons, Lu Ming continued to charge towards Hua Ding like an invincible god of war. His palms broke through the void, and a terrifying divine light surged towards Hua Ding. Damn it, he really isn't being suppressed. How can this be? Hua Ding roared in his heart, trying his best to fight against Lu Ming. However, Hua Ding's combat strength was not much different from Lin Xie's. If they were on the 5th level, Lu Ming would not be his match. However, he was suppressed too much here and he was no match for Lu Ming. Before the two exchanged more than 10 blows, Hua Ding's shoulder was slashed by Lu Ming. His shoulder was almost shattered, and he spat out a mouthful of blood. His face was pale. Kill? Lu Ming yelled and unleashed his abilities to the maximum. At that moment, his body glowed, and all of his offensive and entrapment secret skills were revealed. They turned into a storm and charged towards Hua Ding. Hua Ding was dumbfounded. How could one person master so many secret skills? Then he roared crazily and resisted with all his might, shattering one secret skill after another. However, with so many secret skills attacking at the same time, the power was too shocking. Hua Ding barely managed to block it. However, Lu Ming had already appeared in front of him. He clenched his fist and punched Hua Ding's dantian. This time Hua Ding's face was pale. This was because Lu Ming's violent fist force had entered his dantian, causing the star in his dantian to tremble. The divine flames on the star were almost extinguished and its light dimmed. Hua Ding screamed and his body flew out, coughing up blood. This time he was severely injured and his aura was much weaker. Lu Ming's body flashed and he appeared next to Hua Ding again. He attacked with all his might, showing no mercy. Hua Ding roared and fought with all his might. His divine power burned fiercely, and he wanted to break free from the suppression of heaven and earth and return to his peak. Unfortunately, it was already too late for him to risk his life. The eternal star in his dantian had been severely damaged by Lu Ming, and it was difficult for him to regain his full strength. Even if he burned his divine power, it was difficult for him to break through the suppression of the world. However, under such desperate efforts, his battle strength had increased greatly. His body seemed to be covered with a suit of armor made of god power, and a huge cauldron appeared. Grabbing the foot of the cauldron, he threw it toward Lu Ming. This kind of cauldron was completely condensed from numerous arrows. Its attack power was extremely terrifying. After exchanging several blows with Lu Ming, there was still no clear victor. Little bastard, you want to kill me? Don't even think about it. When I get out, I'll make you wish you were dead. Hua Ding roared, his hair stood on end, his killing intent like a rainbow. He had actually been forced by Lu Ming to this point. He was desperately burning his divine power. This was extremely damaging to him. The side effects were huge. It might hurt his foundation and make it difficult for him to improve in the future. His hatred for Lu Ming was like a torrential river that flowed endlessly. He had already decided in his heart that after he left, no matter what price he had to pay, he would deal with Lu Ming. Even if Lu Ming was Ling Yue's fiancé, he would still kill him. You still want to leave now? Is that possible? Lu Ming's cold voice could be heard. All of a sudden his attacks changed. He completely abandoned his defense and focused all his energy on attacking. You're courting death. Hua Ding discovered that Lu Ming had revealed a huge flaw. How could he miss such an opportunity? The cauldron whizzed out and struck Lu Ming horizontally. Dong. The cauldron heavily smashed into Lu Ming's body. Countless arrows shot out and pierced through Lu Ming's body. Lu Ming suddenly turned into a hornet's nest. Haha, go to hell, go to hell. Hua Ding laughed crazily, his face sinister. But in the next moment he couldn't laugh anymore. Lu Ming, who had already turned into a hornet's nest, actually moved. Taking advantage of the situation, he circled around to Hua Ding's side. His palm was like a blade as he slashed down at him. Compared to before, his power was not the slightest bit weaker. Hua Ding was completely dumbfounded. After being hit by his cauldron head-on, his body had been pierced into a hornet's nest, but he was actually fine. He could still make a move and maintain his peak combat strength. What was going on? No matter how strong the others were, their bodies would definitely be severely injured after being pierced like this. They probably wouldn't even be able to unleash 10% of their strength. However, Lu Ming still maintained 100% of his strength. This was beyond his expectations. He wanted to dodge, but it was already too late. Lu Ming's palm was like a blade. On his palm, there was the power of the Great God Wind Technique and the Great Shattering Technique. The Great God Wind Technique was incomparably sharp and possessed a terrifying cutting power. As for the Great Shattering Technique, it possessed a terrifying shattering power. When the palm hit Hua Ding, it directly blasted the protective divine power on his body and slashed his body. Blood splattered everywhere. Hua Ding's body was slashed diagonally into two halves. The remaining two halves of his body continued to shatter under the bombardment of the Great Shattering Technique. Hua Ding's soul escaped from his sea of consciousness. He wanted to escape, but he was caught by Lu Ming's big hand. "Don't kill me. Please don't kill me," Hua Ding screamed in horror. However, Lu Ming's face was cold. He squeezed hard and Hua Ding's soul turned into ashes with a bang. It completely disappeared. Hua Ding was killed by Lu Ming. A storage ring appeared in Lu Ming's hand. Naturally, it was Hua Ding's. Lu Ming didn't stay. His figure flashed and he left this place. After all, Hua Ding was a top genius of the elf clan. If others saw that he was killed by him, it wouldn't be good. It would cause trouble. After leaving for some distance, Lu Ming began to check the storage ring left behind by Hua Ding. Soon Lu Ming smiled. The collection in Hua Ding's storage ring was more abundant than Lin Xie's. There were many elf tree hearts, low-level and mid-level elf tree trees. Unfortunately, there were no high-level elf tree trees. It seemed like high-level elf tree trees were not easy to find. After killing Hua Ding, Lu Ming continued to search on the 7th floor. He encountered a few groups of evil spirits and obtained many dark spirit pearls. However, he still didn't find any high-level elf tree trees. Instead, he met other geniuses of the elf clan. These geniuses of the elf clan were surprised to see that Lu Ming could make it to the 7th floor. Some of them even wanted to attack Lu Ming, but Lu Ming took the initiative to retreat. After all, he was in the elf clan. If news of him killing too many geniuses of the elf clan spread, the people behind them would definitely come after him. It was best to avoid trouble. Unless the other party wanted to kill him like Hua Ding, he wouldn't show mercy. Fortunately, the other elf clans didn't want to kill him that badly. Just like that, Lu Ming stayed on the 7th floor for a total of 7 days. On the 7th day, he finally found another high-level elf tree. With that, Lu Ming found a total of 2 high-level elf trees. He found quite a number of low-level and mid-level elf trees. Chapter 39:19. I can't go on like this. I won't be able to find 12 high-level elven tree seeds in 3 months. Lu Ming frowned and pondered. He felt that there might not be 12 elven tree seeds in the entire 7th level. Moreover, there were many elven prodigies on this level. With so many people searching together, how could he find 12 high-level elven tree seeds? Looks like I have to go to the 8th level to take a look. Lu Ming made a decision. He immediately headed in a certain direction. There were a total of 3 entrances from the 7th level to the 8th level. Lu Ming had searched here for 7 days and had already found 2 entrances and left his mark. Therefore, Lu Ming quickly found one of the entrances and entered the 8th level. The 8th level was stronger than the 7th level in terms of the density of life essence and the suppression of heaven and earth. However, the suppression of heaven and earth was still ineffective against Lu Ming. Looking around, the world was filled with lush forests. Large tracts of forest stood between heaven and earth, incomparably magnificent. That's a elven tree seed. Lu Ming glanced around and found that there was a tree not far away that had a particularly dense life essence. On the crown of the tree there was a fruit. It was clearly an elven tree seed. Lu Ming stepped over and took it down. He found that it was a low-level elven tree seed. There should be a lot of low-level elven tree seeds on the 8th level. Lu Ming smiled and spread out his spiritual consciousness to search. Sure enough, not long after, Lu Ming found another elven tree seed. Although it was also a low-level one, Lu Ming was ecstatic. The density of elven tree seeds here was so high. They were only a few thousand miles apart, and elven tree seeds were continuously appearing. There would definitely be a huge harvest on this level. At this moment, a terrifying roar sounded. A pitch-black giant bird pounced towards Lu Ming. This giant bird was an evil spirit, but its aura was exceptionally terrifying, causing Lu Ming's pupils to shrink slightly. The giant bird evil spirit was very fast. In the next moment, it appeared not far from Lu Ming. Its sharp claws were like knives grabbing at Lu Ming. Boom! Lu Ming unleashed his full strength. His palm was like a blade as he slashed out, slashing at the giant bird evil spirit's sharp claws. There was an intense explosion and Lu Ming retreated. He felt a burning pain in his palm. What a powerful force! Lu Ming felt that the power of this evil spirit was no weaker than the three-headed lizard evil spirit guarding the evil spirit tower on the 4th floor. If this evil spirit was only an ordinary evil spirit from the 8th floor, then it would be terrifying. The giant bird evil spirit let out a strange cry and continued to attack Lu Ming. This time, Lu Ming took out the array of dark spirit beads and activated the array's power. Now, Lu Ming's dark spirit bead array was made up of more than 20 dark spirit beads of different sizes. The deterrence it had on the dark spirits was amazing. As soon as the evil spirit was enveloped by the mysterious aura of the spirit array, it shuddered and a look of horror appeared in its eyes. It turned around and fled. Lu Ming did not chase after it. He was very satisfied with the ability of the dark spirit beads. Now was the time to focus on finding the elvish tree species. Hunting evil spirits would be a waste of time. Next, Lu Ming focused on finding the elvish tree species. The evil spirits on the 7th or 8th floor were indeed very terrifying. Some were alone, some were in groups of 3 or 5, and some were even in groups of dozens. The strength of these evil spirits was no weaker than the giant bird evil spirit that Lu Ming first met. If it were not for the deterrence of the dark spirit bead array, Lu Ming would have been torn to pieces by these evil spirits. So, basically no elven prodigies dared to come to this floor. Anyway, Lu Ming had wandered around for several days and did not meet any elven prodigies. With the deterrence of the dark spirit bead, Lu Ming's dark spirit bead array was like his backyard. Whether it was a lone evil spirit or a group of evil spirits, as long as he activated the dark spirit bead array, all the evil spirits would definitely run away. So Lu Ming happily looked for the elvish tree species on the 8th floor. The 8th floor was very big. Lu Ming had been looking for the elvish tree species on the 8th floor for more than 10 days. The harvest was quite bountiful. He had found at least a few hundred low-grade elvish tree species. There were definitely more than 50 mid-grade elvish tree species. Even the high-grade elvish tree species, Lu Ming found 8. Yes. Lu Ming had almost searched the entire 8th floor and only found 8 high-grade elvish tree species. The number of high-grade elvish tree species was even fewer than he had imagined. It seemed that he was very lucky to find 2 high-grade elvish tree species on the 7th floor. There were probably only a few high-grade elvish tree species in the entire 7th floor. Finally, after a few more days, Lu Ming felt that he had really searched the entire 8th floor, and finally found another high-grade elvish tree species. In this way he found 9 high-grade elvish tree species on the 8th floor and 2 on the 7th floor, making a total of 11 high-grade elvish tree species. He was only 1 away from 12 high-grade elvish tree species. It seems that I have to go to the 9th floor to have a look, Lu Ming thought. However, the dark spirits on the 8th floor were already so terrifying. He did not know how terrifying the dark spirits on the 9th floor would be. Lu Ming was not sure if the array of the dark spirit bead in his hand would be effective. There are still more than 2 months before the 3-month deadline. Anyway, it's still early. It won't take that long to search the 9th floor. I'd better strengthen the power of the dark spirit bead array first, Lu Ming thought. Previously, when he encountered the dark spirits, he did not hunt them. It was mainly to find the elvish tree species that was more important. Now that the 8th floor had almost been searched, and it was still early, Lu Ming planned to hunt the dark spirits to strengthen the power of the dark spirit bead array so that he could explore the 9th floor. As soon as he made the decision, there was a roar not far away. Several dark spirits flew toward Lu Ming. Good timing. Lu Ming's eyes lit up as he rushed over. When the distance between the two sides was close enough, Lu Ming activated the power of the dark spirit bead array. The dark spirit bead array shrouded the dark spirits. The dark spirits immediately showed a look of horror and turned to flee. This time Lu Ming would not let them escape. He went straight for them. The dark spirits fought back and fought with Lu Ming. However, these dark spirits were shrouded by the dark spirit bead array. Their strength was greatly reduced, and they were no longer Lu Ming's opponent. After a fierce battle, Lu Ming paid a small price to kill all the dark spirits and obtained several bowl-sized dark spirit beads. Haha, not bad. Lu Ming was overjoyed. He handed a few dark spirit beads to Bone Demon to refine and strengthen the power of the dark spirit beads. Lu Ming, on the other hand, found a place to absorb and refine some spirit wood hearts to enhance his potential. Before entering the ancestral land of the elves, Lu Ming's cell potential had reached 100%. Chapter 39:20. Before entering the elven ancestral land, the potential of Lu Ming's cells had reached 100%. However, after entering the elven ancestral land, Lu Ming had experienced a series of battles, including the battle with the dark spirits and the elven prodigies. He had been severely injured in several battles, which had continuously stimulated the potential stored in his cells. At this time, the potential stored in Lu Ming's cells was almost zero. Once the potential stored in his cells was zero, it would be difficult for Lu Ming to recover quickly. Therefore, Lu Ming planned to absorb the elven tree heart first to store potential. After stimulating so much potential, Lu Ming's cultivation base had also become stronger, and he was closer to the Divine Emperor realm. Of course, there was still a long way to go before he could fully step into the Divine Emperor realm. Lu Ming took out an elven tree heart and started to absorb it. The absorption speed of the elven tree heart was very fast. Soon, the elven tree heart was completely absorbed, and the potential stored in Lu Ming's cells increased by 1%. Then he took out the second one, the third one. When Lu Ming had absorbed and refined 100 elven tree hearts, the potential stored in his cells had reached 100%. At this time, Lu Ming came out of seclusion and continued to hunt the dark spirits. For the next 7 days, Lu Ming was on the 8th level hunting the dark spirits. In the end, Lu Ming's dark spirit bead array had a total of 108 bowl-sized dark spirit beads. Once the array of dark spirit beads was activated, its power increased by more than 10 times. Anyway, the ordinary wandering dark spirits on the 8th level were suppressed by the array of dark spirit beads. They shrank in place, trembling, and were at the mercy of Lu Ming. At this time, Lu Ming was ready to go to the 9th level. No matter how strong the dark spirits on the 9th level were, Lu Ming should be able to pass through unimpeded with the array of dark spirit beads. There were 2 entrances to the 9th level on the 8th level. Lu Ming had already made a mark on the 2 entrances. He went to the nearest entrance and successfully entered the 9th level. On the 9th level, the vitality was extremely strong. The ordinary trees had almost turned into spiritual wood. Of course, the suppression between heaven and earth was also very terrifying. For experts like Hua Ding and Lin Xia, if they were to enter the 9th level, they would be crushed miserably. Lu Ming could kill them with one punch. There must be a lot of elven trees on this level. Lu Ming looked expectant, randomly chose a direction and flew in that direction. However, after flying for tens of thousands of miles, Lu Ming did not find a single sprite tree. What's going on? Logically speaking, the chances of an elven tree seed appearing on the 9th floor were higher than on the 8th floor. How could they not find a single elven tree seed after flying for over 10,000 miles? Lu Ming was puzzled. At this moment, a few terrifying auras flew over from the distance. They were a few evil spirits. What made Lu Ming's face change slightly was the strength of these dark spirits. They were at least several times stronger than the ordinary dark spirits on the 8th level. Lu Ming quickly activated the array of the dark spirit bead, and a powerful deterrent force erupted. The few dark spirits were frightened and fled one after another. Phew! Lu Ming breathed a sigh of relief. He secretly rejoiced that he had spent some time hunting some dark spirits on the 8th floor to strengthen the array of the dark spirit bead. Otherwise, it would have been really dangerous to face such a terrifying dark spirit on the 9th floor. After scaring away the dark spirits, Lu Ming continued to look for elven trees. Next, Lu Ming encountered several batches of dark spirits. Each dark spirit was very powerful, but when Lu Ming activated the array of dark spirit beads, he successfully scared them away. Lu Ming searched for tens of thousands of miles, but he did not find a single elven tree spirit tree. Lu Ming's face was a little gloomy. The 9th level, as the highest level of the world, had the most vigorous life essence. It should have bred the most elven trees. Moreover, it was said that no one from the elves had reached the 9th level for 100 stellar years. There should be more elven trees on the 9th level. Why couldn't he find one after searching for so long? This did not make sense. Lu Ming did not believe it and continued to search. A few hours later, Lu Ming suddenly felt refreshed. He had found something. In a flash, Lu Ming appeared above a huge tree. On the branch of this tree there was a fruit, exuding a rich life essence. A high-grade elven tree spirit tree. Lu Ming was overjoyed. Feeling the richness of the life essence, Lu Ming immediately judged that this was a high-grade elven tree spirit tree. Lu Ming peeled the fruit, and there was indeed a high-grade elven tree spirit tree inside. He did not expect that the first fruit he found on the 9th level was a high-grade elven tree spirit tree. Lu Ming took out a jade box and put it inside. In this way, Lu Ming had already obtained 12 advanced elven tree species and completed the mission given by Ling Huafeng. Of course, Lu Ming would not be satisfied with this. A high-grade elven tree seed would reward 1,000 elven wood cores, so naturally the more the better. Lu Ming continued his search. After searching for half a day, Lu Ming still couldn't find a single low-level elven tree seed or an intermediate elven tree seed. However, Lu Ming found a high-level elven tree seed. I see. All the factors that could breed elven trees in this layer have been taken away by the advanced elven trees. Therefore, this layer can't breed low-level elven trees or intermediate elven trees. If it were to breed, it would only breed advanced elven trees. Bones speculated. That should be the case. Lu Ming also nodded. He had also thought of this point. Otherwise there was no other explanation. But it was also good. All of them were breeding high-grade elven tree species. The number of high-grade elven tree species on this floor would definitely be shocking. Following this, Lu Ming became even more excited as he searched. Sure enough, the elven trees that he found were all high-level elven trees. 1, 2, 3. Lu Ming stayed on the 9th floor for half a month and almost searched the entire floor. In the end, he found a total of 38 high-level elven tree species. Yes, a total of 38, and all of them were high-level elven trees. In addition to the previous 11, there were a total of 49 high-level elven tree species. The smile on Lu Ming's face almost never disappeared. 49 high-level elven tree species, how much reward would the elves give? A total of 49,000 elven wood cores. Lu Ming was really afraid that he would take away all the elven wood cores of the elves. However, the elves only had slightly more than 100 mature high-level elven trees for countless years. If they saw that Lu Ming had brought out 49 high-level elven tree species, what kind of expression would they have? Anyway, with so many elven wood cores in his hands, Lu Ming was already very satisfied. He would use at most 1,000 elven wood cores to break through to the Divine Emperor realm. 40 to 50,000 elven wood cores were enough for him to use for a long time. Chapter 39:21. However, Lu Ming thought of a problem and the smile on his face disappeared. There is actually a dimensional door, Lu Ming whispered. On the 9th floor, Lu Ming actually saw a vortex, which was a dimensional door. This was definitely not a dimensional door to go out. Because it was very simple to go out. Just go back along the original path to the first floor and you can go out. Could this dimensional door lead to the next floor? According to the previous pattern, it was really possible. There were 9 entrances from the first floor to the second floor. There were 8 entrances from the second floor to the third floor. All the way down there were 2 entrances from the 8th floor to the 9th floor. Then there was an entrance to the 9th floor which was just in line with the pattern. Could there be a 10th floor? However, didn't the elves say that there was only a 9th floor? How could there be a 10th floor? Lu Ming was very curious. The harvest on the 9th floor was already so great. If there was a 10th floor, how great would the harvest be? Lu Ming was very tempted and planned to explore. But if there is a 10th floor, will the dark spirits be very terrifying? Can my current array of dark spirit beads deter them? Lu Ming was a little hesitant. Should he go back to the 8th floor to hunt more dark spirits? Whether there is a 10th floor or not, I still don't know. I will go and take a look first. Be careful. If I find that the dark spirits are too terrifying, I will immediately retreat. Lu Ming made a decision, then restrained his aura and stepped into the vortex. The next moment, Lu Ming appeared in a strange world. When Lu Ming looked around, he was a little stunned. Because this world was completely different from the previous world. The previous world, no matter which world it was lush and full of vitality. But this world was completely different. There were stones everywhere and it was dead silent. There was not a single plant to be found. How could this be? Lu Ming showed a puzzled look. The world after the 9th floor was not full of vitality, but dead silence. This was beyond Lu Ming's expectations. Lu Ming decided to take a good look. Lu Ming restrained his aura and flew out. However, as far as the eye could see, everything was deathly still. There was no sign of life. And in this world there was no evil spirit tower, nor were there any evil spirits. It was as if Lu Ming was the only living being in this world. Behind the vibrant world was a dead world. What did this mean? Lu Ming was puzzled. However, he could not suppress the curiosity in his heart. He sped up and flew forward, determined to find out what was going on. After flying for several million miles, it was still deathly still. He didn't find any plants or living creatures. Could it be that this is a dead world? Lu Ming was a little disappointed. Originally he thought that he would be able to gain a lot, but in the end he found that there was nothing. That's not right. At this time, Lu Ming suddenly felt that something was wrong. He could vaguely sense wisps of life aura flowing in the air. This trace of life essence was very faint. If one didn't sense it carefully, they wouldn't be able to sense it. This life essence emerged from the ground and then flowed slowly in one direction. However, it was very faint and very slow. If one didn't sense it carefully, it would be easy to miss it. It seemed that this world wasn't completely lifeless. It was just that the life essence seemed to be attracted by something. Let's go take a look. Lu Ming was very curious. He spread out his spirit sense and flew in the direction where the life essence was gathering. In this way Lu Ming flew for half a day. After half a day, Lu Ming finally saw a shocking scene. In front of him, on the ground, there was a towering ancient tree. This was the only plant that Lu Ming saw in this world. However, this tree was too tall. It was more than 10,000 feet tall, and the crown of the tree covered the sky. From a distance, this ancient tree was shining with divine light. Every leaf was flowing with rich life essence. Between the branches, Lu Ming saw a fruit. No, it was two fruits. On the other side of the branch, Lu Ming saw two more fruits. The two fruits were emerald green and filled with extremely rich life essence. Compared to the life essence of the high-level elven tree that Lu Ming had obtained before, it was 10 times denser. No, it was 100 times denser. Lu Ming was dumbfounded. He couldn't believe it. This world was completely barren, but the first tree he saw was already so shocking? The key was, what level of elven tree was it? It far surpassed the high-level elven tree. Could it be the legendary holy seed of the elven race, the holy tree seed? Right, it must be the elven race's holy tree seed. There's no mistake. I just didn't expect it to give birth to two holy tree seeds. The bone demon's voice sounded, also full of surprise. I heard Ling Yue mention before that even if the elven holy tree seed was born, there would only be one. How could there be two? Lu Ming was also very surprised. This is very simple. No one has entered this world for too long. Moreover, this tree has undergone a mutation and absorbed the essence of the entire world. That's why it was able to give birth to the holy tree seed, and there are even two of them. Not only the holy tree seed, this tree is also extraordinary. If an elf can cultivate here for a period of time and fuse with a wisp of essence energy from the tree, there will definitely be an astonishing change. The bone demon explained. He flew out from between Lu Ming's eyebrows and carefully stared at the ancient tree in front of him, making many deductions. Two holy tree seeds, I wonder what kind of reward will be given to the elves. Lu Ming's eyes emitted a dazzling light. Give both of them to the elves, are you stupid? The bone demon disdained. If I don't give it to the elves, it's useless for me to keep it. Lu Ming said. How can it be useless? It's of great use. You can just hand over one of the two holy tree seeds. Keep the other one for yourself and find a way to nurture it in the future. If you nurture it to maturity, it will be very beneficial for your cultivation. If you want to establish a force, the benefits will be even greater. At the same time, you can allow countless people to cultivate under the tree and increase their cultivation. The bone demon said. Lu Ming pondered for a moment before nodding his head in the end. Although he didn't have the intention to establish a force now, it was hard to say in the future. Right now, it was just that his cultivation was still too low. In the future, when he was stronger, he could learn from Dark Knight Rose and establish a force to compete with the Heavenly Palace. It wasn't a bad choice. Keep it first. Lu Ming stepped out and came to the crown of the ancient tree. Huff huff, rich life essence rushed toward Lu Ming like a gust of wind. Lu Ming waved his hand and broke through the life essence. He came to the bottom of a fruit and plucked it. With a stroke of his finger, the fruit was split open. Suddenly, a beam of green light shot into the sky. Extremely rich life essence burst out. Whoosh. Chapter 39:22. A sparkling and translucent seed flew out like a ray of light. It was very agile and wanted to escape. It still has spirituality? Lu Ming's eyes lit up. He used the Greater Divine Wind technique. His body was wrapped in a gust of wind. In a flash, he chased after the seed. In a few flashes, he caught up with the seed. He condensed a large hand and grabbed at the seed. However, the seed was very agile. With a turn, it dodged Lu Ming's hand and rushed out from another direction. Interesting. Lu Ming smiled. His face was very calm. Everything was under his control. With a wave of his hand, a gust of wind blew between heaven and earth. The wind swept through heaven and earth. The surrounding territory was shrouded in the gust of wind. The gust of wind was like a wind wall. When the seed hit the gust of wind, it was directly bounced back. Then the area covered by the gust of wind kept shrinking. In the end it was only an area of 1 square meter. The seed tried to break out, but it was a pity that it couldn't break out. Now let's see where you can run to. Lu Ming's face was full of smiles. He walked out from the gust of wind. He reached out and grabbed the seed. It was tightly controlled. Thereafter Lu Ming took out a jade box and placed the seed of the sacred tree into it. He then took out a talisman and pasted it on the jade box. Immediately, a halo appeared and enveloped the jade box. This talisman had a sealing function. It was used to seal divine pills, divine weapons and other items to prevent their spirituality from leaking. Lu Ming had killed countless opponents and obtained many storage rings. There were all kinds of things. There were also a lot of talismans used for sealing. After sealing it, he put it in a storage ring. Then he came to the second fruit that gave birth to the seed. This time Lu Ming was prepared. He shrouded the surroundings with a gust of wind. Even if the seed wanted to escape, it had nowhere to go. Then Lu Ming broke open the fruit. As expected, once the fruit was broken open, the seed inside flew out. It wanted to escape, but it was easily captured by Lu Ming and sealed. 2 holy tree seeds. The quality seems to be about the same. I'll keep one for myself. Lu Ming kept one of the seeds of the holy tree into the Jingyu painting scroll. This was equivalent to his personal belongings. I wonder if there are any more holy tree seeds on the 10th level? Lu Ming's eyes shone, revealing a look of anticipation. Don't think about it. It's already a miracle to be able to give birth to 2 holy tree seeds. Only after exhausting the life essence of this world could it give birth. How could there be more? The bone demon stared. Lu Ming smiled awkwardly. However, he was still indignant and continued to search in this world. After knowing that there were no evil spirits in this world, Lu Ming became bolder. There was no need to control his speed. He used the Great Divine Wind technique to the extreme and flew at a high speed. In this way his exploration speed was very fast. Within a few days, he had finished exploring the 10th level. In fact, other than the towering tree that nurtured the seed of the holy tree, there were no other plants. You're saying that this tree is very useful to the elves? Once again he returned to the towering ancient tree that gave birth to the holy tree seed. Lu Ming asked the bone demon. It's definitely more useful than you can imagine. The bone demon answered with certainty. Then do you want to bring Ling Yue here and give her a stroke of good fortune? Lu Ming muttered. In the end he decided to give Ling Yue a stroke of good fortune. Ling Yue's character was pretty good. The two of them had a pretty good relationship along the way. Moreover, he planned to hand over a holy tree seed anyway, so it wasn't a big deal to expose this ancient tree. Immediately Lu Ming returned the way he came. From the 9th floor back to the 8th floor and then back to the 7th floor. When he arrived at the 7th floor, Lu Ming stopped. He planned to look for Ling Yue here. Without the help of external forces, it would be rather troublesome to search. However, Lu Ming's luck was not bad. 2 days later he actually met Ling Yue on the 7th floor. This was because before entering the elven ancestral land, Ling Yue had told him that her goal was the 7th floor. Although Ling Yue's cultivation wasn't very high, she had the bloodline of the elven royal family and was extremely intimidating to the evil spirits. At the same time, the other elven geniuses wouldn't attack her, so she could still barely move around on the 7th floor. Where have you been all this time? I've been looking for you everywhere, but I haven't been able to find you. Ling Yue stared at Lu Ming with hidden bitterness, but from the depths of her eyes, Lu Ming could still see deep worry. I've been looking for you everywhere too. Lu Ming lied with his eyes wide open. After he finished speaking, his tone changed as he said, "Come with me, I've prepared a fortuitous encounter for you." You prepared a fortuitous encounter for me? What fortuitous encounter? Ling Yue revealed a curious expression. Come with me and you'll know. Lu Ming smiled and kept her in suspense as he walked towards the nearest entrance to the 8th floor. You're still playing mysterious with me? I'd like to see what kind of opportunity you've prepared. Ling Yue's gaze turned as she followed behind Lu Ming. Not long after, the two of them arrived in front of a whirlpool. This is the whirlpool that leads to the 8th floor. What are you doing? Are you going to the 8th floor? Let me tell you, the evil spirits on the 8th floor are extremely terrifying. Even my elven royal family bloodline is unable to intimidate them. Ling Yue hurriedly said, her eyes filled with disbelief. Just follow me. Do you think I'll harm you? Lu Ming smiled and walked towards the whirlpool. You bastard. Ling Yue gritted her teeth, but she was afraid that something would happen to Lu Ming, so she quickly followed and grabbed onto Lu Ming's arm. The two of them pulled each other together and reached the next level. they would definitely stay together. If they entered separately and entered the next level, there would still be a deviation in distance. They were afraid that something unexpected would happen. After reaching the 8th floor, Ling Yue was extremely nervous. Her eyes kept rolling around as if she was afraid that an evil spirit would rush out. Muyun, this is the 8th floor. It's very dangerous. Let's go back, Ling Yue said. As for the opportunity that Lu Ming had mentioned, she no longer believed it. The opportunity would be on the 8th floor? How was this possible? How did Lu Ming know that there was an opportunity on the 8th floor? As for Lu Ming personally looking for it on the 8th floor, she didn't believe it at all. If Lu Ming was alone on the 8th floor, he would be torn to pieces by the evil spirits here. Why should I go back? I've been on the 8th floor for many days. It's fine, don't worry. Lu Ming smiled and stepped forward. Ling Yue followed closely behind Lu Ming, her eyes busy as she looked around. You've been on the 8th floor for many days, don't lie to me. Do you think I'm a 3-year-old child that's easy to fool? Let's go back, Ling Yue said, extremely nervous. Chapter 39-23. Ling Yue was really nervous. She was the elven princess, so she understood the elven ancestral land too well. She was even more clear about how dangerous the 8th floor was. Even the top geniuses of the 3rd and 4th level of the Divine Emperor realm would be in great danger if they entered the 8th floor. If they encountered a large group of evil spirits, they would most likely die. With their strength, if they encountered an evil spirit, they would definitely die. It would be strange if she wasn't nervous. She stood at the side, glancing at Lu Ming from time to time with a resentful gaze. Lu Ming pretended not to see it and stepped forward, heading towards the entrance to the 9th floor. Brr, brr. A terrifying roar rang out, and the evil spirits appeared. Moreover, as soon as they appeared, there were more than 10 of them. They flew towards Lu Ming and the others at an astonishing speed. Ling Yue's small face instantly turned deathly pale, without a trace of blood. Evil spirit, it's an evil spirit, let's go. Ling Yue cried out in alarm, pulling Lu Ming's arm. She was about to run away. However, Lu Ming was here, not moving at all. Ling Yue was greatly suppressed here. Lu Ming was not suppressed, so she naturally could not pull Lu Ming away. However, at this moment she didn't have the mood to wonder why she couldn't pull Lu Ming away. Right now she was completely in chaos. Mu Yun, let's go, the evil spirits are here. Ling Yue shouted, on the verge of tears. However, Lu Ming stood there with a smile on his face, not moving at all. Lu Ming didn't leave, and she wouldn't leave by herself. Seeing that the dozen or so terrifying evil spirits were about to reach them, the cold aura caused goosebumps to rise all over their bodies. Scram! At this time Ling Yue shouted and stepped forward, blocking in front of Lu Ming. She pushed the elf royal bloodline to the extreme, hoping to use the elf royal bloodline to intimidate these evil spirits. However, these evil spirits were all very powerful. Although they were still a little afraid of the elf royal bloodline, the fear in their eyes only flashed for a moment before it disappeared. They roared a few times and continued to pounce towards Lu Ming and Ling Yue. It's over. This was the only thought left in Ling Yue's mind. The elven royal bloodline could not intimidate these evil spirits. With their own strength they would definitely die. However, at this moment, Ling Yue felt a strange aura spreading out from behind her, rushing forward. When those evil spirits were hit by this aura, their eyes were filled with terror. They screamed a few times and turned to run, disappearing in the blink of an eye. This, Ling Yue stood there in a daze, her mind a little muddled. What was going on? Why did those evil spirits suddenly flee in fear like mice meeting a cat? Then she turned around and saw Lu Ming smiling at her. There were some round pearls floating above Lu Ming's head. The strange aura was coming from these round pearls. I've said it before, there's no need to be afraid. I've stayed on the 8th level for many days. Lu Ming repeated what he said before. This is a bead bred by an evil spirit? It can actually intimidate evil spirits. Where did you get it? After all, Ling Yue was a proud daughter of heaven. She quickly calmed down and stared at the evil spirit bead formation on Lu Ming's body. Ling Yue naturally knew about the evil spirit bead. In history there were also elven geniuses who obtained the evil spirit bead from the evil spirits, but they never knew what use it had. I got it by chance in a place on the 5th floor. It's very useful. The evil spirits don't even dare to approach me, Lu Ming said. Of course this was all nonsense from Lu Ming. Naturally he wouldn't say that this was refined by the bone demon, nor would he say that he refined it himself. How could a young man like him refine such a treasure? The elves would definitely suspect him and ask him to hand over the refining method. Therefore, saying that he had accidentally picked it up was the best excuse. Picked it up? Could it be that it was developed by a genius of our elven race? Left behind in the 5th level? Ling Yuwei began to imagine for herself. Lu Ming did not explain further and continued to fly forward. This time Ling Yuwei was much more at ease as she followed Lu Ming. On the way they encountered a few evil spirits, but all of them were easily scared away by the evil spirit beads array formation. Especially once, when at least 100 evil spirits were scared away by the evil spirit beads array formation, Ling Yuwei was finally completely relieved. However, Ling Yuwei immediately thought of another question. Why didn't I see a single elven tree seed on the 8th floor? Muyan, did you really stay on the 8th floor for many days? Ling Yuwei asked. I've already said it several times. Lu Ming said. Then did you plunder all the elven tree seeds on the 8th floor? Ling Yuwei said, her big eyes filled with anticipation and excitement. And? Lu Ming nodded. Ling Yuwei's eyes immediately emitted a dazzling light. Then have you found all 12 high-level elven tree seeds? Then he saw Ling Yuwei giggling foolishly. She was too happy. Lu Ming had completed his mission. This time, her father, her second uncle, and the others had nothing to say. Lu Ming had proven his value. He wouldn't let her marry someone from the angel race anymore, right? Soon they arrived at another entrance. This is the entrance to the 9th floor? You're not going to the 9th floor, are you? Ling Yuwei's eyes widened again. Lu Ming nodded. You didn't stay on the 9th floor for many days, did you? N? Don't tell me you've obtained all the elven tree seeds on the 9th floor? N? Ling Yuwei stopped talking, her entire person was in a daze. She instinctively followed Lu Ming into the 9th floor, then circled around and arrived at the entrance to the 10th floor. Only then did Ling Yuwei come back to her senses. Why? Why is there another entrance? Where does this lead to? Ling Yuwei asked. Of course it's the 10th floor. Lu Ming replied. Ling Yuwei continued to be in a daze, her eyes wide open. She realized that she was more astonished today than before. All of this was brought about by Lu Ming. Not only did Lu Ming plunder all the elven tree seeds on the 8th and 9th floors, but there was also a 10th floor in the ancestral land of the elves? As the princess of the elves, she didn't know about this. What was on the 10th floor? Let's go. Lu Ming stepped out and Ling Yuwei hurriedly followed. When the two of them arrived at the 10th floor and looked at the dead silent land, Ling Yuwei was stunned. This was completely different from what she had imagined. Lu Ming didn't care about her. Bringing Ling Yuwei with him, he quickly headed towards the ancient tree that was giving birth to the holy tree seed. Ling Yuwei suppressed the questions in her heart and followed Lu Ming. Finally, the towering tree appeared in front of them. This